right, guys, we are back. It has been a while. It's been a nice little break, but we are back with the Deadman Spring 2019 finale. Unfortunately, we did encounter a bug this tournament. As Aiza was touching on a little bit, the nature of doing these tournaments being purely online with so many people consistently like this. Unfortunately, these things can sometimes happen. So in this case, what has happened is there has been some fog that was mistakenly in the finale, in the 1v1 area, when some people in Falador were teleported into that area. Unfortunately, they were taken out of the game. And the way Deadman works is that it auto-deletes your account once you've logged out or died. So your items and your stats, all these things are completely gone. So we were working on getting people back into the game, as we were saying, individually, as we'd much rather get them in with somewhat of a fair chance, at least another attempt to fight. What we decided to do is give everybody back in 94 base stats. This would give them barrage if they had already earned it, as well as a kind of typical generic Deadman gear setup. So these are things like the Thorax helmet, Black D'hide body, Frex skirt, rune crossbow, arms. If they have things in the bank, they would actually keep those. So if you've got a Vestal Longsword banked, you get to keep that. Your quests and all that would also stay the same. So if you've unlocked Ancients, you get to go ahead. We've given them Ancients runes as well. So those people will get a fair, or somewhat of a fair playing start. Maybe an upgrade, maybe a downgrade here or there. Unfortunately, this was not actually fixable for everybody. So that means that a number of people from those people that we weren't able to get back in are unfortunately just not able to get back into the tournament. So yeah, we do seriously apologize to those guys. But that being said, we do still have a finale underway. We have all of Anna Karl, and we have so many people still from that Falador area making it through. So we still do have a second half of this tournament still to get through, and however many hundreds and hundreds of players that are still left. So we have that to look forward to.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you know, it is what it is. We push forward, as you're saying. We still have a tournament to look forward to. Some top-tier competitors still in play, and we'll see who makes it out at the end.
And there's still $32,000 up for grabs as well for those top players that make it through. And yeah, like you said, quite rightly, the show must go on. So I'm very excited to see where it goes. Yeah.
So we're just kind of waiting for confirmation at this point. Once we get the confirmation that those 1v1s are ready to go, we'll jump right back into the action and get things going. But for the time being, should we probably recap what we've seen so far?
Yeah, sure. So the multi-stage was very exciting, as we all saw. It was really up to Fools and Blazers. We saw them having an early defense over towards the Anna Karl area, and quite frankly, they dominated everything around there. I mean, you saw Lit, they tried to rush in, and you know, they got a couple kills, but really weren't able to take too much ground. I even went down and I was looking at our competitors' screens while the tournament was paused. They all had full food remaining, at least the guys on the Fools and Blazers side, so they didn't really get touched too much.
Yeah, I was chatting to some of the guys downstairs, like you just said, and especially at Anna Karl, yeah, they had pretty much all of their members left. No one really, any of the high-level players fell. I think one of the Blazers guys said one of their tanks was like really geared out for 1 versus 1. He unfortunately went a little bit early, but apart from that, they're looking really strong right now. It's extremely unfortunate about what happened at the Falador area, and that not everyone else is going to be able to, you know, proceed with the gear they had or the stats, but it is what it is. And right now, yeah, it's all the way through this tournament, actually, the whole week, you've seen Fools and Blazers holding down Charlotte Village, and again, just the strategy and the organization these clans have. And right here, as soon as they got hit, they managed to clump a lot of the clans towards the east, and their damage output just was unmatched. And their coordination, like I said, they did an absolutely fantastic job of holding down that Greater Demons area. And actually, at Falador, the Lit, or the Yellow Cape Alliance, made of many clans now, I did a really good push. You see here on the mini-map, all the white dots that are going from east to west. Again, great coordination being pushed by this team, and they did a fantastic job of actually some of them getting through into this 1 versus 1 area. It is unfortunate what happened, but we might see a few clans that we didn't expect to get through to still be in this, and it's anybody's game still. If you've got a few 1 versus 1 players that have some good gear setups, or beat someone that's got really well fed, they can take it the whole way through to the last finale.
Yeah, and as Chris was saying, you know, any items that you had in your storage, in your deposits box, you'll still have for the 1v1s.
Exactly. Unfortunately, from the players on stage, MMORPG Curtis did fall at the Greater Demons area. He was not part of the large Fools and Blazers.
He was in Falador, I believe.
Sorry, it's Falador, wasn't it? Yes, my mistake. And yeah, he was so close to making it through. He always usually makes it through, so that was pretty disappointing to see for him. But it is what it is. And apart from that, the other 5 players, I believe the majority of them did make it through. We'll have to wait and see if they are in the finals. Psyche here looking very Very calm and cool, and like a cool cucumber, like you said earlier, waiting for it to begin. And this guy is one to watch for sure. I think Site's going to go a very long way. We have Justice representing Fools as well. A couple of tournaments back, of course, he did take the win for his Finnish fellas, and $20,000 first place prize that was as well for the cruise they went on together to celebrate, which was fantastic to hear as well. We have Manked Up Magician, or Manked as he's more formally known as nowadays, and he's just been doing absolutely fantastic as well throughout. Listening to some Beethoven right now, most likely some classic, because he needs to, calm the nerves and make sure he's concentrating on the fights ahead right now. And we also have Solo Mission, one of the guys, first time on stage actually as well. Very profound content creator who's been playing the entire weekend. Again, like I said before, locking down Shiloh, doing Monkey Madness 2. He's got like a maxed account almost. So yeah, he's done fantastic as well. We also have, of course, Curtis, who fell a little bit short of the mark. He had, again, max stats. These guys have been training the entire week, doing a fantastic job and effort to get that max gear possible. Not letting this get them down too much. It's unfortunate Curtis didn't go through because he's always one to watch from the larger content creators to make it into the finals, but better luck next time. We also have, of course, Skill Specs, who's been fed by GG Gimme Gimme, who have given him a special attack weapon. So he's looking around like, wait, you're talking about me? Yes, Jay, that's you. Beautiful man. But yeah, we'll see what happens there.
Unfortunately, as you mentioned though earlier, one of the people that unfortunately was not able to get back into the tournament with the fixes, I believe it was himself in Solo Mission.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
So yeah, it is a little bit. I just want to quickly take this moment now. It's something that we've not mentioned before in other tournaments, but I think it's very important given the audience that we potentially have right now. If you are new to Twitch, or if you're new to old school, maybe returning back, there's one thing to definitely be careful of, and that's with scam streams, actually. So I just want to take a moment to just say, be very cautious, very wary of streams that maybe offer in things such as double XP. Double XP doesn't exist in old school RuneScape. It probably never will. If it does, you'll hear about it from official sources on the website, but never through a Twitch stream. The only way that you get increased experience is through Deadman. And also as well, if you're following a streamer and then suddenly you see a stream pop up and they're advertising that, they might be doing a big giveaway, think twice before you click on any links, okay? Just be smart, be wary, internet savvy. Very important that you do watch out for those and keep your accounts safe, guys. Especially if you're not familiar with Twitch and the whole, coming through to the community and websites that you might be visiting.
And of course, there's a lot of streamers as well right now that are in the demo tournament, that are waiting very patiently to get into the 1vs1 finals, to check out who else is live and go support them as well. Give them a hello from us, and I wish them all the best of luck too, of course.
Yeah. All right, so we're still just waiting on word for these guys to get into the 1v1s, but as Aiza did touch on, I believe we did unfortunately lose Solo Mission and Skill Specs.
My mistake.
Yeah, the guys in Anacrawl there, so they were frozen completely. As when something like this happens, everything freezes. Yep.
So I've had a quick update in terms of the reason as to why we're waiting. It appears that the players in Anacrawl are currently having to fight in order to make that area reach 128 players, as would normally happen in the finale. That's happening right now. So as soon as we've hit that 128, they'll all get teleported into the area. Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons why that happened was earlier on when the Falador area was the first place to reach the amount required to be teleported. They were obviously instantly killed because of the bug, and when that happens, the game was automatically paused. So Anacrawl never actually reached that moment. So the players that were available in Anacrawl now are currently fighting out. We can see here the action is already ensuing. You've seen many people being slaughtered, lots of people in the center there. It may even be a case of that they're just sending in teams. We don't really know who's who at the moment.
I think it's the sacrifices of the lowest level players, the cannon fodder, as I said earlier, the guys that haven't really trained up to 99 everything throughout the week, but they've been there protecting Shiloh as a little police force.
It does still seem like that people are fighting back a little bit, and that's it.
There it is. That was
like
enough.
That, they've managed to hit them out.
We spoke to Swede and a few other guys downstairs who are with the Blazer squad, and they were mentioning that, yeah, they completely dominated the Greater Demon's place in particular.
Swede got a massive upgrade in all of his gear as well. He told me he looted a max set. He came in with D-hide and D-plate legs, and now he's walking out full barrows on.
Unfortunately, he's not geared up to Tribrid, but yeah, one to watch definitely.
Well, that's actually quite interesting. That was a lot of Fools and Blazers.
Yeah, and GG as well.
And GG as well.
Yeah.
So they will be a very strong force in the 1v1s.
Oh, definitely. But sorry to interrupt. The other thing I was going to say as well regarding that is, yeah, there's a lot of Fools and Blazers guys in 1v1 now, but it's not about a team effort. It's not multi anymore. We're down to a 1v1 stage. So a lot of these guys that have got, the Dragon Crossbows and the Armadillo from Gore's Dungeon or whatever, if these guys go against someone that's a better PKer ultimately, or one of the guys that's been given some better stats than they had before and some basic gear, maybe they can beat one of these guys and then take that gear onward to the next rounds. And it's still anyone's game, really. It's up in the air, isn't it? We don't know who's going to win.
We could honestly see a first round of Fool's Justice versus Manked.
Yeah, it's random. Pulling a name from the hat in the bag, so.
Yeah.
It's one of the most exciting parts of the entire tournament right now, the thing that I look forward to the most. Obviously, I really appreciate the whole clan thing, but a lot of it is very messy, can be difficult to follow. Revan, I know that's you love that thing, but for me, once I see those damage numbers just appearing, I'm like, okay, great, something's happening right now. People are falling. There's probably a lot more going on. I imagine people are going crazy over comms, but when we get down to this part, it's a lot more focused. You can really see what's going on. We can talk about the mechanics of old school RuneScape, how the fights are going to be progressing, who's getting the advantage, and exactly how they're getting that advantage as well. So
yeah. And I think we should probably speak about the strategies then. So going into the 1v1s, as a player in the Deadman finale, you typically see a lot of range tanks with Vengeance, if they've been able to get there or not. Probably a lot of range tanks without Vengeance this time, actually. And that's just a typical auto-retaliate. It doesn't take a ton of skill. You know, it can.
He said it.
Definitely can. All right. But much more difficult will be the Bridding and then the tri-Bridding. So Bridding will be using multiple 2 combat styles, be it range and mage, range and melee, whatever it might be. Melee, mage, whatever. And then tri-Bridding, of course, being all 3 combat styles. If you can master the tri-Brid with your stepping underneath and all these things, that is typically where we see the best BKers truly thrive.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Going into this 1 versus 1, like we said before, all those guys have, you know, kind of got similar stats now, and most of them are pretty much maxed. There's still going to be those items that really make a huge difference, like the VLS and having the piety. Like you said before, quite rightly, the range tanks is quite a common build that we normally see. But since Shiloh Village is one of the requirements for Lunar Diplomacy to get that Vengeance has not been unlocked. I think we said earlier, there was a statistic that I think 300 people or so had done Ancient Magic out of the 1,000 that we saw near the end.
That's not very much.
291.
291, that's like a 1 in 4, 1 in 3 chance of someone having that gear, that magic book unlocked. And also, a lot of those guys that gone to the 1v1s, I can imagine they have got DT done, so we're going to see a lot more hybrids than we normally do, which I'm personally really excited for, because that's where the true skill really comes into play.
Yeah, alongside not having Vengeance, also take into account that these range tanks won't have the Ring of Suffering.
Nope.
So that's a ring that gives +10 base defensive bonuses, and then if you imbue it, it goes up to +20. So that's actually going to be huge not to have, and I think obviously you favored the Tribrids now coming into these 1v1s.
Definitely, and not only that, but also the recoil effect that the Suffering gave. I think it gave you an advantage of around 3 to 4 sharks per fight.
It's nice to have.
Just on the recoil damage alone. So completely different meta this time round. We'll see a lot more hybriding. Of course, we said about 60 Zero staff, like 70 or 60 VLSs, 70 Zero staffs as well. There's a lot of PP weapons, and these weapons aren't available on the normal 07 servers. They're exclusively for Deadman mode, and they just wreak havoc on your
good
opponent.
reason for
They're ridiculous, aren't they? Like compared to other things. Like I said before, the AGS is probably the most common or one of the best spec weapons for KO potential in the game, up until the VLS was released, which gives you 4 special attacks. It rolls off 25% of your opponent's defense level. So having that and getting a few lucky specs, you can completely change the momentum of the fight. And we'll get on more about specific strategies and stuff when we see the 1 versus 1s going on. But it's going to be a lot of action-packed content coming up very shortly now.
Yeah, I gotta say, I love hopping into the tournament world and messing around with the VLS just to see truly how strong it really is. And I just have so much fun every time. I make my stats into a pure and hop on the VLS and start bringing people. They have no idea what's coming their way.
So we just actually had word that the Jagex mods, I was going to say J-mods, Jagex mods, are just teleporting people in individually, 1v1s. So very shortly we should have these fights ready to go. It'll be interesting to follow these matchups. I think what I tend to do with these tournaments is pick out one guy that just seems to win his fight way quicker than everybody else.
Yeah.
Pick that guy, follow him through the tournament. He might go on to win it, and that's just kind of nice to see.
We should do a quick sweepstakes of all the Jagex mods that are downstairs. Everyone put a coin in or something and choose a player and see if
that sounds like gambling.
Oh, actually, probably don't. We don't do that.
But, I mean, adding on to what Chris just said, winning your first fight in a quick manner is actually huge because you get a brew advantage over your next opponent, right?
Yep.
If somebody's able to draw out the fight, you also draw out their supplies. So winning your fight quickly, you could get as many brews as possible, as many sand fuse as you could possibly need, and it just gives you the ability to sustain so much damage in your upcoming fights.
It's a morale booster as well. Like, I don't know.
I just worked this kid. I'm the man. Let's go.
You get a little bit of time as well to like collect yourself, cool down, calm your nerves, and maybe even watch the fights around you and see who your potential opponent is, what kind of strategy they're opting for, what do you need to prepare for, what gear do they have, and stuff like that. So
I think it's that first 1 or 2 fights that you do against people, especially people that have got similar gear to you. But the second you beat someone that's matched or that potentially has better gear and better stats than you suddenly get that, like you said, confidence boost that you're able to just keep going. And you've got to believe in yourself, you know?
Yeah.
You've got to know that you're going to do the best you can, and you've got a good chance of winning this, because if you don't, that's half the battle, really. And that's half the battle for a lot of the guys on stage as well. People like Psych, it's his first time up here, and even the other guys that have been here quite a lot. It's a completely different than playing in your PJs in the comfort of your own home, like you said earlier, Chris.
Yeah, and I think, honestly, so it's top 16 get something, right? And we're seeing a top 264 in these 1v1s.
Yep.
So it's extremely likely that even if you make it into the 1v1s, you win your first fight, maybe you win your second fight, you're still not quite walking away with anything. We've got 20,000 to the first. I believe it's 10,000 second, 2,000 to 1,000 to third and fourth.
Yep.
And we've got, I believe, a year worth of membership for the next kind of 16 or so. But still, you have such a long way ahead of you, even winning your first fight. And if you die just a single time, obviously you're out completely. That's your tournament done. And interesting, last time actually we saw some double deaths, didn't we?
Yeah, when it came down to like hit or something right at the end.
Very interesting fight, but with the way that it works, someone will always be registered as the person who
with the retribution prayer
dies first or dies last. So it pulls them through, but very interesting to see.
Yeah.
The great thing about, I guess, the great and bad thing about Deadman mode is it's always an uphill struggle when you're getting into these final moments. But that's the whole reason why there's a cash prize on the line, right? It's not going to be made easy for you.
Well, you've got these clans. You've got these clans with 100+ people, whatever it might be, and they might specialize in clanning and warring. When it comes down to 1v1ing, that is a whole different ball game.
Oh, definitely.
Ian, talk to me about the different kinds of PvPers when you've got clan people who will follow in masses, and then kind of singles PKers.
Okay, well we have different types of builds in old school RuneScape. So there's some pures which have like 1 defense, low defense levels. We've got the classic like Edgeville style fights where back in the day you say, GL, would you like to fight me, or deathmatch kind of thing in Edgeville.
Not anymore. I'm
Sharks,
not so
no
much
brews,
anymore.
no cram ones.
That's like a kind of PKing style where you're basically in like melee gear, for example, just doing like one switch.
Yeah.
We talk about hybriding and tribriding, you know, utilizing the combat triangle, as mentioned before, range, mage, and melee. It's kind of a game of trying to fool your opponent into praying, or rather using their overheads the wrong way.
Yeah.
And knowing how to read your opponent. That's something that just comes with a lot of experience and a lot of time in the game. As I mentioned earlier, in the previous tournament, it was Inya who took the win, $20,000, and he was in a clan called Frontline, who are profound in the gaming community as well, in old school RuneScape, and he managed to sneak his way into one of these big clans without them noticing, and no one really expected Frontline to really do anything because no one heard about them during the week. But then, out of nowhere, as like a solo player almost, he took the win. And there are a lot of really, you know, amazing solo players out there who don't necessarily play with clans, but they've joined in this time round just to, you know, sneak into these teams. So, I mean, it could be anyone, like you said before, one of those guys you just don't recognize, you know, if he's going to do well, and boom, takes it.
This could be one of those solo players making their way through.
Yeah, definitely.
We've seen it before. I'm sure we can see it again.
Yeah, but tribing in general, so most people are going to have ancient magic, like we said before. So mage, utilizing for the freezes to be able to keep your opponent placed, able to step underneath them, so you can minimize damage they're doing to you. You've got range as well, of course. So range beats mage. Mage is meant to be melee, and then melee is meant to be
mage.
I'm getting confused right now.
Range.
Either way,
range, melee.
most of the time you're away from your opponent. They're frozen away from you, so you've only got really 2 attack styles you can use: projectiles, range, and magic. But that melee, the guys that have trained the whole week through to try and get their melee stats to 90+, those guys that have got the VLS to utilize, the AGS, that is the KO potential. If you can beat your opponent without outlasting him, so for example, they've still got 10 sharks left, you've got 2, you've still got a chance to take them down if you have the stats.
Yeah.
And that's why it's been so important for these guys to go through the grind the whole week of playing, you know, as you mentioned, 12 to 20 hours plus per day, just to try and get the stats as high as they possibly can.
Yeah.
I think there's always a chance in these fights, right? I think we've all been in those scenarios before where things just aren't going your way. It's not looking like you're going to win. Then a couple of hits start going in your favor. You know, 30 bolt turns into a 40 with a whip. All of a sudden they're low HP, and at least you have a chance to kill a guy. Maybe you won't win as they tank up, but there's always a chance. You never know what could happen in these fights.
Well, it's typically a game of outlasting, I think, with these 1v1s. That's what we see so far. The last tournament, however, it was one with a KO. It was that Vesta Longsword coming out of nowhere with a quick KO, but typically it is an outlast fight.
Even that fight when the VLS KO actually came in the final, the guys both had 1 food left, and it was like a 60 HP difference, so it could have gone either way again.
Well, remember the times that we've seen fights where someone had like 4 or 5 food up on the other person, but next thing you know, 1 freeze leads to a bolt hit, which leads to a melee hit, and then another mage hit, and then before you know it, they've balanced up completely, and the person who was the complete underdog just wins.
Yeah, it's all about momentum in this game mode. Like if you eat a shark, you've got a few game ticks or a few seconds seconds where you can't then use an action. So, you know, sitting low HP, like we talked about, skill specs having that strategy from before, even though he sits really low, it's because he can output as much damage as possible. Once you get that momentum and start creating that shift where you're outplaying your opponent, they start to panic, they start to get prayers wrong, and that's where you deal the most amount of damage. So we'll see a lot of that being utilized. I think another thing to remember as well is, of course, how powerful half tank is, or tank gear is in this game. Now, obviously, putting the right overheads on, that's incredibly important as well, because they minimize your damage input, damage you're taken by 40%. But if you've got low defense bonus anyway, you're still going to take a lot of damage. So, you know, switching to that tank gear that they've got, the Barrows items, that kind of stuff in between their Mystic switches, that is where the true prowess comes in from the Tribroids, and get to show off their skills and knowing which game ticks like switch in which order and all that kind of stuff. So it's going to be really riveting to watch, and I'm excited to see some real amazing players make it through.
And if you're a new PvPer out there, somebody who's just trying out like PKing for the first time, it's so important that if you want to move up to the next level, that you get used to your F keys, and that's what helps a lot with the prayer switching. Just knowing like the location of where the prayers are when it comes to like Mystic Might or Eagle Eye, depending on what you have unlocked, and also, like you said, mitigating the incoming damage, being able to swap your prayers on the fly. It just comes from a lot of experience and getting used to those F keys.
Definitely, and not only that, but like I said before, the whole KO potential that you've got a special attack bar, as you guys know. In old school,
hopefully they get on with it pretty soon.
Weapons do have a special attack, which means it like gives extra damage, or it lowers your defense bonus of your opponent, stuff like that, or the bleed effect from the Morrigan's javelins as we've seen before as well. So knowing when to use the special attacks to be able to open up that space for the KO potential, so it doesn't come down to maybe the last few food. Obviously, it regenerates over time as well, so you'll have multiple chances to go for those combos. There's a lot that comes into PKing and into PvP in old school RuneScape, and
you haven't even gotten into PID yet.
Yeah, we were talking about
get me started on PID. We'll be here for much longer before the tournament.
You just had to say it. It's just best that you don't talk about it when Pure Spam's in the area.
No, definitely not.
I think movement's one of the underutilized things with these, these fights. You know, so we learned with the PvP championships, and this was a known thing prior to veteran PKers, but freezing your opponent and just stepping next to him is still going to let him, if you spam click and you still attack you.
Yeah.
But if you freeze your opponent and you walk out diagonally, they actually can't melee you.
No.
They have to be ranging you. If you're praying range, you're fine. So little things like that, and then also it's a matter of deciding on how many switches you go for. If you're skilled, you might want to go for 4 switches, which could be a lot to do. If you can handle that in a tick, then you're fine. Under this much pressure with money on the line, then you're fine. Or you could play it safe and go for like a 2-way switch. Just manage switching your top and your bottom, but you're going to splash more. There are trade-offs with these things.
Yep.
So, you know, it's a very difficult kind of game to play. I think the last time around we saw a very skilled Tribert, as you mentioned, the guy from Frontline.
Yep.
India. Very confident in his switching ability, but if we have somebody who's not so familiar with that, somebody who's maybe a little bit slower, but more strategic in a sense, you might see a little bit less kind of technical gameplay.
So Archie, you've PvP'd before. We made a few videos here or there. I've watched the most recent ones, which were really good, may I add.
Thank you. This is my hardcore Iron Man.
Yeah. What kind of switcher are you? What would you feel comfortable with if you were in this situation? How many items would you go for?
Actually, yeah. So we can go through what we would do in the 1v1s, I think. So if I was going into the 1v1s, first of all, I would put a ton of practice in it, like in the 1v1ing especially.
Yeah.
I think one of the problems with people who make it into these 1v1s is they make the entire week through. They get to the finale, they run around in Anacarl or however they do it, they get their kills, but they have no 1v1 experience, no core 1v1 experience. And you can see them in a finale. You'll find these guys who have great gear. They have made it this far, and then they will die to a guy with worse gear who has been practicing. So I would definitely be practicing my 1v1s. I'd find somebody better than me, and I would say, beat me for weeks, and then eventually,
in-game, of course.
And then eventually, when I start to win, I'd feel confident, and I'd be like, all right, I'm ready for this Deadman finale. I'd go with maybe just range and mage, to be honest.
Okay.
Maybe just an AGS switch.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go with the whip because I think that's a little bit too technical for me. I'd be all right with just mage and range. Probably crystal shield, armored crossbow if I could get that. You know, Aram's, Carol's top with the V skirt, Verax helm. But mostly just range and mage, I think. Yeah.
Well, definitely, if you stay away from your opponent, that's a really smart strategy, especially when you've got to, like I said before, put all that time into attacking.
Freeze them and make your distance.
Yeah, definitely. And then just have a special attack weapon to occasionally go in for it, open up some KO potential, some
just
space.
Just wield it occasionally, just to scare them.
Yeah. No, definitely keep them on their toes.
Yeah.
Such. No, I can appreciate that. What about you, Ben? What would you opt for in a situation like this if you made it through the 1v1 finale?
What would I do? I would log out straight away. There is no chance. No, in all seriousness, I think I would probably opt for the same strategy as Archie. Go for a mage range combo and then just use a special attack when I finally, at some point, get the opportunity to stand under and just try and get that sneak spec in. Maybe I'll go completely the other way. I'll do like a 6-way fakey one-tick barrage into an AGS G-Maul.
This guy can't do that. You hear
don't
these? I'm bringing Tribert all the way. Minimum 3-way switch, but I feel like you need all 3 styles to succeed, especially when it comes down to like the round of 16, round of 8. You know, when you start going up against like the cream of the crop, you know, the top tier birders out there. I think you really need 3 styles to compete.
Well, that's assuming that you managed to finish Charlotte Village and get yourself piety. That's really powerful.
Sometimes ultimate strength is all you got to work with.
All you got to need.
I would love to see an ultimate strength guy win this.
That would be sick.
Aiza, after this, dude, let's go downstairs. We'll steal 2 laptops and we'll 1v1.
All right.
I already told you, I'm not afraid of a runecrafter.
I put a bet on that.
I don't even remember the last time I runecraft.
Every time I tune into your stream, you're runecrafting.
Well, you haven't tuned in for a while, mister, because my hardcore Iron Man has not runecrafted.
He's like level 62 now, aren't you?
No, I have like 84 runecraft on my main.
But really? Wow.
Yeah.
I was talking about your combat level and your hardcore.
Oh, no, I'm like, I think I'm 94 combat I got yesterday.
Okay,
so, yeah, I've been smashing out a lot of quests.
Nice.
That's been my priority at the moment.
You got Shiloh Village done?
Yeah, I got that done at like level 30 combat, actually. So.
I just did on my hardcore.
Yeah, it's easy.
It's not hard, just going through the door.
I did nearly die, though, because I went through at low level and I didn't realize, like, before there's some skeletons that attacked me. I nearly had an accident, so it's just, thankfully I made it out of there. There's been so many times I nearly died on that account, but that's the beauty of hardcore Iron Man. They're also a little bit of a pain sometimes, especially when you want to do something like prayer. Who would have thought prayer would be so laborious? You can't go to the wilderness altar. I have to kill 2,500 blue dragons. Do you know how long that takes at the Ecto Functus?
Do you know how long
I don't, because I go to somebody's house and I bury my bones there.
Do you know how long full graceful takes? Oh my god.
That's
I
not
just
that
give
bad.
myself this stuff. I'm a J-mod.
You can go on for like chill man mode. You just go around Canifis for a little while, go around the agility course, pick up the marks of grace, and off you go. And it's so helpful when you're doing early level quests as well. So.
Yeah. I might just never get it.
No. Anyway, that's enough talk about normal like snowflake accounts. Ian, what would you go in with? Pure spam, the man himself, master of risk fighting, pure one defense fights.
One defense? Wait a second about that. No, I don't know, man. If I was to do this, I think, again, like, you need that piety, you need those 90+ attack and strength levels, and if you're able to grind those out, utilizing that whip can be one of your highest DPS in the actual, in the tournament.
Okay.
Because, obviously, range, you kind of need that Dragon Crossbow or that ACB, and most people don't have it because they're not been able to do that. It's got one dungeon, or complete Shiloh to unlock Dragon Slayer 2 to get a Dragon Crossbow. And then mage as well, man. Like, the best gear you can get, you can't get Ancestral, you're an Arims, unless you've got Azuriel Staff as well. Like, your mage isn't going to be that intense. People have got Carol's tops on and stuff, really high mage defense bonus. Yeah. So if you've got that melee and you know how to fake it and you know how to utilize it a lot, which in most situations, a lot of the Tribers in 07, they don't really necessarily use melee a lot, apart from, like we said before, for those special attack combos. Someone's able to utilize all 3 and fake out and catch their opponent in their mystics, in their robes, which is low defense bonuses. They will be the ones that really go far, in my opinion, and show total control of the triberding system.
So both yourself and Revan would opt for the more technical, kind of like strategy and approach. Respectable.
Which of the 3 combat styles would you prioritize? So if you were to choose, just say one boots, for example, you go in Primordials?
Mage for me. So
okay.
when I PK,
Eternals.
Yeah. Whenever I PK, I'm very much focused on magic because it's a style that people feel isn't necessarily as balanced or as strong as range and melee, which actually results in players putting up prey range or prey melee up more often. So they don't expect you to do a switch quickly and one ticket into a barrage, which if you're able to do, you can catch your opponent off prayer over and over and over again. And the thing about magic is as well, if you drink a Ceridome in brew to get your health back up again, of course you lower your stats at the same time. So all these things you're thinking about at the same time. You know, is your opponent going to start brewing down? If he is, I should use mage way more commonly because once they're lower stats, obviously you're going to do more damage as well. So it's like I said before, it's creating that snowstorm effect, sorry, snowball effect. Once you hit the ground running, you can just keep damaging and damaging and damaging. So.
Yeah, and Blood Barrage we've seen come in so clutch with these things. They have their rune pouches, but if they just bring that extra inventory slot for the souls, they can get that Blood Barrage in there. It can be seriously beneficial. However, with Mage, what we've seen, especially with the PvP championships, All-Stars rather, people just commit themselves to getting that freeze sometimes.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes you just have to give it up. Like, take a break, get back into meleeing. You're taking all of your food got. You finally get your freeze, and then you know.
Yeah, but it's like sometimes it can be a pride thing. You've just spent the last 5 seconds trying to get that freeze, and you're like, I'm not giving up until I get it now.
Yeah.
But you just like you say, you have
just
to
just counting to yourself. You know?
But catching those freezes is like imperative,
Yeah.
and that's what makes it interesting as well. Like obviously the game is random number generator based. Obviously bonuses do affect that. You get more accurate or you're more likely to hit, but ultimately you can just get bad RNG and you can splash a bunch of times. There's not really much you can do about it. So keeping calm and the players that have got that experience are able to just deal with it and still put on their tank and still just continue playing as if nothing's happened and not start smashing their keyboard like I do. Then those are the guys that are really gonna, like I said before, you know, be able to move forward.
Right. I think that's a really important point to bring up when you're fighting against somebody who uses like a double hide setup, right? If you're using like a D-hide top and D-hide chaps, like it's going to be tough to catch that freeze. You know, it happens. That's why you got to fakey them out. You know, shoot a ball at them from time to time. If you're unfrozen, hit them with the whip because that's what they're going to be weaker to. And then, you know, you add in those other styles, then all of a sudden, you know, maybe they switch to a more tankier legs. That's when you can catch your opportunity and get that freeze and really take control of the pace of the fight.
And you've got to change your attack style and your play style based on how your opponent is reacting. If you are frozen, you've got to play more defensively because you've got to then catch that freeze and make sure that your opponent isn't dominating you. And quite equally, if you manage to catch that freeze on them, you've got to make it work for you. You know, you've just given yourself an opportunity. You can't just allow them to freeze you straight away or catch you off prayer a few times and stop that momentum. So it's going to be a lot of toing and froing in this 1v1 situation, which is about to start very soon, I believe.
Yeah. I believe these 1v1s are just about to get underway. We're just kind of teleporting the last few guys together. Once we can get everything all set up, we'll jump right back into the action.
I got word earlier that they're potentially in the banking stage at the moment, so they do have up to 10 minutes to go through their bank and just basically re-gear, take out their best items, their best supplies, whatever's going to give them the most chance of basically getting through to the next round, because that's where it all matters.
It'd be nice if we could throw that game on the screen and then we can just kind of hover around and find out who we have in the 1v1 section.
What kind of gear they've got on as well.
As soon as that's ready, we'll have a look.
Yeah, no, I can't wait to see some of the gear they pull out, because obviously in this finale, with the multi-stage at least, you don't want to be wearing your best in slot gear. If someone sees you in a DFS or a VLS walking around,
you're a target.
Like, oh, I might get that and take it for my team, and then or use it in the 1v1 stage myself. So a lot of these guys opted to, you know, get the crystal shield, which comes from a quest, or they've opted to get like some rune armor or some black D-hide, as opposed to having just their full best in slot gear on them. Which is, if you're wearing that, you are a target. You've been put onto some kind of hit list, and people are going to be sniping you down and taking you down as fast as possible. So yeah, there's going to be, I think, I was talking earlier, we're looking at the stats of like how many items are in the game. I was talking to GG, and they said they got quite unlucky at Armadil, for example, which drops the Armadil chest plate, the Armadil legs, and the helmet, and the AGS. Really high range offensive and mage defensive armor, which is just so good to have. Some of those guys, I think they got 10 Armadil helmets, 4 chain skirts, and no plate bodies, which is just
hate to see
really
that.
unfortunate. But
you do hate to see that, you really do. I know that there are some Armadil chest plates and plate legs or plate skirts, whatever they are. I'm not going to say who they belong to, but we do know that they exist, and they will definitely make their way to this 1v1, and that is such a strong advantage.
Oh yeah, I mean, God Wars Dungeon equipment with the requirements it has on it, it's just another tier above the barrows, which most people opt for on the demo tournament. I think you've got some stats for us, haven't you, Ben?
Well, I mean, just looking through the item list again, some things I don't believe I mentioned and may have. My memory is awful, I apologize. But like 13 Armadil crossbows, for example. Yeah. Wow. It's like the best bow that they have access to 13. In Deadman mode. So
for context, I think I heard Fools, or maybe it was Blazers, that they had somebody from Oblivion, one of the bigger PVM clans. Somebody from one of the top PVM clans joined just for Deadman, but wasn't actually killing anybody, just wanted to do some God Wars. So was soloing Sarah and was just logging in, just being like, hey guys, got you another Armadil crossbow. There you go. And then he was just gone. He
wouldn't hop on TeamSpeak the whole week and then randomly just pop in, but like, hey, is anyone around? It's like, yeah, what's up, dude? You okay?
That is the most valuable clanmate. That's what you want.
I think he got them 2 or 3 Armadil crossbows, which that is just huge.
We have seen a lot of that in the past, though, where members from clans that aren't typically PvPers, skilling clans, for example. I remember a few seasons ago, a lot of the skilling clans kind of like joined forces with the PvP clans and decided to feed them supplies. They being absolutely amazing at really pushing the game to its limits when it comes to gathering resources, pushing the experience rates, fully going in for it, and the best of the best, really. And I mean, at the end of the day, if you have some person who can catch like 50% more chins than your average player, that's a hugely valuable asset to your team.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to like GG, Gimme. I think those guys were telling about their strategies. They were one of the teams, Rads 201, the solo alliance that used to form with lots of solo players. And they formed a couple, maybe a tournament or 2 ago. And now they're like a squad of 100 people. But these guys are like through and through demo mode players. That is the main game mode they enjoy playing. And so when the game mode hits, like they're all feeding certain skillers or certain questers. I think they had I think 12 hours in, like full black D-hide equipped for their members, which like 12 hours in, and only that one guy could make it, so he could only give it to his teammates was huge. And then like a few hours later than that, they were bringing in the black D-hide shields as well and all that kind of stuff, which gives you such a big advantage at the beginning. And it goes to show again, it's a survival game mode. It's not just about PvP. Ultimately, for the tournament, it comes down to the PvP ability, but you need those people to go kill cave holders, to get your black mask, train Slayer with, or to go solo Saradomin if they're experienced enough to do so.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's like the dream Deadman clan is you have maybe one person that covers a few different skills. You've got your crafter. They're in charge of doing all of the crafting, obviously. You've got your, like, fisher, gathering all of your food. You've got your herblore guy, getting your potions. You've got your dragon killer for the bones for your prayer. You've got all of these different things, bringing all these different supplies together, and then you're just like one unit together. You've got your PKers going out, killing their fishers, killing all the other people. Like, that is the dream in Deadman. If you can establish something like that, you're looking very strong to win a Deadman.
Let's do it, guys. Let's make our own team.
I was thinking it, honestly. I'd be a PKer. You guys can gather the stuff.
Aiza, you can runecraft for us.
Yeah, sure, I'll do that.
I'll do some wood chopping.
Us three can PK and do whatever. You go gather us.
Yeah, I'll just be the gatherer, dude. That's fine. I'll take it.
Hey, Ben, we need some sharks. Come on.
Ben, you're slacking on the sharks, man. Gotta get back to Catherby.
Fishing guild.
But anyways, in between that break, I just want to give a quick shout out to my Pure Clan Intense Redemption. They were saying a lot of lovely things in our chat as I was talking to them between the Discord. Really appreciate the support. Just want to say everybody out there, I mean, we've been getting a lot of love on Twitter as well.
It's really nice to hear.
It's been a blast.
It's yeah, we can't say thank you enough for all those kind messages and stuff. It's been difficult. It's been a long stream as well, obviously. So thank you for your patience, everyone at home, with Jagex. And
we're getting up to All-Star hours now.
Yeah, I know. Well, that was a long one. That was like 12 hours or something it was casted for, and I joined you at the end, didn't I?
That was the worst. I think one of the worst parts for me about All-Stars was actually watching it back, because I realized how many times I just didn't look at the camera. So I'm making a conscious effort to look towards you. Before I was just like dotting around all over the place because I didn't even know where I was. I was so delirious. I had like 3 Red Bulls. I don't normally drink Red Bull at all. I don't really have any caffeine at all, and it's
I'm more of a Monster guy myself.
Understandable. Pretty good drinks as well. So, but this is really hard for like all of us. Everyone that's here is super passionate about the game, and when you see issues happen, it's obviously a little bit demotivating. But credit to Jagex, credit to the team, credit to Modash back in the office actually working his backside off to get this fixed. I did see he had a nice picture on Twitter though. He's got a lot of pizza, so he's being
more pizza.
Well fed. And obviously, of course, to everyone out there who has been showing us some support and love, and maybe creating a few memes here or there. We love to see it. Yeah, so.
There's lots that goes into it, but I think one of the kind of underrated positions here is definitely your positions as a caster. You know, sometimes something can happen, and it's just kind of like, guys, we're gonna get the gameplay right back up. Just hold tight, and then you just
like we're talking for the next 20 minutes. What can we figure out?
Well, the thing is, like, we're lucky. We're just massive. Well, I don't know. I'm speaking for myself here. I'm just a massive RuneScape nerd that somehow managed to sit on this chair and
you're alone in that.
Contracted.
That's just you.
Yeah, like well, I can talk about
what a nerd
all day long.
Look at this guy.
I'm just grateful to.
You train rune crafting.
Can we give up on the whole rune crafting thing already?
Oh, we can't.
You train my rune crafting for me. I can't stand rune craft.
Oh, account sharing?
Look, I'm just going to say right now, okay, I think that rune crafting is very underappreciated. It's a very chilled out, kind of like relaxing skill. If you ever want something where you just kind of like just going about, like just because it's low experience rate doesn't mean it's a bad skill. I mean, okay? You get to just completely sit back, relax. You get into the rhythm, into the motion, especially if you do something like Orania Altar. You have many pouches, you go through to the bank, don't use runners, and you know, before you know it, you're into a rhythm, and it's actually quite enjoyable. So, like,
fair enough. I mean, if you're having fun, dude, like that's the most important thing. It's a game. You can play the game how you want to play.
Yeah, it's like, all right, even if that was like not even serious, the great thing about old school RuneScape is that there are so many different things that you can do. Like in other MMOs, you might be forced to play one particular class, and that is all that you can do. Not in old school RuneScape. You can do whatever. If you want to be a skiller, go and be a skiller. If you want to go and cut the worst logs in the entire game for the entirety of you playing the account, you can. Who cares? No one cares. Just play the way that you want to play. Some people want to play really efficiently in terms of skilling. Some people just want to boss all day. Some people just want to PvP. Some people want to quest. Some people just want to dance around the Grand Exchange and just have weird conversations between one another.
And that's okay too.
It's fine. There's like expansive quests with really detailed lore. The developers put their heart and soul into them. Just overall, I think the game's incredible, and to allow so many different like communities to kind of like basically like nourish and just flourish, I meant to say, not nourish. This happens as well. Sometimes I say the wrong words, but hey, I'm only human. I just think that's fantastic because a lot of times in other games, those communities are shunned to one side and don't really get the limelight that they deserve. So,
well, not here, Aiza, not here.
Not here, no.
No. I think, yeah, you touched on something quite right there. So, I've recently just made a new hardcore Iron Man. I'm trying to go about it. All right, just by the way. I'm trying to go about things the way that I want to, you know. Fortunately, I've got a great community kind of helping me along the way, saying you really should be doing this. You should have done this.
You do some really, really whack things on that account.
I'm just doing whatever I want to. I'm gonna go train this skill. I'm gonna do it this way. They're like, that's not the most efficient way. I'm like, I don't care.
Every time I see you now, I see you on your mobile, just like fishing away or cooking or doing something, working towards your next goal.
Got my Karambons now. Yeah.
I've seen Matt K as well, actually.
Oh yeah.
He's been playing
a lot
great
recently.
account. He's currently going for his cooking requirement to get his B gloves. So shout out to him.
Yep.
Get those quests done, mate.
But that's one of the nice things about Deadman, actually, is you can hop into a new season and you can try these different methods, these different training routes, and you get there so quickly with the experience boosts.
10 times, 15 times.
You can build the account of your dreams very quickly, whereas, you know, if you play old school typically on a main, you might think, oh, it might be nice to have a pure. Maybe it'd be nice to have, like, a skilling pure or to see how fast I can complete all of these different quests at the same time, but you've already got all those things done in your main, so with Deadman, that opens the doors for those things. You can attempt as many different various things as you want, get yourself some PvP weapons along the way, maybe hopefully not die along the way as well. You could join a clan, you can make it into the finale and win yourself some money.
Yeah, I think one of the most things for me that I find most fun about like a new season coming out is the fresh economy. Everybody's reset level 3. Like, imagine like when the old school servers were first released, being like that first person with like a magic short bow or with mystic robes to put on. Like, you're the man. Like, you're walking around, like, you're specking people out, like, they're still on, like, their oak bows, their U bows. Like, you get such a power advantage, and it's such a fun and pure time of the game that you can only relive so many times, and Deadman offers you that experience to relive it just about every season.
Let's not forget as well the permanent Deadman world that has been active since the very first Deadman.
Is still going on.
Yeah, World 45 Deadman. It's actually rather active, surprisingly, considering how long it's been available for. There have been some new updates that the Jagex team pushed out a few weeks ago. Fantastic changes, bringing in a Grand Exchange. There are a lot of players that have like dedicated themselves to just that world only and not playing on anything else, which is absolutely incredible. Clans that are formed within there. It is a brutal environment, but like that's what Deadman's all about. But if you are kind of like wondering you don't want to play into the seasonal, or maybe the seasonal's not available because it's over the 1 month, you can jump into World 45 Permanent Deadman and try out there. They've got a lot of pieces of content that are available to you as well on there.
My advice is to jump into seasonal and just get your stats up because you may find you want to qualify in the top 2,000, the high scores by the end of the month. And if you're able to qualify, you might not feel like you want to play a tournament now, you might have a clan to go with, but it'll be another 2 months away after the season ends, so the next tournament will be in 3 months' time. And if you want to take part in that season, in that tournament, then at least qualifying your account, having the option to do so, you might find yourself you've got a week where you want to grind out and nerd it out with the rest of us. So.
And it doesn't take long to qualify.
It doesn't.
I mean, it's getting more and more competitive, but you know, with the 6-hour immunity, you can't die. That's what immunity means. You have experience boosts, and you can climb up the ladder, the high scores very, very, very quickly, and you can just kind of keep refreshing things and figure out where your rank is. Once you get in that top 2,000, you're all right, and then just join the tournament and do your best to compete at a reasonable level.
Or be one of those guys that runs around with a chef's hat on and steals the occasional chest, goes for a run and gets on the live stream. Like,
honestly, highlight of this tournament by far. We did our best to capture this. We didn't think this was going to happen, so I actually said let's switch to watch this instead, which was a very dramatic clan battle. But that guy at the Green Dragons,
he got
killing
to a crisp.
He died to a dragon, and the noob made it away.
My favorite.
It was great.
I want to tell you about was at the one of the chests that spawned. One of the guys picked it up, and then he ran. He like picked it up, got the chest, and he was surrounded by enemies, like all these guys in Barrow's gear, and like looking really strong. And he was outnumbered. He was like low level, and he ran straight south because his final area was Falador, quite rightly. Now the other guys around him, unfortunately for them, their final area was Anakal, north. So as they were running away from Anakal, they were running in essence into the fog, which meant they were trying to chase this guy to pick up this 1 or 2 items, and I saw them drop one at a time, walking a bit too far into the fog, just getting one hit because they ran away from the final area they're meant to be going to. And that must have been so frustrating for that team, like all these fed PKers, like great singles people waiting to get into the thing. Here it is, when you were talking about.
Yeah, I believe we cut away just before he dies. We might come.
We see his loot pile on the ground though. When this guy comes running back, I remember that.
That's great.
I think for me, one of my favorite moments throughout all the Deadman seasons was, I think it was the last one. I was watching the stream. It was like on the west side of the Grand Exchange, on the outside of the wall. This guy's getting piled by like 3 guys, and he starts dropping his stuff. all the guys are like, oh, wow, he's dead. They go for the loot. Guy starts running away, gets scabbed, and yeah, he gets away with his life.
That's brilliant.
Classic. Somebody needs to make one of these Deadman montages with all the funny noobs compilations,
yeah,
like
man.
getting stuff from the tournament chest and making it away.
How many times have there been now? There's been so many. We're up to like number double
How many
figures.
tournaments
easily.
now? Oh, this might be our 14th.
14th or something? Oh my gosh.
I forget, and I feel like I only just joined the whole team in terms of Deadman yesterday. But yeah, here I am. I'm pretty sure this is like the 5th Deadman, or maybe even 6th that I've casted now.
It is
You know
crazy.
what? I think we can talk about this to an extent. So in the last news post that we made, we were talking about some things that we wanted to fix within the game, and one of those things was Deadman. One of the commitments that we wanted to make was make some very serious big changes to Deadman mode. And so we were thinking kind of like really out of the box things. And fortunately, with the PvP weapons and armors, I was kind of given permission to think of something crazy. I was like, that is crazy. They're overpowered. They don't belong in the game by any means, but it's Deadman mode. And we can find a place for them. We've taken out the armors because they were too overpowered, but the weapons remain, and that's just kind of one of the staples now of Deadman. That is just the way it is. And we're thinking, what can we do that is equally crazy or even more crazy? What can we do to really make Deadman kind of reach that next level of just entertaining and fun and enjoyable and changing up the meta? Because obviously for so many seasons now, it's been the exact same thing over and over again. If you want to play the most efficient way, you're typically completing the same quests. You're doing the same kind of route. You've got Curtis, who has an incredible strategy with Slayer, works from every time, does really well with it. But we want to change that. We want to make it so that people are kind of jumping into an environment they're unfamiliar with, no matter how much experience they've had in RuneScape. So we're looking for those ideas. We're reaching out to the community. We've got a big player visit coming to the office early April. I think we're trying to get a bunch of content creators, some clan leaders, some of the guys even on stage. We're going to get them together and say, guys, these are our crazy ideas. What are yours? Put them all together at the end of it, and then see what we can come up with.
I guess me really excited. I'm glad you've mentioned that now, because I have many crazy ideas to put forward for the Deadman mode future seasons.
It's one of those things that we can experiment with. Fortunately, we don't need to pull things that go into Deadman. So somebody mentioned the other day, what about an invisibility cloak? Something that can keep you off the radar.
The Ring of Stone, don't we? But you still see people.
Keep you off the radar. You can't interact with anybody. And obviously, this was not thought of. All right, we haven't actually thought about this in depth, so this is probably not happening. But it's just kind of like a fun idea, and I'm like, that's really creative. That can go on the list. It might just get shot right down.
I'd love to see
if
you put something like that in one of the Oh, bless you. Thank you so much, Stevie. Oh, drink.
They're going to see this coming around now. Am I going to get the short straw and get the tiny cup again?
Yep, probably.
Yep.
I'm all right. I'll take the coldness.
It's really kind of you. Thank you. Oh, this is chilled, actually.
Yeah, it's nice. Cheers. Nice and chilly.
Yeah, cheers.
Oh, are we going to do a cheers now?
Cheers.
Okay.
Why not?
Thanks, boys.
I don't drink beer. Can I have some milk? I'm kidding.
I think this man some milk and cookies. Basically, from what it sounds like, you're telling us that the next season after this one, currently, we're going to obviously see the season play through after this tournament. Then there'll be a tournament, and that season is going to be bigger.
We can't quite commit to anything just yet, as far as dates or anything. Yeah, but potentially, I think that's the kind of goal there.
Okay. So this season could be like the perfect season to practice, ready for the new potential season.
We've kind of been thinking this next season is the last traditional Deadman.
Ooh.
So that's kind of the way we're thinking about it. So if you haven't tried out Deadman, or you have, or whatever it might be, give it a shot for this summer season, just after this tournament. The servers go live immediately after the winner is announced. As soon as that happens, jump in. It might be your last time to experience something that is traditional Deadman before we add all these crazy things. No, I'm kidding.
The nice thing about the developer of the game running these tournaments is that you could do whatever you want, right? I remember a couple months ago, maybe it was even over a year ago, you guys did something like the Wilderness Wars, where you had like team captains, and then clans rallied around the team captain, and you focus on getting that player down. Every time I come out here, I pitch you guys this one idea. I want some country wars, man. Let me get Finland versus London versus the United States versus Venezuela versus Africa. Like, there's a Lithuanian clan. There are a lot of country clans out there.
How about we have
in the UK?
We have All Stars World Series. Like, that would be cool. I think.
Oh yeah, 100%. This is honestly, this is on a document.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
We're live on stream now, just like recreating.
We've got a ton of ideas like this, but it's just
Worlds, man. Worlds.
Pure spam. Pure spam. You remember Wilderness Wars quite well, don't you? There's a pretty famous moment in that stream that went on.
No, let's not talk about it. No, that was a great event though. Yeah, Wilderness Wars was amazing.
I fought in that. I was on Curtis's team.
Were you? Oh, really?
Took down Rock.
Very nice.
Down Rock. First clan to go down. Fury, baby. Let's get it.
Oh man, if we do this Worlds thing, you got to be on Team America.
I'm ready.
All right.
I'll call it. I'll be the captain. Let's go.
You can cast your own fights.
Let's go. I'm
At the same
down.
time.
I'm gonna hit him with the AGS. He's hearing me.
I'm committing to it right now. I'm down for it.
All right. Ian, you could be Team UK.
Me? Oh man, I don't know if you want to hear my voice constantly
Team
shouting
Canada?
down the microphone.
Yeah.
I get pretty competitive when it comes into situations like
I mean,
that.
yeah, we've got
I'd be
some
all for it,
America, we've
though.
got some UK, so we've got some Canada, we got some Finland, we got
Yeah,
some
we can ask the fools
Dutch
guys down
players
there. I'm
still.
sure they're down.
Yeah, we could do it right here.
Right now.
Right now.
Right now.
Let's go.
I mean, Aiza was talking about the stats like not too long ago. Like there's a lot of percentage players from all over the world.
Yeah.
I think it'd be super entertaining. Like I think it's really easy for like the average viewer out there just to watch, to support their country, and you know they would watch just solely for that reason, just to say, oh, you know, oh, America's better at this, oh, UK's better at this, right?
Do you want a quick rundown of like the top 10 countries in terms of those that have qualified into the
Absolutely.
tournament?
Yeah. And this is only from like
Fascinating,
2,000
yeah.
players, right?
Yeah, so this is ranked from 1 to 10. So number 1 being the most popular was United States, followed by Finland, closely followed by United Kingdom, and then
That's
it's
amazing.
Netherlands, Australia, then Canada, followed by Sweden, closely followed by Belgium, then Norway and Denmark. So
Australia is
surprised to see
very high
Canada
up
on
on
that
that.
yeah, Australia number
Oh, Canadians,
5.
yeah, you know.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, you got to represent
Wait,
the
you could lead the
Canadian
Canadian
of course.
team.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Yeah,
go.
brilliant.
No, they wouldn't want me.
What's this?
Oh, here we go. Something
Oh,
special
this is
for
a
Ian. A nice
throwback.
reminder. Let's have a look at what happened
the
during.
first ever
Yeah,
Deadman.
dude, this was so strange because the next morning I woke up and my phone was like going crazy and I was front page of Reddit with Adam like, where are my headphones, dude? So weird. This is real gamer moments.
Oh, look at me. There's old me.
It was so old
You
again.
and
Yeah,
little
but
baby
yeah.
Ronan.
usually you've got like, you know, a
Pretty-
headset on you.
Pretty beard.
That was great. It's just
Yeah.
so perfect how Boaty did it first, and then it's almost like he was like a clone.
I didn't even see Adam do it though.
That was the first ever Deadman. We had no idea what was happening. We were like, we're about to do something crazy, and we're giving somebody a lot of money.
It's mad how it's evolved since then, really. So I remember the first time I was invited to cast with you guys with
Yeah.
alongside Skill Specs and Boaty
Yep.
many years ago now, and we had to go to a. I'm pretty sure I'm going to talk about this. Went to like a random TV studio
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
where Jeremy Kyle is filmed in Norwich or something.
Oh
like
yeah,
that.
we are stretching for content right now. Yeah.
I remember going all the way there, and like it was just like just us in a massive room with not much but a couple of monitors, like sitting down, sharing a microphone together. And now here we are at ESL,
Yeah.
coming back every couple of months to do it with such amazing studio production. So shout out to them as well for
They
constantly pushing the boundary and
do an
stuff.
incredible job with production. It's like,
Yeah.
like every single time we come, it's like what new thing have they put together
Yeah.
that we didn't even ask for?
You know, as somebody who streams yourself, I think you can appreciate the difficulties that,
Oh, yeah.
that goes into and yourself as well, Ian. You stream as well, don't you, Revan?
Sometimes,
Yeah.
every now and then. I mean,
Alright.
I'm never really home too much, so it's kind of hard to stay on a consistent schedule. But
Yeah.
if I ever have like more than 4 days to myself at home, yeah, I'll turn the stream on.
Yeah, but it's things like that when you're streaming from your bedroom. You know, you can,
Oh,
you
yeah.
can set up a little green screen. You can do these things. You can make it look nice. But you can't do something like this without somebody professional. like
Well,
this.
I mean, did you miss out on the Aiza NH tournament, Chris, that we did? I'm kidding.
Hey,
That was
look,
fun. Hey, it was good.
We had some transition
You had
scenes,
a
different
green
graphics. We had the
screen
green screen there.
yeah.
That was a great time, and we ran the podcast as well. We had like scene transitions there, different layouts. I'm learning.
I can't.
learning.
Can we
take
do
any
any
credit for
cool
that.
transitions here? Maybe that's a difficult demand. We get like a
I
window
think
wipe.
every single one that they do is pretty cool. And we get like new graphics that come up and they slide across, and then things just fade out. Even the camera,
They're like
camera changes.
downloading Windows Movie Maker right now.
Windows Movie Maker.
Well, I made my first ever videos with that.
Did you? Oh
Yeah.
man, yes, the old Chris Archie. Oh man, please bring back the top tens, dude. Where are they?
They say no one's perfect, but when I look at you, I just think that that's completely
Jesus,
wrong.
come on.
that.
So
I'm uncomfortable.
What about unregistered hypercam
Yeah,
too?
thank you.
Oh,
oh, he's got some milk.
Oh, what is this? Water? It's not alcoholic. Thank you.
little did he know that's just straight. No, I'm kidding.
He's got his chocolate milk. Bless him.
It's also. Oh, what is this?
Gin and tonic, what's that?
It is alcoholic. Never
You
mind.
are a fan of it, aren't you?
It's all right. Thank you.
All right, well, thanks for bearing it with us, guys. Looks like we're just waiting for the 1v1s to
Why is this
start.
mic so small?
In case you haven't noticed, we're just waiting. I mean, thanks for, like I said,
Yeah.
staying with us throughout all this time. We really appreciate all of you tuning in, supporting us, and you know, supporting RuneScape and RuneScape events. I mean, I tell my clan this all the time. You know, whenever I push on them, like, hey, you know, you're gonna watch Deadman, you're gonna watch All Stars. They're like, you know, maybe. I'm like, why wouldn't you watch it?
Yeah.
I mean, the more people that tune in, the better for the game, and the more they could do stuff like this, or you know, even this is how you like bring in new viewers. You know, you see a lot of people on Twitch stream. You don't necessarily know what's going on. You know, some people from the outside community might just tune in, check in, see what's going on. If they like it, you know, who knows? RuneScape is a game that pretty much everybody has played in the past, right? Growing up, you know, through your childhood. I think it's a key part of every childhood growing up. I mean, it teaches you a whole lot about the world. It probably taught some of those people on stage something like learning English or learning about, you know, scamming and how people work.
When you're constantly saying selling raw lobsters,
how to make bronze bars,
or how to.
And who knows? They might not even know that the old school servers have re-released. So this could be a way to gain new players and new faces to the game.
Definitely. It is such a nostalgic game, isn't it? Like, we've all grown up pretty much. I'm sure we all have since a very, very young age. When I was like 10 years old, I could something on the computer. My next door neighbours used to all be massive RuneScape addicts. You know, the mum, the dad, where we're going with this conversation.
I don't know, Ian.
I was just going to say,
I don't know.
Like I said, like everyone plays RuneScape and everyone knows someone that's played RuneScape at some point in their life.
Remember back in the day,
doing so well.
You'd be at school and you'd just be thinking about getting home to play old school RuneScape, and you were like, I'd love to be able to play on my mobile phone right now.
I used to run home from school.
I can't wait to go to Karamja and fish inventory of lobsters after lobsters after lobsters, going back and forth.
I was trying to segue into saying that old school RuneScape is available on mobile, guys. Like that dream is now a reality. All right, if you've not played it on mobile, it is available on all iOS and Android devices that meet the minimum requirement specifications. Most devices are available. So, and that's been awesome. Just been able to like log in whenever, just do a farm run. You know, kill a few monsters on your Slayer task.
Or even play demo mode, man. I've seen some of the guys downstairs who have been, just attached their phones the whole time during dinner as well. Just, you know, trying to AF. No, I'm kidding. They weren't really that.
Skillspecs didn't have to bring his computer in a suitcase.
Finally,
So he brought a tablet along and played on that instead. So that was pretty cool to see.
So what's the furthest you guys have gone to play RuneScape? And I'll start this off. Back in middle school, I used to wake up early before my bus would come, and I'd go PKing at Barak Multi.
Okay.
Barak Multi.
That's interesting.
So good.
Like I was one of the only ones at the time that really had a computer with decent internet to run RuneScape with my friendship circle. It was like really new back then anyway. But so we used to all get around to my house at the weekend and would run shifts. So we'd have like 4-hour slots where we were allowed to play on our own accounts. Obviously, we weren't account sharing. Back then, it was really against the rules. But yeah, we used to run 4-hour shifts. So one of us would start like 6 p.m. until 10 p.m. Then would wake up the next person. They would get to play from 10 p.m. till 2 a.m. The really sorry loser would get 2 a.m. till 6 a.m. and we'll just cycle that over the course of 2 days. It was fantastic times.
My brother and I used to get like an allowance on the internet, so like at a certain time we would switch off, because if you're on too late, then you know you're gonna wake up later.
Well, your parents probably wanted to make a phone call, dude.
Oh man, don't get me started on that. That's my next story. I'll let you guys finish yours, and then I'll tell you about phone calls while playing RuneScape.
I just remember like playing in free-to-play with my brother, like giving him a green dehyde set, and he was so over the moon about it, and just coming back from school every day, having to just log on as quick as I could, and then having to take turns, and he would listen to Led Zeppelin, have to mix up the music, put something else on. It was good times, man.
Yeah.
Only memories.
I don't know what I can say, you know. So when I was in high school, I was working on videos, and I decided for whatever reason to go through a PK marathon where I was doing one video a day for like a month or two or whatever it was. But my computer was horrible and my internet was horrible, and I committed to it, so I had to. So I would start recording once I got back from school, edit it before I went to sleep, render it overnight while I slept. If I was lucky, when I woke up, it was finished rendering. I would then upload it. If I was lucky, when I got back home from school, it was finished uploading, and then I would start working on the next one. So it was just like an all-day thing.
Yeah.
All right, so I remember when I got my first ever rune set, right? So back in the day, like obviously you could go to like any world, and like pretty much anywhere in the wilderness would be active. So me with my full rune, I'm in a free-to-play world, and I'm heading up to the Hill Giants hut. Back then, that used to be like the spot, like, right?
It did.
That was the spot.
Elf Mage.
I start fighting with someone, right? They got full rune on, I got full rune on. All of a sudden, phone starts ringing. Ring, ring, ring. I'm like, no, no. My first ever rune set, disconnected, logged back on. I lost it. I think I cried for the rest of the day. I was so devastated because back then, like, it was hard. It was hard to earn that 200K to buy a full rune.
think talking about noob stories there, so I remember when I got my, again, like my rune set and stuff, although I had, I think, a Gothic skirt at the time, because, let me finish this, back then in the day, Gothic skirt was worth way less than the blade legs. Just saying. Right, anyway, I had my like rune G helm and my like trimmed kite shield, and I went down to do Elvarg, right, and didn't know you needed the anti-dragon shield, and this is back when you couldn't go back like after an hour to get your loot back. Like if you were dead, it was gone within a minute or two.
2 minutes.
So like I lost it all, and I was just like walking around aimlessly trying to get back to this island. I was like so upset with it, man. I quit for a little bit of time there, but eventually, obviously, as everyone does, came back to the game.
So we've turned this into a podcast, and that's cool. We can keep going. I'm just going to ask if we can throw a lower third, a little graphic on saying we will resume the tournament when we can.
What's the Twitter link as well? The hashtag?
We're using hashtag
Deadman Summer. Deadman Spring.
Just for anybody tuning in right now, if we have any viewers tuning in right now, just going, this isn't Deadman.
Also, make sure you
will resume Deadman very shortly.
There is a Twitter they can follow as well, right, for updates. It's at
PvP.
OSRS PvP. Yeah. So there's constant things being posted upon there, things that might not be able to give to you straight away. It will all go through there. So if you're a participant, especially, make sure you check that out. If you're a viewer and you want to stay updated, also give that a follow too.
Yeah.
If we can get some tweets on screen as well, maybe we can actually make this into a proper podcast and answer some questions. No, well, I mean, give us some more content.
I mean, we trust the question picker to pick some good questions.
Yeah, go for it. Hashtag Deadman Summer. Sorry, Deadman Spring.
Almost.
Summer,
I said that wrong, and I think I've just infected you now, so I'm sorry.
So I think we can talk about the PvP arena.
Okay.
It's a thing that we'd like to do, as long as we keep it as a potential, because there's only a potential. But it is an idea that we've been talking about. I have mentioned it a couple of times now on streams, kind of casually here or there. Aiza and I actually, when you were applying to Jagex initially, you pitched literally this, and I already had designed literally this. It's nothing original by any means. No. You know, it's an ELO system, competitive 1v1 system to potentially come into the game. And when I saw that you had made that, I was like, he knows what he's talking about. That's a great idea. So do you want to go through it?
Yeah, I mean, I can try and remember back then to my very first interview where I pitched it. It was meant to be a 40-minute interview, and I ended up being there for 3 hours. So I'm really sorry. Yeah, really sorry to the management that had to bear with me droning on for so long. I was super passionate. So essentially, you know, you've got to look at, first, before you look at any content, is identify issues and what's the reason for that content. And I think one of the things with PvP is that as a new player, it can be very like intimidating, almost daunting as such, to step into the wilderness and start fighting against people, especially now that Old School RuneScape just recently celebrating 6 years. There's people that have been PKing since day one of that release. People that started PKing way before then as well. So you might be going up against someone who is very, very strong, very formidable opponent. And there's a chance that you're just going to die, you're going to lose money, and maybe it won't work out for you. Obviously, there are still opportunities, so if you are looking to get involved in PvP, the only way you're going to learn is actually by giving it a go. But what the PvP arena would do... Hold on. We might not even talk about this.
Oh, no.
All right, never mind.
Let's go.
I don't need to go through the next 5 minutes talking about PvP arena. That's saved for another time, another day.
Oh, they're starting.
Jumping straight into it already. Well, here we go.
No time like the present. Let's just
you guys are the casters. I'm going to leave you to it. Best of luck, guys. Do your thing.
Chris. Cheers. So, jumping in already, as we said before, a couple of players unfortunately did not make it through to the final 256 due to a bug that happened. But if you're just joining in with us right now, the 1 versus 1 continues. $32,000 is still on the line. And in each of the stages, in this first one, they've been able to bank, get out their brews, get out their optimal supplies, and optimal setup they needed. And we see a lot of people here in some insane tank gear. Did you expect going out the bottom there as well? But yeah, it's going to... Once this round is over, once all these brews are used up, every single player will be given the exact same setup moving forward. Every single round, replenishing the same supplies, matched inventories, with the exception, obviously, of course, of the gear they've gained over the last week.
Yep, so we can see a few people here now, same combat level, same inventories. Obviously, some people that may have been impacted by the bug that happened earlier on in the game, but looks like they've actually got pretty decent setups, all things considered. So it should be a nice, even fight. And now it's really those people are going to come down to a fight of skill. At least they're going against people that have experienced the same problems as well. Really looking forward to how this pans out. I'm super excited now. And yeah, the first fight's looking pretty even at the moment. We've got Look, who seems to be up on food only by like 3 or 4 doses of brew at the moment. And well, we all know that can change around at any moment in time. Looks like they have been given a ranged and melee setup at the moment. Doesn't seem to be an option for any spells. So maybe they'll pick up like a rune pouch off an opponent if they manage to kill them and then unlock magic as well.
Don't think you can get the rune pouch
Oh, being
But
untradeable.
you could get the runes potentially, and they are on the Ancient Spellbook, I imagine, as well. Or maybe they're just two tanks that have gone for the tank setup right now. Maybe we can shift over to another fight, or maybe a tribrid, so we can get into some different combat, because right now it's basically two attack styles. You've got range, you've got melee, you've got to switch between the two, and you've got to try and fake out your opponent.
We can see another fight just above from them. We've got Daddy Longneck against Jaru here. Jaru seems to be opting for magic at the moment, and he's trying to get the step unders, but you can see that Daddy Longneck has actually brought Mithril Seeds with him, which allows him to plant a flower, and doing that forces you to a different tile. So really, really smart technique to try and avoid getting that death dot that we mentioned earlier, because it is really, really powerful when that happens.
Hey, you just saw him do it again, and we've seen some counterplay to this, especially in the PvP All-Stars, where the freezing person, so in this case, Jaru, he would plant the seed first, so that way the opponent
can block. He blocks it off from his
yeah, so he can't use the Mithril Seed to move off target. But I find it really funny looking at both these guys' inventories, both Bulldog and Look, that the regular Ring of Recoil has replaced the Suffering.
Yeah, definitely. And now we've moved over to Ali, T-Beak, and Rapaba, I believe his name is. Both level 119 combat, which I assume means that these guys unfortunately did DC or didn't manage to die due to the bugs. They've been just given flat 94 stats, which is why they're 119 combat, and you can see from their 94 prayer and 94 hit points. But yeah, looking at these inventories right now, again, we just got range tanks going at it. Ali chucking out those DDS specs, hoping to hit something, but
I believe Rapaba has managed to grab some javelins, though, which is probably bought from his bank that he had saved up, and maybe he'll get a chance to use one of those, and we'll see a good special attack. At the moment, we're just obviously camping range because it's very strong, and people are going to try and go in for those whip hits as and when possible. Maybe go for DDS. A little bit slow on the movement there, Rapaba. I mean, I shouldn't really comment because I'll probably win 10 times slower, but still, we really need to make sure that you utilize the speed advantage that you can get as many times as possible, because it's very easy to just change your prayer if you're watching your opponent.
We can see in their bottom left inventory as well from Ali. I think he's got the supply crate in there, which you get from a starter set in Lumbridge, which gives you 10 tuners. Now, whether or not that is going to be still there after this fight, it's going to be a huge advantage. Not sure what the rule is on that one, though, to be honest. I believe they're probably going to take that out, though. Recoils, of course, doing damage back to your opponent constantly every single time.
These two fights here seem to be Lit versus GG as well, so interesting to see how that ends up panning out.
Yeah, they are actually opposition clans right now. GG obviously been part of the Lit Alliance beforehand, but they said they had enough. They kept getting backstabbed, and they were pretty demoralized. They ended up joining Fools and Blazers. So yeah, onto the what's been seen throughout the tournament, or rather throughout the final phase in the permadeath stage in multi, to be the winning team right now.
All right, so while this fight continues, Rapaba, he's still got some special attack left. We're going to move on to another one. We have CD Demon going up against Dim, OSRS. So, Dim, you see him with the Tribrid, whereas you see Demon, he's got the G-Maul, still full spec. I wonder if he showed it, if Dim knows that he's going up against the G-Maul, but there's always that KO potential, right?
Yeah, I believe they have 100% spec, so I imagine that he hasn't actually quite used it yet. Looking now as well, obviously, you know, Dim having that mage switch is so essential for him. And looking at brew count as well, he's got, what, 7 brews left versus 5.5. So he's got a pretty big advantage right now. And, you know, utilizing that melee as well, like I said before, he actually could have KO'd him there. The guy was sounding like 20-something hit points.
There's a chance.
Unfortunately hitting zeros. But yeah, just walking around, trying to catch him off prayer at the right time, fakey the switches, and he's doing a fantastic job about it as well.
In terms of players here, we believe that Dim is part of Lit and Demon is part of GG, actually. So, again, two rival clans, and both from opposing alliances. We mentioned earlier that GG was with Lit, but they decided to separate. You'll probably find that a lot of clans now, even though they were in alliances before, are going completely solo. They may have some alternate arrangements, but now they're fighting for their clan. So really interesting to see the two different setups as well, and really just seeing which one's going to be more effective.
Also, obviously, of course, as well as that, there'll be a lot of solo players that might have snuck into some of these clans. So although we're being told they are part of a clan or in a certain CC and such, or were in a certain CC throughout the week, they may just, you know, have been hiding and not actually part of the team at all. And if they win, they might take that $20,000 grand prize home to themselves if they're cheeky about it. I've not seen any of these javelins come into use, actually, from Dim, which is actually really surprising because you've got 100% spec. But obviously, once you're in the moment, you know, and you're fighting for your life.
It was listening to you, decided to go for
it was just a lob, just chucking the javelin at the head, trying to do some damage, but unfortunately hit a 0 for him. He's frozen his opponent, walking underneath, but the other guy is constantly praying range, understanding that, you know, those javelins can do a lot of damage if he gets that big spec off, and has a bleed effect. So I think half the damage that you deal, or something like that, or the same damage you deal actually from the special attack is slowly hit over time, every few seconds.
I think it's ticking 5s until eventually it hits the full damage.
There you go. Then, so if you hit a 50 on someone, that's actually 100 damage you're going to deal, which, you know, when you've got limited supplies, that's a lot of food.
Very interesting to see from Demon as well. Has got the Dragon Bolts, the Dragonstone Bolts. Obviously, Dim there not having anything in terms of anti-fire protection. So we could see some really high-hitting bolts coming through from him.
Yeah, the unfortunate thing is actually the Dragonstone Bolts, if you actually pray magic against the Dragonstone Bolts, the effect does not take place. And again, I don't know why these guys aren't using their special attacks right now. Like CD Demon, he's probably waiting for that last-minute G-Maul attempt, but currently he has no super combats left in his inventory, which means he won't get that bonus that he needs to be able to do the most damage possible. He's got to catch his opponent off prayer at some point in the robes, as that's when he's got the weakest melee defense bonus possible. We can probably jump into another fight as well, see who else we've got around in a moment, because right next to us I see UIM Jabba and 0M. We had some sick gear as well. We've got NOP RS versus Weir South 110, I believe. 121 combats. This guy's actually got his stats up like really high, 99 hit points as well. And he's got the miasmic, sorry, the staff from the PvP weapons as well, which is doing fantastic against this guy. Although he is trying to catch freezes in the air. The tank gear, unfortunately for him, catches the freeze there, and he's up a lot of food. Looks like the hybrid, or rather the tribrid, will win in this instant, as we like to say.
So if you're new to the PvP scene, the reason that you're going to see like a lot of weird names on some of these players is to make it tough to call. So a lot of times when you're a caller and you're trying to get your entire team or clan on the same pile, like you obviously call their RSN, but if it's something weird like this, it could get a little bit tough for everybody to find the same pile, especially when they all keep it, around the same theme. So like if he's like We South, like 110, you'll have like a We South 111, 112, 113, and it'll go on and so forth, just to make it that much harder for the other clan to get on the same pile.
No, absolutely. And We South right now actually utilizing that DD mechanic, doing a fantastic job of doing it. He's rocking the tank shield as well. The crystal shield gives a huge amount of bonus, especially versus range, whereas Nop has opted for the granite shield, which again gives a lot of range bonus, but it looks like South is not having much trouble with catching those freezes based off Nop's really low mage defense bonus, unfortunately for him. He's just not really catching the guy off prayer, but regardless, he's up quite a lot of brews, and looks like We South probably has this one in the bag, unless, of course, never say never, Nop might get himself a really huge javelin spec in a moment, and that could quickly, turn the fight around altogether. And obviously, this inventory, they have loads and loads of brews, loads more supplies, because they were able to bank and get out whatever they needed. This is like a kind of a warm-up round for some of these guys who are getting some easy fights in the first round if they get lucky enough to do so. We did mention earlier, obviously, some of the tribers that have max gear may be put up against each other this early on, which just, that's the luck of the draw, or rather the unluck of the draw. You might just get unlucky and get a really difficult opponent. But yeah, We Are South probably taking this one home. I don't see him really
doing a really good job, and it's really showing the power as well of being able to do the stand under, not having any mithril seeds, isn't able to move out, and every single time that We Are South does catch that freeze, pretty much is utilizing it to its full effect, trying to go in. It looks like Nop is actually wearing an amulet of power as well, so
I respect it.
Yeah, really going for it in terms of the budget gear, it seems. But Dragon Boots, which is pretty nice, it may be one of the players that has been pushed in from the bug from earlier. And it looks pretty one-sided at this moment. We are South just doing a really good job of dominating the fight.
It's a Crystal Halberd.
Oh, it's a Crystal Halberd. It's not a Vesta Spear.
Actually, you might be right on that.
I think it's a Vesta Spear, which isn't too bad, I would probably favor the whip myself, to be honest, but you get a couple of good, lucky RNG hits. Plus, I believe you can hit from a...
Yeah, you're right. It's the spear.
Yeah, it's the spear. But that weapon, you can get 40s or 50s with it. So, I mean, if you get lucky and a couple of big hits over, you can very quickly shift the dynamic of the fight and control it completely.
I like to see something new being brought out here. The Vesta Spear, not something we usually see in these 1v1 fights. So I respect that he's keeping it dynamic and switching it up. And clearly he's in control of the pace of the fight, right? His opponent down to 2 full brews, and that's it. He's got 3 doses of his sand fuel, it looks like, left to restore up. So definitely in control. He just needs to do damage, make sure he doesn't get KO'd, and We South 110 should be moving on to the next round.
Yeah, absolutely. If we can check out another fight now, we're going over to Mr. Troy versus So Gangster, level 125 combat 2. So this guy's been going ham the whole way through. Anyone that's got over 94 HP, basically, you can imagine has got the stats of himself, and he's gone really hard. And especially to get 94 hit points in the first place takes a lot of time. So if you're above that, you've been grinding out the entire week.
Yeah, look at how many javelins he's got.
Yeah,
this is also the first time we're going to see the Vesta's longsword as well. So we should hopefully see some big hits. The Dragonfire Shield giving the extra strength bonus as well as defensive bonus. And we're going to be in a pretty strong position, and that's showing as well with the inventory. Look at the difference. We have,
oh my god,
one and 2 dose brews left for Mr. Troll, and well, basically half an inventory still for So Gangster.
I mean, Troll still has his 100% spec, and again, like I said earlier before, if you're caught in the action, you're not really paying attention to your supplies left, you start to panic a little bit. You don't start using those special attacks, which gives you KO potential. So you've got to be using them early on, because spec does regenerate.
Yeah, it's really important. I think a lot of players, when you are in the moment,
definitely.
You're not really thinking, you're just trying to make sure you're getting your prayers right, but utilizing them early on, even if it's just 1 or 2 specs, could be the difference between someone then having to eat, and then them eating means that you can just carry on piling the damage. And as you mentioned before, Ian, not so much the the snowstorm effect, but the snowball effect can really start playing to your advantage.
Absolutely, but now Mr. Troll, unfortunately, in a really bad position. He can't drink that brew, because if he decides to drink it, he's going to be restored down. Gets his tank gear on, I think, just in time there, but that's all she wrote most likely for him. I think Gangster's actually with the VLS now going to finish him off. Now he's probably heard us on the stream using those DDS specs, but it's too little too late. And Gangster does go through. The DFS, absolute unit right there. He's got a great chance of going really far.
All right, good fight, and congratulations to Gangsta. He moves on to the next round. Moving on to the next square over to him. Looks like we got Mega Man versus, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. But regardless, the guy with the hard-to-pronounce name, he's down to his final brew. Looks like 1 brew and 2 sips left for Mega Man. Plus, he also has 2 P-necks, right? So just that extra sustainability available in his inventory. Looking at the special attack for both players, looks like Jake does have at least 1 to use. So it's a DDS. You never know. Able to hit high. But for the time being, both just sitting in tank gear, trying to range away and chip away at their opponent's HP.
Yeah, and both these guys obviously, unfortunately, also getting hit by the bug, which is why they've got 94 hit points, 119 combat as well. But saying that, actually, Jake does have the Crystal Shield, which means he quested for it himself, which is a lot of quests, takes a lot of time to do. So, you know, props to that as well, gives a huge amount of tank defense moments which he's going to need, especially this setup when he's being a tank ranger / melee switcher.
Really even fight at the moment in terms of supplies. Obviously, just 1 extra Phoenix necklace over to Mega Man. I believe the Gel Korai is from Fools.
Oh, okay.
So
awesome. That makes sense why he's got the Crystal Shield then, because I think they made it mandatory for most of their players to try and get hold on for the multi. Yeah. So that would make complete sense. But yeah, again, right now, obviously the overheads, like we said before, you've got Prey Range, Prey Melee, both reduced damage taken by 40%. So all these fights is going to be a bit. Oh, there's 27 Dragon Ball E through the prayer. 27 is not bad at all.
There's like one minor thing that sometimes we mention, sometimes we forget, but it's really important. I think a lot of players actually, it shows the difference between really high level players and then maybe like the mediocre ones. But if you look at the difference in terms of like brews and they're actually prayer restores that are left, the super restores, or in this case the Sanfuse. What a lot of players tend to do is like overutilize their restores and not really time, because it's like you can use 3 doses of a brew per 1 dose of restore to get your stats back up, and that's really played in Jalcaro's favor, because he's still got 1.5 Sanfuse left as opposed to his opponent, which is now on 23 HP and only 1 dose available.
And it can also be used because obviously Redemption Prayer. Assuming they are allowed to use this in the tournament, which I believe they are, if you can flick that on at the right moment, it can give you a bit of HP back and give you that extra lifeline that you need to be able to secure the win. Currently, Jake getting hit a 0-0 on the right prayer as well. And
those players now out of food as well. It's going to come down to these last few hits. You can see the redemption coming up through from Mega Man. Really, this next prey, if someone gets this wrong and a hit, it could be the end of the tournament for them.
Yeah, also keep in mind, 1 Phoenix Nex already broke for Mega Man, so he's got like an extra lifeline there. The whip hit, not going to hit anything.
Oh, there's also a Phoenix Neck though on Jalcora as well, so has access to that, so it could potentially break. However, if they get overhit, then they won't actually be able to break that necklace. They need to make sure that there's a small hit coming through. That might have been enough. There we go, it's proc now. So we're back to 33 HP, down to 17. This could be the end of it right here.
Oh, he actually healed back up on 1 HP, I believe that was right there. Can he get his prayers up again?
He still has enough prayer to keep on doing it. He just needs to ensure he gets low hits against him.
But unfortunately for him, Mega Man does get the restore as well. Now he's got his prayer back up. That is his last chance to be able to do so with the redemption flicks.
No way.
Jake, tank another hit, or is it all over from now? He's only on 10 hit points. You can very easily hit a 10. Be very lucky to win this fight.
Oh, wow, the ball spec takes him out.
Now that was a fight.
Perfect example of how we say, like, the fights can go any way. It looked like Jalcura had the immediate advantage with the extra brews, the extra restores, and the Phoenix necklaces, but any one hit could have been enough to take it for them.
Yeah, we have MyIO versus Clave now, and MyIO being 125 combat, which means that he's obviously trained that the whole way through. He's got the attack cape on. Weird flex, but okay. And he's doing real well at the moment, actually. Look at the supplies advantage that he's got. He's got 2.5 brews, and as you can see right now, he's switching constantly from his range to his melee, and that's to trick his opponent into praying the wrong thing we said before. And that's really the main mechanic that comes into tribreading and overhead fights, or rather no-honor fights as they're more commonly known as. Well, now we're checking out Komariari and Tribe, I believe his name is. Both being 119 combat, so again, like I said before. Actually, Tribe, like you said before about the whole restores, not using them properly. He's got 5 brews left, but only 2 restore doses. If that fight went on a little bit longer, he would have started draining his stats down and down and down.
But he'll be happy to bring those brews in onto the next round at least. Well, he will be given more restores. Anyways, back to MyIO versus Clave. Clave relying on redemption. This fight should be all but over as MyIO in firm control. HP advantage, food advantage. I don't think there's any way Clave could climb back into this one.
I mean, I think it's all over for him now, unfortunately, and it takes something very special to come back only on 17 hit points with no restores, no food supplies left.
And no special attack either. I think there's absolutely no chance here at all.
I mean, if he's got D-ball ease and he gets a lucky 60 or something on frame, it could happen. But
You love those bolt specs, don't you?
I do. I just like to see, yeah, that out of nowhere you don't expect it, and then just goes to show that anything can happen, you know?
Come on, MyIO, you could do it. Hit a 13.
Well, obviously the huge tank bonuses these guys have, and obviously just, you know, rune crossbows versus the crystal shield, Torag's helm, the Verax plate skirt, but finally he claims the win, and Mayo also going through for lit, as he quite rightly, you know, says in-game, #lit. We have TSI versus Nak.
How does this guy have so many brews left?
TSI actually has vengeance here, so...
how long some of these fights have gone, and this guy still has, like, nearly 8 full brews left.
TSI has vengeance. I'd like to say then he's probably in the team Blazers or the team Fools, as Shiloh Village was a requirement for Lunar Diplomacy. I'm sure we'll get some confirmation on that very soon. He's also got 96 hit points, so he's been grinding out again throughout the entire tournament. Naka being a very low level, but look at the difference the vengeance makes. And again, like I said before, it's not just a tank ragfest, because if one player doesn't know how to switch their pros better and can fake their opponents out and get some good RNG, look how many brew advantage he has now. It's like 10 brew advantage almost.
So one thing I've just got news of, this is actually Fools against Lit. We've heard Lit a lot in these 1v1s, so even though they were disadvantaged with maybe not being able to complete the quest, having that area locked down throughout the entire tournament hasn't impacted their performance, been able to get many of their members through to the 1v1 stage.
Yeah. Definitely. We saw a lot of yellow capes at the end there, making it through from the multi-stage, definitely, and just got to hope for their team, really, that they got some of their best 1v1 potential to go through and give them the best chance possible. Now, obviously, if you have been gained, you know, stats to level 119 combat now, you've got a real chance of going far. If you can kill someone that has way better gear than you, that is grinded out the whole tournament, and you weren't expecting to really get far because you're level 80 combat now, it's changed the whole dynamic. If you get one of those gear setups, you get yourself the VLS or the DFS or some decent tank gear, you might get lucky and be able to, you know, go the whole way.
Oh, exactly. And just speaking a bit more about TSI, I think I can agree with you that he's from Fools and Blazers, because he also has his rune pouch available, which means that he didn't come through Falador.
Nope.
He must have came through the Anakarl area, which was firmly like in control by Fools and Blazers the entire time. But also, like, he doesn't have a crystal shield, so if it was mandatory for Fools and Blazers, how come this guy doesn't have one?
Potentially one of the guys downstairs right now, you know, one of our guys, Pig Money, who came as a +1, actually. I believe he is one of the guys that did Lunar Diplomacy, but didn't have enough time because of the journey to ESL. So it may even be him in the building right now. We're not too sure about that one. We might get some confirmation later.
I think for all things considered, those fights seems to be going one way, and that's in the favour of TSI, with no food left for Narc AA. I don't think there's any chance, even with the most crazy DDS spec you've ever seen. I think that one's pretty much over. However, we do have a pretty interesting fight here. Multi-Zones against C8Q. Multi-Zone has actually gone for the Tribrid setup, has Aram switch into there, which is pretty nice to see. Going to try and utilize that as much as possible. However, it is our food, so C8Q has been able to just like constantly beat him down.
He's got no resources.
Look at his inventory, though. He has the starter sword, the starter bow, the starter staff, which means that he's utilized one of the starter packs, which gives him 10 tuner.
He's not going to be doing much damage. He has no resources.
Of course.
You can't really drink these brews. I guess you have to stay alive, but how can you expect to hit when you have like one attack?
Yeah, so long and inevitable, aren't you, at this point?
Without any food, this could actually work out perfectly for multi-zones, and maybe multi-zones.
He's prayer flicking it. He's got no resource either. He has
3 prayer left. Here comes the smite. Is going to take out that last few points of prayer, hopefully. And yeah, there's no way that C8Q can deal any damage here, even with this extra food. If he drinks that, his stats will go so low, he'll never be able to dish anything back. So whilst, yes, multi-zone may look like he's at the disadvantage with a less invent, he's absolutely got that fight.
What is this last man standing with all the prayer flicking going on?
Well.
That's an interesting fight to keep note of, but still TSI in firm control here. Definitely has the brew advantage.
And there you have it.
There you go.
Takes the fight.
It goes to show like just how much of a benefit that Vengeance takes. Every 30 seconds, being able to use the spell itself, which deals back a proportion of the damage you take. And obviously in these fights, when it's very much tank gear, if you're not doing enough damage on your opponent and they're focusing on their defensive styles, when you finally do hit them, you get hit back instantly, and that's just like so crucial to be, you know, not taking that much damage. And if you draw out those fights too long, then Vengeance just automatically wins pretty much.
I mean, C8Q might not have any chance of winning this fight, but fair play. They've still got 3. Okay, now it's gone down to 2. Until that point, it was a pretty good job of prey flicking.
I mean, if he used his restores more smartly, then I reckon he can actually take in this win versus multi-zones pretty easily, which is really surprising because, like I said before, multi-zones does have higher stats. He's been training the whole week. He's got better gear as well, and he has the full Tribrid. He must have got very lucky at the start, or C8Q just, you know, played it really, really well.
In those situations, what do you think could have caused C8Q to be in the position where they are now with no restores left, but still so many bruises? Do you think it's just a case of like panic, maybe inexperience?
Yeah, well, so in general, when you're drinking brews, those that don't know, they heal you a proportion of your HP depending on your HP level. But they also drain your stats slightly. And what you're meant to do is drink 3 doses of brew before you drink 1 dose of restore. So if you're drinking 1 brew, then restoring back up, drinking a brew dose, restoring up, you're going to lose your brews and your restores very quickly. And unfortunately for C8Q, that's just what he did. And he could have definitely won that fight. I mean, he could have gone through.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think one of the only differences as to where you might want to utilize just like one brew sip is if you were to try to like animation delay your opponent so they don't know that you're going to switch into, say, for example, your melee weapon, which you're going to then use to special attack. You can use the potion drinking animation, which will then hide your next animation, and it's pretty effective, but quite clearly when you're not looking at how many restores you have left as opposed to how many times you're trying to do that, it can work to your disadvantage too.
It looks like Psych, Jer, Justice, and Solar Mission have all gone through in the first phase by the looks of things. I just saw Manx and Psych actually conferring right there, looking at each other. Yes, we made it, boys. Only a few more rounds left to go now before we take that money home to our boys Blazers. And Justice too, as we said before, one of the previous demo mode winners 2 tournaments ago, I believe it was. So it'll be interesting to see if he can win another one. Unfortunately, last tournament he went out in the multi-phase. He got ganged up on.
That's one way to put it.
But he's back now. He's made the 1v1s. He's got a great shot now to prove that if you die in the multi-phase, it's not the end of the world. There's always next time, and he's coming back.
Yeah, it happens to everyone. I think everybody that comes back saying, last time I got speared. It is what it is. Happens to a lot of people. It got focused out this time. You saw how he was playing it at the GDZ area. They made sure that they got early control so that he could stay alive. And for the most part, like, he kept himself out of harm's way, right? Every time he took damage, like, he ran back, he was hugging the wall. He even had time, like, him and Jer or Psych, they had time to trade each other food, like, mid-fight. Like, you don't really see that often in multi-fights, especially like this. But they were making sure that they kept their high-priority, like, members alive with full supplies.
Yeah. And as a reminder as well, beyond this point now, their inventories have been reset. Any Phoenix necklaces, any potions, any food has been completely removed from their inventory entirely, and everyone's given the exact same amount of supplies, which I'm not 100% sure what the exact numbers are, but it's around 20 sharks, a couple of Karamwans, a super combat, a range potion, couple brews, couple restores.
Yeah.
So same inventories. It all comes down to basically whatever gear they have. They've accumulated throughout the week, whatever stats they managed to level up beyond level 94, of course, because now everyone is at least level 94 stats.
And of course their skill.
And their skill, yeah, more importantly, how good they are with clicking and switching their styles and outplaying their opponent and reading them. It's all mind games in old school RuneScape, and really it comes down to experience in a lot of situations.
And we do have a lot of experienced players that seem to have been able to make it through here. Obviously the guys on stage themselves pretty experienced, but a lot of players that we just obviously don't get the opportunity to see the fights when we have 256 players battling against one another. So we're obviously going to be seeing more closer knitted fights now, being able to follow them a little bit easier, and as the waves progress through, that's only going to get easier for us to obviously show you everything that's going on. And I believe once we get down to the stage of the semi-finals, we will be playing them one at a time, so we have the opportunity to follow each player through each fight, and we won't be able to like miss anything like currently we do. It's just not feasible, obviously, for us to watch 128 fights individually at the start.
Just like that, though, there was 256 people in, now there's 128.
Yep.
It goes down very rapidly in a matter of a few more minutes. Obviously, we're going to jump into the next round as well, where there will be only 32 left after that. Sorry, 64, I can't do maths, left after that one, then 32, 16, 8, and so on and so forth. Looking on stage right now, these guys getting ready to start their battles, and I think we're going to jump in any second now. Justice looking really calm, and like I said before with Psych, he's not flinched once, man. He's got into the classical music. Maybe Mank's giving him a little tip there.
He's putting him on. And just adding on to Aiza's point real quick, it's really tough to know who is exactly who with all the name changes that happen, right? Obviously in the multi-stage, just to prevent yourself from getting sniped out from a rival clan or a rival team, you want to change it up, and you want to have something that's similar to the rest of your clanmates, just to make it difficult for you to call, you to get focused out. So the team at Jackets does a great job, letting us know who's who. So we can
thankfully I do have some intel, and I'll reveal that as and when we get to their fights. We did miss a few because obviously things happen, and
there's a lot of fights going on at one time.
Yeah, we've got, as I say, some very strong players. I know that Mank, Justice, and Psych are all definitely through. I've got their names, so when they do appear, I shall let you know.
Oh, fantastic! Look forward to that as well. What's your guys' opinions then? You still think you're going for Psych?
Yeah, I'm still going for Psych.
Yeah, I mean, given what's happened, a lot of the players that would have been in Anacol will have some pretty strong gear, and if they have Tribid, they're going to be going up against ranged tank, and they're aware of that now, so they can definitely prepare for that. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens. Obviously, these first round, there was a lot of range tank fights there, and we could clearly see that those that had Tribrid were literally dominating. I don't think we saw any fight where there was a range tank versus a Tribrid that ended up losing.
Guy, dude, sorry to interrupt, but look at Ranger Boots, man. He's going against this absolute machine. This guy in all his gears, got the Mage's Book, everything. He's got the Armadillo chest plate and the ACB as well.
I will tell you,
Ranger Boots have Venge?
Guess who this machine is?
I don't know the machine. I know that Ranger Boots is part of Blazers.
So Koff Tommy is Justice. Full Justice on stage.
Okay.
Yeah.
So these two guys have been alliance the entire week, and finally they're setting that aside, and they are fighting with a chance to win, obviously, the $32,000 grand prize. I believe if either team is going to hit, oh my god, the 46 VLS showing the true potential via Black D-Hide, and just in general, like making it this far. 49 as well, catching off prayer once again.
Honestly, if I'm Ranger Boots, I log into this fight, I am logging out.
Yeah.
Look how many rings of recall in the event. What are they for?
The reason why he's got rings of recall, obviously, you get even the exact same amount of food every single inventory.
Of course, so he's left that on the floor.
Yeah, because he always
This is just this POV we're seeing right now. We really get to see how fast he can be switches. He might have just accidentally dragged that plate body, but other than that, he seems to be doing a pretty good job. Oh, that's
my god!
KO!
Wow!
No
that was like the
way,
fastest fight I think we've ever seen.
Wait,
Justice really
this
showed
guy
his worth.
didn't even eat.
That was insane. You know what else you should probably do right now? It's bowing. There you go. Thanks for the action, mate. You should probably pick up those Ring of Recalls to utilize later on in the fights. Now we have level 121 versus 125. Of course, both of these players
Let's go, Bob. That's Manked Up Mage.
Let's go. Is that Manked Up Mage?
It is indeed, yeah.
Fantastic. Well, he's actually, unfortunately, losing by quite a landslide. This guy against him, in level 121 combat, has got an absolutely insane advantage right now. He's using the full Arim switch as well, which is really surprising. If he actually wins this fight with an Ancient Staff 2 and a Rune Crossbow, he's going to be an absolute unit because he can get the Dragon Crossbow from Manx. He's going to get the Staff as well and a VLS. This guy can go all the way. Now, Manx to stay completely calm and look at his focus right now on the screen.
Unfortunate for Manx as well. He froze his opponent, but he's just been instantly froze back. He was probably had that opportunity to use it to step under, and it's just not able to utilize that now. We're looking at Mank's POV now. We can see him just trying to sort out his prey. It looks like he's being told to stop shaking by his opponent. But we've seen what happens with one VLS hit is enough to just cause a complete amount of damage to your opponent. Justice really showed us how powerful that can be.
And we've also seen people talk trash to Mank mid-fight and go on to lose it. It's definitely not something you want to do. Now, something I want to point out quickly, you can't see his character model because he renders himself invisible, right? So he could always see when people are DDing under him what attack style to pray.
Obviously, there's the disadvantage of that, obviously, is that you can't see exactly what you've got wielded, so it does
or what the other person's even hitting on you.
It does require a lot of skill to be able to know exactly what you're doing or what damage you're taking, and look at your HP bar at the top as well. But if anyone can do it, Manx most certainly can. He's now down to only 5 Sharks, 1 Karamwan versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. A lot more, basically. Quite a lot more. Unfortunately, we just got feedback as well that Robert has fallen, the DDS warrior himself. Everyone knows iconically from previous demo mode seasons, running around and taking an absolute, giving a nightmare to all the fishers at Cafferby docks, that's for sure. But Manx right now, catching the freeze finally, can he do any step unders? Potentially.
Whilst these two players just restocking Karen fight now. Never mind, this might be it for Manx. No, the HP is back full. I'll quickly just go through this. Players that are currently through the 128, as of the 128 starting, Fools 38 members, GG 25 members, Lit 16 members, and there's a lot of clanless or unknowns. So, for example, Blazers, can't fully identify them.
Mank now has the advantage in this fight.
Yep,
he's got more food. He's got more restores as well. Slowly but surely, he's gaining an advantage. And now he has a chance to go on top of this fight. He catches that freeze. This could be a pivotal moment in the fight, as now he could DD under his opponent, maximizing his amount of damage. Let's see if he can take advantage of this moment.
It's crazy that he's actually down so much food in that, and a couple of lucky VLS specs actually making him come back. And the VLS wax as well can actually hit like a God Sword, basically. It's like swinging an Armadillo God Sword, except it's slightly faster and similar accuracy. We've just got news as well that Manked Up Mage's teammate Psych has made it through to the next round. Another player on stage, beating Mank to do it as well. And right now, Mank to be able to stay in this fight and come back, despite the guy flaming him out and saying all this stuff. That goes
if I
to
was
show.
in Mank's shoes right now, I'd be talking so much trash.
Well, we all know Mank is a very calm player. I'm sure that kind of talk is not going to impact him. I'd be very surprised if we saw anything back. His main focus is not trying to belittle his opponent. It's to actually win, and then that is the sweetest victory. Why bother trash talking when actions speak louder than words? And Mank is going to show those actions right now.
And he gets himself an upgrade as well if he does defeat this opponent, gives himself the DFS, the Dragon Fire Shield, which gives you the best defense bonuses probably, and as well as a few offensive bonuses for melee as well in this gear setup. So that's a pretty big
that's really nice
benefit to having from the Crystal Shield.
And just like that, Yar is out of food as well. Mank now still has 3 Sharks and 1 Karambwan left.
It looks like that's all she wrote, though, to be fair. He's got free food, like you said, in the Karam one. I don't think this other guy can come back. Even with a few lucky specs, he's got 40% right now. And it looks like the guy actually emptied his shield so that Mankt, if he picks it up now, he will not get a fully charged DFS, which means that the Crystal Shield is still his best in slot. Really smart strategy from his opponent.
Well, he did say misclick, but I remember earlier on in this fight, we could see Mankt, he actually used it. So you get two uses of that shield. You can explode the charges. He's used it once already, and he's clearly
that was
just
a chance right there. Mankt could have died right there from the DDS spec. He was in robes, fairly low HP. Now he's going to eat on up. Has almost double his opponent's HP, so still in control. Just has to finish the job.
One left as well.
Oh, his opponent has no prayer left either. That's
I mean, this guy can't really do much now. Second Mank something frozen. He's going to hit a 50 VLS to the guy, and he won't be able to do much about it. He's down to, what, 20 HP now? Not much he can do. There's the 9.
Players out of food. However, Mank's obviously got the HP advantage here. And
the prayer advantage.
one more good hit, and then it's just putting him through to... There it is, straight away.
Fantastic. One of the fan favorites, of course, with the streamers going through as well. Stinky Skillsy, unfortunately, falling to 0M. We have Games of War as well, another name that I recognize from, maybe not from Blazers, actually, one of my friends from back in pre-AC, actually. It's really good to see one of my mates make it so far as well. And giving the respect as well to Random Name, who he falls to.
Some really nice fights we've managed to see in this this section of the 1v1s. Lots of players falling under a lot of different varieties of gear as well. So
is that the DS2 cape that guy's got?
Yeah, the Mythic.
Yep, Mythic cape from Hardcore Failure. So yeah, that's crazy to be able to do that quest as well. And he's also got Vengeance too, so that's fantastic.
It's a really close fight.
And the smite flicks as well, really interesting.
Oh yeah, he's got no prayer left.
And that guy, We Are South 110 as well, has the staff too, which is, yeah, a really big benefit to his team. So to take that out already, the 38 whip, taking him his arms, he can't get frozen. Really, really good matchup there for him. We
have Zerf something that he's going to utilize, though, given the fact he's using Vengeance.
He's probably not going to utilize it, but at least it means that his opponents now, or anyone else that he goes up against, isn't going to have a chance of getting that staff. Yeah. It's now been removed altogether. Oh, that was close. That last DDS spec coming in clutch for World War II. Congrats to him as well.
And I just got word that when we saw Mankt take out his opponent, the DFS that he picked up was fully charged.
It was now off.
Yeah, because when they drop to the floor, they fully charge. You re-pick it back up, so he gets those charges back. So actually, that will be a nice upgrade for him. Yeah. Hopefully, he's remembered that and picked it up and takes it through to the next round.
And from everyone to take it off as well, some guy that's trash talking you and telling you, you know, are you shaking? Are you okay, bro? And then suddenly, you know, the complete changes, and the guy's like saying, oh, misclicking, dude, misclicking. And Mank sits him down, takes his DFS, and moving on to the next round.
I think his final words were, would have won if I had a VLS. Well, you didn't have one, and you can't really say that.
Could have had one. He had a shot.
Doesn't matter if you win by a mile or an inch. It matters if you win.
And now we're down to 64 players remaining in this next round, so only 32 will go forward. And within a few more rounds, we'll be down to that. Those last few phases, like you said before, is the semi-finals.
Semi-finals onwards, I believe, 1v1, one at a time.
So we can slowly go through it and make sure we don't miss any of the action. I tell you what, Mank's looking really strong. The fact that he came back from that fight despite being down quite a lot of food, I was really surprised to see him down so much. But I mean, if you splash a few hits, it's quite unfortunate. Let's jump into the next round. 64 players remaining right now, and just say 4 going against West, Southeast. Both these players being 124 versus 125. So in their own right, they have gained these levels throughout the entire week. And is that a third age range top that I see? This is Psych that we're watching right now. He's using a third age range top. That's something different, but
I believe they dropped from the global drop table now, so obviously not as rare as something that you would get from a clue.
Oh, no way. A 60 with the Statius Warhammer. I've never seen it hit that high in my life, and not to mention as well that it obviously drains your defense, and that means that Psych's got to utilize some of his restores a bit faster than he had to before.
Oh, followed up by a nice VLS spec, 50 hitting on his opponent there, pretty decent from him.
He's shaking a little bit. You see him messing up some of his switches. Back to the VLS.
Oh, that was a great switch there. Unfortunately, the guy catching it on prey melee, but catching the freeze versus other opponent. Step away, so the other guy can't utilize his Warhammer, but that also means that Psych can't use his VLS either. He still has a lot of specs left though, 2 specs remaining, and will probably regenerate another one throughout the fight. Now, utilizing obviously those mage switches, trying to fake his opponent out, but missing a few of his own switches as well. He's got a couple of recalls at the bottom as well, which is really smart to bring. Obviously, you cannot use the Ring of Suffering in these fights. Faking the melee, forcing his opponent to change prey melee, and then have to catch another freeze again. And again, like I said before, it's just kind of trying to fake your opponent out, make sure they pray the wrong thing, and catching an awesome freeze there into the VLS. But unfortunately, it didn't go off because took it out a little bit too early now.
One thing I really liked about Sykes' play there was whilst they were both frozen in a diagonal, is rather than using Ice Barrage, he was actually using Blood Barrage, trying to get a little bit of an extra heal. It might not deal as much damage, but getting that extra heal in there, saving a little bit of food, every bit counts. We've seen so many fights in the past that have came down to literally the last hit.
Yeah.
And you might as well take advantage of every opportunity you can. A really nice spec coming through. A 42 again on the right
Not
armor
only did he
against
get
the right
the 42, he actually got the priming up as well to stop his opponent from hitting the status Warhammer. He's doing absolute crazy right now, picking up the sharks to the floor, so he had space for those the Ring of Recalls as well. And right now here, obviously, if once he gets that momentum, catches that freeze, he's just not panicking really anymore. He's staying really calm, which is really good to see as well. And looking at the inventories as well. Looking at the inventories right now, he's actually up quite a bit of food, but has no brews left. Decides to use them up really early on. Has enough prayer, has enough restores too, I believe. And a 22 overbought E-Spec. Now, having that Dragon Crossbow in this fight is just so crucial. I'm not too sure who his opponent is right now, but both players in absolute max. I imagine his opponent may well be from Fools, because the guy has a Dragon Crossbow as well, which only Fools and Blazers were able to get hold of. And a really good matchup for these two right now.
Yeah, the thing that, for me, when I watch Syke play that sets him apart from the rest is just like Aiza was pointing out. It's the little things that he consistently does well against other opponents. You'll see that after every attack he does, he's either switching his armor or switching his weapons. So his opponent is constantly wondering, like, oh, he's got his tank armor on. Is he going to melee me? Is he going to range me? Oh, he's got his staff out. Am I going to be maged? And then all of a sudden, at the last possible moment, he switches to what he really wants to attack with. And just like you were saying, whenever he catches that freeze, you see in the first-person view how quick he is to walk under his opponent. It's those little things that really separate you from the rest of the Brids here.
We've just been given information as well that Justice is indeed through to the next round as well, showing the Finnish Fools that they are very proud of him, and it was a good idea to tank him up and give him like the best outfit possible. We saw Manx going through as well there, I believe, and West South actually saying, good fight, dude, to Syke, realizing that, you know, he's taken a bit too much damage a bit too quickly, and it was very neck and neck, very even throughout, but yeah, Syke kept his cool and able to dominate, catching that freeze again. The VLS, obviously there's a lot from him as well, the 47, huge
He's
spec.
done what, like 130 damage at minimum with his spec so far? That's massive.
And the guy's been really respectful as well and saying, like, collect the bolts up. You pretty much won this fight, man. I wanna wish you the best of luck in the end. But yeah, the recoil, the bolts as well, of course, just destroy that guy. And
especially if it's a teammate, right? You want Syke to at least get maxed out.
Good fight, you're too good.
They might be friends, to be fair. He's smiling away, so he's thinking to himself, you know, respect at least, thanks to the free round. Moving into the top 32 now for him. We see HCIM failure versus World War II. World War II went through last round, did really well, really close with a DDS spec at the end, if I recall. But unfortunately, not enough to make him through this round as well. He's down to one prayer point, about to get smited, and hardcore Iron Man failure, most likely making it through.
May have failed in hardcore, but looks to be doing very well in Deadman at the moment, and there he is, taking out World War II.
And respect from GG as well. We like to see that, some honourable conduct within the Demo tournament arenas. Zeef now taking on Ali Tbig. Ali Tbig, I believe, is from Lit, although I could be wrong there.
His leather skirt broke?
No. It is broken.
Well, I mean, if he's been using it throughout the tournament and maybe didn't repair it before the final hour, it could have just actually broke, so now he's unable to utilize it. So
if he loses the fight because of that,
it looks like he might well do, actually, because Ali right now... Oh, actually, no.
Well, I don't see a ranged weapon, so it's only really going to give the...
he's got... Wait, now that I'm looking at it, he's got 2 whips in his inventory. He's got 2 DDSs in his inventory. What's this guy doing?
Maybe they're clanmates, maybe it was a panic, and poor Ali here doesn't want him to die, but I think it's inevitable. It's just going to have to happen unless he just decides not to eat.
They may be teammates, so obviously I believe that Ali wants like Zeef to go through, but then Zeef's like, actually, mate, you probably want more chance than I do. I'm worse.
I think Zeef is saying a naughty way of saying he's not very good, so...
Bless him. Looks like, though, I'm pretty sure Zeef is going to still take this one regardless. Wait, no. Is Ali going to come back with, like, no food? He's taking off his armor. He's coming down to the wire right now.
He realizes how close it actually is.
I know, he could have easily won this, but he's
still winning one hit.
One hit to do with it? Chuck out the ball. Go on, chuck it out. Put your helmet back on, dude. Or your kite shield. Oh, no. Zeef going through. Lolly says, that's all you can really say about that one. He's got an Odium Ward as well there. Some really nice range, offensive, and some good defense armor too. Tubby with the spec, hitting a 0 javelin, unfortunately. Both down to 0 supplies versus Valerian right now. Tubby lucky enough to get to 119 combat from the bug. Valerian earned the 121 on his own, and it's neck and neck right now. Tubby utilizing the DD mechanic. He has no special attack left. He's got to get lucky, get the guy off prayer. Valerian catching a ball on ropes potentially, but gets the redemption prayer back up again as well. Easy for Tubby, he says. It's not over yet, mate. He thought he won.
We still have one prayer dose as well, so
no.
Unless there's one big hit coming in from Tubby, there's no chance to bring this back, and it looks like that might have been the mistake that he just made. Oh, that was a redemption heal up. He has no prayer left, no way to restore that now. Valerian he's got his chance. He's just got to get one more hit. 8 damage is all it's going to take. However,
hit him, Tubby.
Valerian, if he gets hit at 30,
I don't think you could look for a freeze in this scenario.
He's got full arms as well.
How have they not hit anything yet? Come on.
The guy's defense
Come on, Tubby, do
rocking
something.
that K-top and
so many misclicks coming through, and Tubby has just fallen. I think there were so many times of trying to panic that barrage, and it just, as he said there, whatever.
Yeah, whatever, I lose.
Easy for Tubby, easy for Valerian in the end as he moves on to the round of 32.
Yeah, and we still have on stage right now Manked, Psych, and Justice all making it through to the next round. Have we got to stay something on solo mission, or did he go out earlier?
I
believe solo mission and skill
Falador.
specs unfortunately weren't able to get back into the game.
Again. But yeah, that's 3 Titans of the arena right now making it through, and their teams must be very, very happy with them about that one. I think the last time Slight did get into a tournament finale and not get sniped in multi, like I said before, he ended up winning it, unfortunately, to get disqualified for breaking rules. But both him, Mank, Justice, they've all got a fantastic chance of making it through the whole way. It could be anyone's game, really.
Yeah, we saw that one fight from Justice. The only thing he ate was like 1 brew set.
Yeah, and he spec'd the guy out, didn't he, with the VLS, which was
the most of it was probably just to free up invent space at that point. He was completely dominating that fight, and he did, like as I said before, I think he's coming back with an absolute vengeance to win. Considering what happened to him last tournament, being speared out and instantly dying, not even getting that chance. He's won before, Sykes won before, Manx won before. 3 absolute machines when it comes to PvP, and especially Deadman experience.
No, absolutely right now. And yeah, it's really come down to it now. Money is on the line, of course, $32,000 in grand prizes. But you need to be top 4 to actually claim one of those winnings. 20,000 for first, 10,000 for second, and then third and fourth get 1,000 each, with the top 16 getting a year's membership. Anyway, enough of that. Let's jump in to another fight. We have Koff versus Tribe by the looks of things.
He's got the 30 drain van braces.
And this guy Koff has got some insane gear bonuses right now. Who was this again?
Isn't this Justice?
Is this Justice?
Yeah, that's full Justice.
Yes, this is Justice, and he's got the AC top as well. Armadillo chest plate, which is helping out a lot. And the Mage's Book and the DFS, the VLS. Like, this guy's kitted out with absolute crazy gear. Probably the best geared player in this tournament finale right now.
Yeah, like I said when he was going up against Ranger Boots, if I'm in this scenario and I'm fighting against a guy, ACB, Armadillo top, Mage's Book, VLS, I'm just logging out. There's no shot.
And I mean, at the end of the day, though, you may as well fight up until the end and just give it your best shot, because anything can happen. Right, okay, fair enough, the DDS might not be as strong as the VLS, but looking at Fool's POV now, we can really just see how much he's done this fight. What a hit, a 39. This poor guy needs a gilded
that was off
shield.
prayer as well. Could have gotten there as well, and try and go for that freeze again, and just, like I said before, create that momentum. And once you start, just destroying your opponent, get a few lucky hits, they're panicking, they're missing switches. Although saying that, getting hit at 30.
Wow, that could have been a chance there.
If it wasn't the right prayer, luckily for Justice, he did get his prayer up right in the nick of time. But that was 14, 15 spec through prayer. Would have been like I don't know, almost a 30-30 really DDS spec, which would have been insane.
I think one of the things that I've really appreciating from looking at Justice POV right now is that even though he's making mistakes, which everyone does, he recovers really well. So if he misclicks his barrage, for example, he'll step away to make sure that the next tick he attacks on isn't going to be delayed, and then he can just switch back again. Even if he puts into the wrong gear, he'll put himself into tank, wait for the next opportunity, rather than trying to force it and potentially put himself in danger.
And if you're looking to learn PvP or to learn breeding in particular, man, see what he's doing, how he's switching. He's changing to a weapon, making his opponent think that he's going to do a certain attack style. But obviously he's got Tribe, he's got 3 different attack styles. Depending on what they're praying, he'll go straight into something else. And this opponent is not very great at predicting it. But at the same time, if you're fighting someone in this gear and you've only got range and melee yourself, there's not really much you can do, is there?
He is doing a really good job of just putting in the right hits when he needs to against the wrong prayer of his opponent. Or the right prayer of his opponent, the opponent putting the wrong prayer up. And well, you can literally see the difference on screen right now. I believe that Justice may even have some food on the floor that he's probably not picked up. And his opponent just has 2 sharks, 2 crown buns left, 2 doses of brew, and only 2 real attack styles that he's utilising.
I've just heard as well that apparently Pig Money, one of the +1s that came to the event as behalf of the players on stage, one of the Blazers boys, he's actually playing on a laptop downstairs with all the Jagex moderators sitting around, and he's actually still in the fight. So if we could jump over to his fight again at some point and know who he is in game, that'd be fantastic to see as well. Who knows, maybe a player actually at the event, but not on the main stage, might win.
Well, it'd be the perfect opportunity for them to get straight on there and accept the victory, because...
I wonder if Sweet is still in it as well. I know he was able to upgrade his gear at the end of the multi-fight. I wonder how long he made it, because even though he's a little bit rusty, right? He still used to be a formidable Brit.
Definitely.
I think we just got word that Justice actually made it through. We just switched across from the fight. It wasn't going to be, isn't going to be doing so well. Apparently, Sweet Badass may have made it through.
Really? Oh, That'd be fantastic to hear as well right now.
This guy's got a Sears ring too, even though it's unimbued, still helpful.
Yeah, definitely that plus, is it +6 now they've changed it to from +4? So yeah, definitely makes a difference. We have Just Say as well versus PE9 right here. Again, both players not being 119 combats. They've changed their stats themselves throughout the whole entire week. And both in crazy gear as well. I mean, looks like Just Say 4 is Psych, actually. My apologies again, I keep forgetting his OSRS. A lot of names to follow in this tournament. And he walks in there, the guy brings out the VLS, but he just steps away. That movement, again, from a pure hybrid. He's very, very accomplished in this movement.
Man.
And he's just like, yes, just sliding all over the place. His opponent can't really keep track of him and finds it much harder to click, especially when, in a situation like this, you know.
Trying to catch a barrage.
If you're trying to catch a barrage, you're panicking a little bit. Yeah, and he's just going all over the place. And as you can see here right now, just running around in circles and just destroying his opponent. Good fight, respect from the Blazers. And picks up the Mithril Seeds too to add to the pile and gets a few more runes and supplies as well.
Turns out the PI9 was actually part of Fools.
Was part of Fools as well. We have Hobby here right now versus Blackjack. And
word's coming in that Hobby is Ia Mary.
Really, the Fools leader.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And he's utilizing, by the looks of things, Vengeance, although he's down a lot of supplies, a lot of food to Blackjack.
He's really going to have to try and use that redemption to pull him through and get a few nice
got an
hits.
AGS.
And the downside is here, if he actually loses this fight here, he's going to feed the opponent, who is then going to have a higher chance of beating players like Fool's Justice that are representing Finland for Ia Mary's team as well. He's got some really good luck here. He's got Vengeance, I believe. He's got the recoils. His opponent's got... Oh, that only takes us that 38 spec right there to change it around. And unluckily for Blackjack, he just keeps hitting zeros with the Armadur Godsword hits.
A one hit with that AGS pops off and he's dead. Only 41 HP left on Ia Mary here. Bolt shot goes in. That's a 36. There's a chance for him to take this.
Just like that, they're both at equal food.
Oh,
Vengeance
no
coming
way.
through.
He's dead here.
Spec. No way.
Wow. He came back from that.
No food at all. 41 HP the entire time.
That was insane. Going through, you know, taking falls with him, hopefully all the way to the final for his team. We have Valerian versus Berg right now.
He can pick up the AGS as well if he wants over the VLS. Use that as a swing weapon potentially.
I still think the VLS is probably better there. He's not going to pick it up. And but overall, you know, he must be so over the moon.
Takes the win as well.
That's insane to see Ia Mary going through after like being down, what, 3 or 4 sharks, thinking the hybrid was going to win there, but he kept his cool. He got his prey mage up in the perfect ticks, and yeah, goes to show that it's not over till it's over, really, is it?
Anything could happen, and now what? We're moving into the round of 16.
I believe this is the semi-finals or the quarterfinals.
Round of 16.
Round of 16.
Yeah.
Okay, so we won't be going through all of these fights one at a time.
It will be the next one from here. One at a time they'll go through.
Wow.
So these should be pretty easy for us to follow because we'll be able to see the fights in the corners pretty close upon the screen. But
it's nice to know who everyone is.
Yeah, no, exactly. Those last few fights that we saw there were absolutely insane. So many like last-minute turns, absolute clutch victories, huge specs as well. The VLS really showing its strength, and also the Armadur crossbow. Okay, Ia Mary might have been down on food, but he has the Armadur plate skirt, or Armadur chain body, the one that you wear on your chest, you know, and then obviously the Armadur crossbow, so he's got better magic defense, he's got better ranged accuracy against his opponent who's just using barrows.
He's got the DFS as well, and no one else has Vengeance, like I said before. That strategy of locking down Shiloh Village, 4 Fools and Blazers, clearly paying off here. No one else, only the ranged attacks they're up against, have that really useful spell to use, which really diminishes your opponent's food supplies whenever they go for those big specs with the VLS, for example. So be interesting to see like just how far he can go with this setup. As in the past, we've seen tanks going all the way or very close to the finals. Maybe he'll go up against his Fool's Justice guy and have to decide like who goes through next, the guy with the tank and the Vengeance, or the guy on stage who has won and taken home money for Finland in the past.
Look at that little cheeky smile as well on Justice. He is so happy to be where he is right now.
He's got to know how well he's doing too. I mean, the fights that we've seen him in haven't really even been close. The most we've seen him eat was off the back of that DDS spec.
Yeah, and it's been a long week for all of these players, of course. Starting out as level 3 last Saturday, and they've had 1 week now to train up their accounts as best they possibly can to get the best gear possible with their team, whether that's controlling Godwall's dungeon or going to the wilderness to get the weapons as well. These guys are, you know, some of the best hybrids and the best PKers in this game, and they also stand a chance of winning $32,000. Of course, you have Manx, previous winner as well, and recently coming up from his All-Stars victory a few months ago, you know, he took home, I think it was 20,000, I think, from the All-Stars event as well.
Didn't lose a single fight.
And he didn't lose a single fight, 15-0. And today, again, he's not lost a fight so far, and he very well could go the whole way. So could everyone on the stage. So can Ia Mary. It's still anyone's game.
Anyone's game, as we say. I think we're going to be saying that for
we have said that so many times today, man. It's been a long show, man. But we're going to jump into the next one very shortly, guys. Let us know via the hashtag as well. Was it Deadman Spring hashtag?
Yep.
Deadman Spring. Let us know who your money's on, who you think's going to go furthest. And as always, thank you for tuning in and checking out the game. Once this tournament ends, actually, as a reminder, the seasonals do begin straight off the bat. So make sure you've got membership, you can jump into the game straight away and take part in the carnage that is Deadman mode.
And it is carnage.
It is, yeah,
especially
especially
few
the
hours. So very interesting, but also very enjoyable as well. So maybe be one of those guys that just goes and grabs your training staff, get a few early magic levels, go and buy some runes and just kill everyone going to the stronghold of security. I love seeing that.
Yeah, man.
You just fire strike someone in one hit.
The rush.
Especially when they're coming back out and you just loot their 5-10Ks every single time and just absolutely hightail it out of there. Put that money into some items, whack it in your deposit box and then go and level.
Is it against the rules to put a bounty on someone's head? Because I want to put a 10 mil bounty on Aiza's head.
What, in Deadman mode?
Yeah.
What? I think that's fine, dude. I'll take that 10 mil happily.
Let's go. 10 mil on Aiza's head. Send me the kill pick.
All right, okay. All right, bring it on, boys.
Kill that rune crafter.
I'm going to be one tanky boy, that's for sure.
All right, as we look forward, the round of 16 should be beginning shortly. Of course, we have 3 favorites on the stage. Manked Up Mage, Psych, and Fool's Justice still in play. I think they're some of the favorites. Of course, we don't know everybody who's still remaining. We know that Mary is still one of the final 16, but you never know who's out there. I wonder if there are any non-Fools / Blazers still competing.
It'd be interesting to see, yeah, definitely. We did see quite a few of the Yellow Capes making it through from the final phase. They could be out there. It's not just a Fools Blazers tournament right now in the 1v1 stage. 256 players did go through, which is an awful lot. But yeah, these guys have been playing all week together as an alliance. But now, you know, they're fighting for their own clans, for Blazers and for Fools as well, as is every other...
Their own clan, their own pride, and their own rewards.
Definitely, yeah, man. And like we said before, that sometimes these clans, when they win the money, they use it on, you know, events and all that kind of stuff as well. For example... The Fools guys, when they last won 2 tournaments ago, they went on a massive cruise
together
for like 40, 50 people.
They're looking to like host a huge party this time around.
In a big mansion, I think.
Yeah. So a real quick update as to why there's been a little bit of a delay. Don't worry, there are no issues this time. We're allowing the players to log out and then log back in just in case they get 6-hour logged. Some of these players have been on training all day, and if they get nerd logged in the middle of a 1v1, that's not going to be the best thing to happen. So you get a little chance now to just take a quick breather, log back in, reset that streak, and then keep on playing through for the rest of the evening. So once that's done, we'll be jumping straight into it, and
in a second now.
The carnage will ensue.
Who's been the most impressive that you guys have seen so far throughout the 1v1s?
Based on switches, I would say Psych and Justice, and I love Manked. He's a really genuine guy, amazing hybrid. Obviously, he destroys everyone. He's still in it. I think he can go far. But based on just switches alone and yeah, the combos people have been using, I'm watching Psych and Jer right now. Sorry, Psych and Justice right now. Same person.
You're watching him twice.
Very closely, because just the way, like I said before, Psych moves around the map, the way he fakes out his opponents, and same with Justice. They've had a lot of experience, a lot of practice in this, and it's a very quick and fast-paced fight. And once they create that momentum, they really utilize it well. But at the same time, man, Manked, he was down a bunch of food to the other guy, had an amazing comeback. So
just fueled the retribution.
I'm really impressed just to watch everyone, to be honest. They're all fantastic PKs in their own right, dude.
There have been some amazing fights. I'm really looking forward to what happens in the next few rounds. But I think if I had to put money on this right now, I'd put it on Justice.
Justice?
Yeah.
You changed from Psych?
Well, it was before it was gimme, skill specs, unfortunately not here. Psych is doing fantastic. However, Justice has the experience of being on stage. Before, I noticed that there were a few mistakes that Psych was making, albeit little. I think Justice did a really good way of recovering whenever he made a mistake. I think one thing that might end up giving him the advantage was Psych obviously utilizing Blood Barrage during his fights. But I think Justice has done really well, so I'm going to vote for him for this.
Okay. I'm gonna go with Psych, I think. I'm gonna say that he's definitely got the opportunity to go through. I see him smiling there. Yes, Psych, you can do it, buddy. Go all the way, mate. Make Blazers proud. He's one of the guys that, like, even like years ago, before I knew him, really, when I was a pure PK hybrid, I remember going around, and that was the one guy I didn't want to run into in the wilderness, man, because he just decimate me and destroy me.
What do you think, Revan? Who's your money on?
My money's still on Psych.
Okay.
Just the way I've watched him play, you know, his movement around the map, like, yeah. I think the little things, like I said before, he just does better than everybody else out there. He's always DDing under his opponent. He's always throwing multiple fakies at his opponent, not just one switch to fakie them out. He'll do multiple. Like, it's so tough to read what attack style he's actually going to go with against you. And I think that's something, those mind games that he plays is really going to help him, especially now that we're in the round of 16.
So we have had one player who's disconnected. We're going to give them a few minutes to log back in. Thankfully, we have the opportunity to do that right now, and it also gives me the perfect chance to give a quick update in terms of the breakdown of players and who they are representing. So we currently have 2 members from Blazers. We have 8 members from Fools.
Wow.
1 member still in it from GG, gimme. So that'll be interesting to see. 3 lit members, and then there are 2 players which we have no idea where they're from. They could be a solo player, they could be part of a clan that we've not been able to trace or track. Who knows? So we'll find out if they become the winner, and we can go from there.
If there's only 2 Blazers members left in this finale, that means both the Ys on stage are the last remaining forces of Blazers, because I believe Psych and Manct both are.
Yep.
But yeah, 8 people from Falls into the top 16. That's wild, man. They must be really liking their chances right now. Maybe not potentially getting, well, they've got just a good chance of getting first place, but that's what they want. But even to get 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and to take some money home, it's looking really likely for them.
And even with the odds against them, Lit Alliance doing fantastic to get 3 members through this far, especially when there would be disadvantage without the, you know, Lunas, no Vengeance, potentially no Dragon Crossbows, maybe even not any God Wars dungeon items. Again, it's going to be so interesting to see how this pans out now.
And I mean, at this point as well, if you're into the top 16, you've had enough fights where you may be fought someone that's better geared than you, and if you've been able to beat them, that's a huge upgrade that isn't essential right now, because we've seen people like Justice, even the Mage's Book switch. Like, who brings a Mage's Book, man? But I mean, that Mage bonus and the switching from the tank sheet as well is clearly really beneficial, because catching that freeze is just essential, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that unknown players, just hearing back from backstage, are potentially also included within that Blazers group. So it might be looking at like 4 or so Blazers members. I think there's 3 in the building alone that are still in, because we have the players that are in the LAN area as well. So yeah, it just shows that sometimes it's just difficult if they've got a brand new account, never had any affiliation. It's you know, trying to figure that out. But
it also really goes to show how impactful their strategy was. I mean, you might sit back and laugh at them for spending like 80+ hours just watching the Shiloh Village door, but it was for a reason, right? They want to take that cash home at the end of the day, and they're willing to do whatever it takes, you know, whether it's staring at that door for multiple hours, you know, just to limit what the competition can get. And you could clearly see how impactful it is in these final fights.
And I'm really impressed, actually, like I said before, about Lit getting through with only a couple members, because they were just dominating so much in multi, the Falls and Blazers Alliance, and with GG as well. So for those guys to still have, you know, a couple people in, like representing a really big alliance is awesome. And all it takes is that one solo player to, you know, who just to be an absolute machine when it comes to just being quick on the sticks and being able to like change his prayers really well and being well geared and well boosted up by his opponents.
They'll have won some fights as well now against opponents that were probably better geared, so they're going to have upgrades. And
I can imagine pretty much everyone right now in this tournament finale has like a VLS or a stat warmer. If you're not going into the final now, into a fight without a VLS, it's just like...
Yeah, I don't want to see any
that's
DDS.
so bad. No DDSs, please.
Then again, how cool would it be to see someone DDS on the ropes, max hit? Ooh, yeah, I'll take that.
Well, no one's got piety, so I doubt it's going to happen. We'll see, I guess. We'll see.
Well, those that do have piety have got a VLS.
Yeah, and they've got a VLS anyway. Yeah, good point. Ian Merry as well has made it into the Falls leader before. He had the tank gear, the DFS, the Armadillo chest plate, and he also had the ACB2 and Vengeance. And I think he's got a really good opportunity as well to go, you know, really far. We've seen him in the top 4, top 8 before, and just not making it through. This might be his time to shine, you know.
Maybe.
I think he can go all the way as well.
Well, we always see range tanks make it pretty far, you know, whether it's like the round of 8, round of 4, we've even seen some in the finals. I mean, think back to a couple of Deadmans ago where it was all about Verox.
Verox and just the tanks in general. No, absolutely. But we are going to be jumping in very shortly, guys. So please be patient, letting our players just jump in again and relog just in case they have the 6-hour log. But any moment now, the next round is going to start. So we're down
our countdown, and here we go. The first fight we're going to see is Kof Tommy against Mars 13 kilometers, both with VLS, both with Armadillo top, and it looks like one with a Dragonfire shield and a nice close-up of Justice face. That really threw me off there. I was not expecting it.
I'm pretty sure Kof is actually Justice, I believe.
That is correct,
as I can tell from the Mage's Book at the bottom, which he's opted not to utilize in this fight. Obviously, one extra switch, probably not worth it at this point when he's against an opponent who is very good as well. Look at his every single game tick. This guy against Justice is constantly switching in between his different weapons.
So just opting for the extra defense then, in case?
Just opting for the extra defense, as well as just to try and throw his opponent off, so he prays the wrong thing. And I mean, it's kind of working, but at the same time, looks like Justice is absolutely, you know, smashing this guy, not eating a single food apart from a bit of bruise, getting those specs in nice and early as well, but being caught in his tracks by that freeze from Mars. So important that he gets that freeze there as well. Mars opting for a very similar setup as well. He's got the DFS, the Armadillo chest plate as well. So this is pretty much the most matched fight we're going to have this early on until we get down to the last like 1 versus 1 and the last 4 remaining.
Take a look at how many recoils Mars has in his inventory, possibly 1 equipped as well. I wonder if that's going to make an impact towards the end of the fight.
Yeah, I reckon from these fights, it's around probably use about 2 recalls per fight. So if you've got a recall less than your opponent does, that's 40 extra damage that you're going to hit, which is 2 sharks, which does add up. But I mean, he's got enough of an advantage right now. Justice, unfortunately, not getting the prayer on time there, but luckily for him, only getting hit at 28 by Mars. But it's not over for Mars yet. He's going to catch this freeze. Unfortunately, getting frozen back, though, or rather, quite fortunate for Fool's Justice, who's able to, keep doing that damage whilst tanking at the same time and looking pretty even. But that ACB, those big specs, and that 0 on the right prayer. But just a bit of bad RNG there. Now, Justice actually has no specs. Mars has 3 special attacks almost left, which means that, a couple of good whacks with the VLS hitting a 60 or something. It's just a completely game changer right there. 12, unfortunately, on the right prayer for him.
And you'll see Justice just like trying to camp that melee prayer as much as possible because he really does not want to get taken out with that right now. We actually have Justice POV right now. It actually turns out that they're both players from Fools, and even so, they are showing a pretty damn impressive fight. Not either one deciding to let the other go through. Probably to put a bit of pride on the line now to turn around and say, I beat you, Justice.
Well, it also is that, like, obviously you want your team, you're the best hybrid to represent your team, and if, there's any question of who the best hybrid is, this is where it matters, if someone beats the other person, they're fair and square, they've made it through to the next round. But, I mean, either way, these guys are going to be happy with the result of this one, man. They've made it into the top 8 pretty much, Fools. They've got a secured spot and a chance, if they win the next round as well, one of these guys, a chance of taking home some money. Even if it's just $1 grand, it's a chance of the 20,000 first place prize. But it's not over just as yet. Catching that freeze, unfortunately getting hit a 33 back. These guys have probably fought each other countless times before this finale in preparation, practicing as best they can to try and get as best as they can, really. Because if you can beat the best hybrid in your clan, or you're able to match them, that says something in itself as well, of course.
And one thing that this is going to be advantageous for them, even though it's Fools versus Fools, it's going to prevent one of the opposing teams getting those upgraded items that they currently have. One thing that's actually really nice touch is that both players actually have the Major Inner 2 cape, so they're going to have a slight increase of accuracy in terms of magic as well as magic damage. I don't think I've seen many people actually have that completed. If you look at the fight that's just over to the side of the screen, well there you go, there's a 42 KO from it as well, but he was actually wearing just a normal mage cape, so that's just going to be
just say for that Psych.
That's Psych, yeah, Psych making it through of his round as well, so that means the Blaze has been into the top 8 right now, and this is just, neck and neck, but just going a bit ahead right now, it looks like Justice is also out of food, actually. I said that too soon. It's 65.
But there's a lot of HP difference, so unless Mars gets pretty lucky with the next 2 or 3 hits, this
Mars has 2 VLS specs left, which can do a lot of damage too. I don't know why he's not using them. He needs to catch this freeze first, potentially, but if he waits a bit too long, it's all going to be for nothing. Oh,
and there it is, the bolt spec goes through.
But Fool's respect from Finland. So, yeah, the finish making it through, of course, as well. We got.
So, let's go, Bob. This is Manked Up Mage.
It is indeed, who is fighting against
to close out his round 2.
Ringer Hill, who is also representing Blazers as well.
Okay, well, that's pretty much...
Well, he's no longer representing Blazers. He's out of the tournament. Wow, everyone we're switching to is dying. That's Get a Fweeze. He moves on as he takes out CRA.
I saw a Tome of Fire in that pile as well. Quite interesting to see. I see that every day.
So is that all of our round of 16 matches complete? That was a quick round.
Yeah, we're on to the semi-finals now. Top 8.
Last fight there was Fools against Unknown. We're not really sure who Crab Emoji is affiliated to.
Crab Emoji, I love that name.
I mean, you just gotta love the memes, right? That crab has been very prominent.
I've just been told as well, my friend downstairs, Pig Money, he has made it through as well. Really? Blazers guys.
That is pretty impressive.
He was not expecting to get this far, I don't think.
He's just sat down there on his laptop, just like trying to play his heart out.
8, man. And if he makes it through this next round, depending who he gets against him, he's able to do it. He gets himself a grand for the team, and he goes home very happy. Pays for the weekend, I'm sure, as well, coming down to England. He's from the Netherlands, so he's come quite a long way. So yeah, much respect to him, and best of luck in the final as well, champ.
All right, so now our players are going to gear up for the upcoming round of 8. As PureSpan was just mentioning, you win this round, you guarantee yourself some cash, but the road is not over yet. There's still everybody gunning for that first place prize. Still 3 of our members on stage fighting for that cash prize. Manked Up Mage, Psych, and Fool's Justice all still in it.
Absolutely. And like I said before, if they make it through, we're going to see these fights now, the top 8, one at a time. So you guys can see all the action, see every single familiar face and everyone that you've been following throughout the tournament this far to see who can go through. We've got a couple Fools members, a couple Blazers members, and potentially a couple Lit/Unknown members still in the tournament. So it's not a complete Fools-Blazers alliance that's made it this far, but definitely having that piety has given them such a crazy advantage, and just, like I said before, mentioning the multi situation, the permadeath stage, they just dominated that too.
Oh, they did, and it shows when you look at these stats now. The final players are all Fools and Blazers, apart from one, who is representing Lit. So if you come across Turbo Ninja 4 times, that actually is a lit player.
Right.
But then we have 3 members from Fools and 4 members from Blazers still in this tournament.
Wow. So it's a Fools versus Blazers mostly finale, but at the same time, like you said before, Lit could go through and take the win. We're about to jump into a fight now with Manked, one of the fan favorites, like I said before, taking home money before from Demo Tournament, being a winner, as well as taking home the All-Stars victory too.
Speaking of that final Lit member, we're going to see him in this first fight.
Here we go. It's Manked against the Lit player. Manked instantly catching the freeze. His opponent is unfortunately wielding the Gilded Shield, so Manked looks to have a gear advantage. The Turbo Ninja has got a wonderful pet in
This is a tough start. This is a tough start for Turbo Ninja.
Sick pet though, man. Sick pet. But I mean, looking at a freeze right now, it's kind of all over for him. And luckily for Manked, he's catching every single freeze and not getting frozen himself either, and doing a lot of damage. The other guy down a brew, down a couple food. It's going to be really hard to come back to this.
Take a quick note of how many switches Manked's utilizing right now. He actually has multiple Fremnik rings in his invent. I believe he has picked up from an opponent at some point a Seers and an Archer's ring, as well as having a Berserker ring already. So he's just trying to use those as many times as possible. Yeah. Sorry, no, I think it's just a Seers and a Berserker with a recoil.
He's putting a recoil on when his opponent hits him to do a bit of damage back, and then switching to the Seers when everyone's kind of catch that freeze, because that +6 mage bonus makes a big difference as well.
Really must be feeling in the zone right now. However, he's got to focus, because if he is focusing on these switches too much, he might accidentally staff bash like he has then. He might also not have the right prayers up because he's just focusing too much on his gear, and that can be very bad.
It's been a long show.
Now, the nice thing for Manked is he has the Mithril Seeds, so as he gets frozen, right, his opponent can't DD Brit him, as long as there's space for him to move.
Yep, absolutely. And Manked now being hit a 33 on the right prayer. That was crazy. And right now, Manked's POV we're tuning into at the moment. He has no special attack left, deciding to utilize it all very early on. And he's still using the breeding style of not being able to see himself, the render self, which is not something we've seen very much in the tournaments, or maybe it is, we just don't know about it because we can't always see people's perspectives, to be honest. And yeah, right now, it means that he can also see what his opponent's wielding too, so he knows exactly what he should be praying against, whilst also knowing what their overhead prayer is, so understanding what he should be using. And he's actually used this style the whole way through this tournament, which I think is a first. In previous tournaments, when we've seen his perspective, he's not been utilizing this, but he's done very well to make it work for him. And right now, he's got a lot of food left. He's got one special attack of the VLS. That B-Ring Eye as well, going to make a lot of difference. And, of course, the Piety. But he's 68 hit points here. Got to be careful. Chucks on the Prey melee, just in case the guy goes in for the VLS and catches that freeze, essential freeze, as the guy was coming in with the VLS. And now he can start to control the fight, start doing the DDs underneath, and catch his opponent off prayer quite a bit.
Well, I think you can clearly see why he makes himself invisible. He's always on top of his prayer switches, always hitting off prayer. He seems to be on top of everything so far this fight.
Including his opponent, while he's completely deafed on, still got space for the Mithril Seeds. One thing that you can see, especially when you look at his perspective, is just how calm and collected he is with his changing his styles, making sure the prayers are on. There's not really many mistakes coming through. He's not forcing himself to change into gear and try and do different attacks, because he's really just reading his opponent really well.
Yep, and he's definitely, even despite it being actually even sharks right now, I think Mank does have the upper hand. He's always ensuring that he catches that freeze before he does anything. Over damage, over everything. Because if he catches that freeze, he can then start using that render self mechanic and the VLS.
Oh,
that's all she wrote.
I was about to say, considering the disadvantage in gear, Turbo Ninja was doing a fantastic job there of keeping himself in that fight. To be at the stage where they were even on supplies, but it really just goes to show the power of the VLS when you're against the wrong prayer, and that just...
Yeah, definitely, just can't do much about it. And Manked now obviously going through to the top 4 now, which means he's guaranteed himself some prize money. The next fight we're going to see looks to be Hobo versus Just Say 4. Just Say 4, one of the guys on stage.
That would be Psych, yep, and Hobo is Iamiri.
Iamiri, well, of everyone to fight, man. Fool's leader, this is not going to be an easy one for him, but it's going to be, yeah, Fools versus Blazers once again.
Actually, the fight is Coffee Tommy, so that's going to be Fool's Justice, if I believe.
Oh.
But also, just to finish off on that Manked fight, with him winning that one, that also means Lit is now eliminated from the tournament.
This is a Fools versus Fools fight, and it seems like they are very similar in terms of gear. A lot of the Fools members that have made it through to the 1v1s have very similar gear. That's probably their strategy, obviously making sure that they had the best items that they've spent so long farming for, as well as having the areas locked down.
What I'm loving to see us...
Oh, that's an ACB spec. That's tough.
despite it being, was that really? Oh, it was. You're right.
I think that was a bit of a misclick. He's not happy. There's a little sad face there. I've always seen Justice looking very happy, but not today.
You say that, but he's still doing really well, and his opponent does have quite a few supplies lower than him. Just got to hope now that Justice can stay cool and not get to him. As I say that, he's been hit a lot of damage. 30, 30, 33 from the VLS as well through the prayer. Can he regain his consciousness? Can he get back into this fight and stay calm and catch this next freeze is essential for him? Looks like he can't, unfortunately. But now we're checking out his POV himself as well. And again, it's going to take a lot for him to come back. But I mean, it can happen. We've seen it happen from much worse comebacks. So, I mean, it's anyone's game still.
Yep, absolutely. You see him now resorting to Blood Barrage, trying to heal up some HP as he hits with his magic. But obviously, he's not in control of the fight. So he's got to do something. And unfortunately, he's down on special tech. But here comes a VLS spec. Only going to hit an 18. And now his HP getting a little bit low. He's got to be worried about his opponent also using some special attack.
Yeah, he definitely, but now he's been able to DD, obviously, from catching that freeze, so he's now able to control that fight. And like you said before, using those barrages, the blood barrage, is really clever right now, and it allows him to, obviously, with the staff that he's got as well, gain 50% more, I believe it's 50% at least, could be wrong there, 50% more HP when using the blood barrage spell, which, you know, does add up. Although it may be too little, too late. He should have one special attack in another 7 seconds by looks of things, which will result in a potential KO potential. Some KO potential if he gets lucky enough, and he's got to really play it smart here. Unfortunately for him, his opponent got the prey melee up just in time, and it's free food left. Not too sure what his opponent has left, but it's looking pretty neck and neck still, to be honest.
Yeah, I wonder how much food exactly his opponent has left. We're going to see that right now. So it looks like 2 sharks left for it to get a freeze. So this is still a very close fight. Even though there's 1 left for Justice, he had the HP advantage up until that moment where he got hit, but this is still possible for him.
He's still lucky to get, you know, like, if he not lucky, but skillful as well to get that prey melee up at the perfect timing, catching that freeze too, so he's able to eat up, relax for a second, and now it's 77 hit points versus 83. Justice in control of the fight, utilizing the DDs, trying to fake his opponent out, but this other Fool's Warrior knows exactly what to expect, probably having fought Justice several times in the past. A 25 whack on the right prayer as well. Can he catch this freeze? It's all about his freeze, and unfortunately Justice does not catch it. Both players now down to no spec. It's coming neck and neck. Justice down to what? 10 hit points now, 7 HP. Can still come back if he gets lucky with a couple freezes. I mean, these guys can hit, what, 40s, 50s of the VLS and 40s or 50s of the bolts as well. He's deciding to put on the Redemption Prayer, but it's not enough. Wow. Justice going out, unfortunately, but at the same time, get a Fweeze, clearly representing Fools as well, so they can't be unhappy with that one, as they are sharing the pot of whoever wins. And Justice put up a great fight there, coming all the way from Finland to represent his team Fools on the main stage, which obviously, you know, the pressure as well gets to you a little bit too.
And now we move over to Psych versus Ioromeri. Ioromeri just had to watch one of his members die, so maybe looking to get a little bit of vengeance, pushing another Fool's member into the top 4.
So we're going to see a ranged and melee against a full tribrid here, and just seeing which one pays off most. Obviously, having vengeance is going to be very important here, because even if, say, for example, he gets hit when he's got the wrong prayer and wrong gear, if that's a large damage deal and dealt to him, as long as it doesn't kill him, he's also going to retaliate a lot back to his opponent as well. That could be the difference in the next 2 or 3 sharks that we see getting consumed in this fight. Both players, well, one player, sorry, just say 4, seems to be splashing a lot. Psych not having the best chance there. Finally gets his freeze, but Emiri does have those mithril seeds with him. You could see Emiri planting the seeds underneath, but it looks like Emiri just hasn't had chance to actually use those to move out of it, because he's just unfortunately dealing so much damage against him, and he's got to constantly keep on eating.
Yeah, Psych does have plenty of recalls right now, and the downside to him right now, the hardest part about this fight, is that his gear advantage, like, that Emiri has, is ridiculous. Like, the DFS, he's got the Armadillo chain body as well. Fortunately for Psych, he does have a VLS too, but, like, those 36 whacks, not even with a special attack, like, it's like a god sword, literally.
Look how fast the changes are, the clicks and movement is from Psych here. He's just doing absolute work, trying to make sure that he's constantly changing style, trying to fake his opponent as much as possible, especially when he's against a formidable opponent who is also a tank. He's got to really take every advantage that he can get.
And as I mentioned before as well, actually, you know, stalling those hits, making sure he's got his tank on at all times, especially against this guy, Foolsy Emeri, who has, you know, such insane gear at the moment. The ACB, the VLS, the Fire Cape too, to increase his max hits, increase his mage defense bonus. It's so difficult right now for Psych to catch this freeze, but he's not getting, you know, to get that game down. He's still in it, and he's still, you know, switching like an absolute madman right now. So maybe he's still got some special attack as well. He's still got some KO potential, but if he can't catch this freeze, he's kind of screwed, man. Like, there's not really much he can do. Every second that he's waiting here right now to try and catch that freeze is seconds that pass that allow Eomeri to get his vengeance back up in time, and a 37 now as well on the right prayer. Looking at the inventory supplies now, there's not really much he can really do unless he gets a KO. And if anyone's going to get KO this tournament, I promise you, Psych is the man to do it.
Yeah, it's just tough for Psych. He's been unable to catch a freeze for the majority of the fight, and that's allowed Eomeri to just do constant damage. Just like you're saying, even when Eomeri gets hit, because of vengeance, just like that, he's able to recoil, you know, a significant amount of damage. So Psych is always eating. He's always on the back foot just because he can't dictate the pace of the fight. I think he's hit like one freeze this entire time.
Well, Eomeri realizing, obviously, opponent opting for the Tribrid, he knows how important it is for his opponent to catch that freeze. The majority of this fight has been him holding that Armadyl chest plate, the Carol's skirt as well. Really high magic defense, and then all he's got to do past that is just focus on switching between melee and ranged. Now looking at this, Psych's unfortunately almost out of food. One brew sip left against the full inventory for Eomeri. It really looks like it's an uphill battle, almost impossible one for him to win.
He just can't catch that freeze, man.
Like he does.
But he does. Oh, fair play, the VLS, man. But he's now got 40% spec left, no food. I mean, all it takes is one good VLS at the right hit points, but it looks like it's a bit too little, too late with only one brew dose left to go. No super combats either, so we can't really get those massive max hits with the VLS. And looks like Fools Eomeri, the leader of Fools himself, is going to be taking out Psych, which I would have not expected before this happened. Just some really bad RNG from Psych, really not able to catch that freeze despite having the staff and just, you know, that tank gear, the Armadyl chest plate. And there it is, the taste of vengeance. Giving the good fight regardless, good fight Fools. And yeah, that means that Psych, unfortunately, is out. Just shy of the top 4 as well. So close.
Yep, another member on our stage eliminated, which pushes Fools to have a second member in the top 4, so potentially a guaranteed spot in the grand finals for them.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point, actually. If they get each other, if they just get lucky enough to get each other, that means that, yeah, they'll be able to secure $10,000 from second place at least, if not $20,000 for first. But, I mean, Psych, you know, showing his team that it was worthwhile gearing him up in that gear. There's not much you can do in that situation. And in all respect to Eomeri as well, he's a great PKer too, and he deserves the win. Right now we have Donald Self versus Rorgy Savage.
Both members from Blazers, Donald Self being the your friend actually from downstairs on the laptop.
No way. Wait, these guys are both Blazers?
They are both Blazers.
That means they made it into the top 4, right? No.
One of them will be going
for the top 4.
This is for the top 4. So they basically, Blazers have basically made it into the top 4 now. And interestingly, actually, the last guys left of Blazers, apart from Manked, of course, are the guys with the vengeance and with the dragon crossbows, the big tanks that we've said before. You know, despite the removal of Verax, if you have vengeance, which not many teams do because no one could really do Shiloh, but this is currently Pig Money versus Aloe, both players from Blazers, like
Blazers, yep.
And they're just, you know, going all out, really. Whoever wins the fight deserves to be in the next round, and that guy, you know, represents their clan all the way home.
Seeing 2 really big hits coming through from Rorgy here, and an okay from Donald Self. Not happy with that at all. Setting your block, that is it. The damage just keeps on coming. He's got to be absolutely devastated at the moment. He's just not getting a chance to get anything back against Rorgy.
Yeah, and Donald, unfortunately, is the man downstairs himself, playing on a laptop, which I'm sure he's going to use as an excuse. But despite that, I mean, Rorgy Savage, look at his inventory. He's got the VLS as well, which is a significant boost versus the Statius Warhammer. And he's making it count. He's also got double hides, which means if there is anyone that he fights as a hybrid in the finals, it's going to be exceedingly hard for them to catch that freeze. For example, Manked, if he does get unlucky enough to go up against him in the next round. I know I won't want that fight myself. But looks like, you know, Rorgy's probably going to take this one home quite happily. But I mean, he must be proud, man, Pig Money, to make it this far. I didn't expect, I don't think, to go this way, because, you know, he came for the weekend to meet some friends and to support the guys on stage as well. So just to get this far to the top 8, he's done his clan really proud as well.
I think anyone just getting into the 1v1 stage is absolutely amazing, considering the length that you have to go through, the week-long grind, that whole multi-fight towards the end, and then finally getting selected. If you can get to that point, you deserve it so much. And then obviously now it's just so much further than that, because it's no longer a test of clans and no longer a test of communication. It's pure 1v1 skill. A little bit of gear, a little bit of RNG, but the majority it comes down to you, how calm you can be, are you cool, are you collected, and how good can you click.
I'm trying to think these guys get any bonuses from actually killing their opponent right now, but they've got Dragon Crossbows, they've got like max tank gear pretty much, and if Rory does win, he's already got the VLS, he doesn't need the Statius Warhammer, but at the very least, it's not a Statius Warhammer to the opponents, although pretty much everyone right now has a VLS in the final, and if you don't, you're at a severe disadvantage, because it just destroys people, man. You know, rolls off 25% of your opponent's defense level. It's huge. But regardless, Donald down to, what is this, 3 HP now, and deciding, you know what, at Pig Money, I'm a god, he says. Well, respect to you, man. Congratulations on making it this far, and congrats as well to your clanmate, Respect from Blazers, who makes it through too.
And just like that, we're left with 4 players in the tournament. Never thought we'd get to this point, but we are here. Fantastic moments. The next few fights are going to be incredible. Very interesting to see, can anyone take down Eomiri, the tank that he is shown to be?
Did you guys surprised about that, actually? You know, Eomiri beating Psych on stage, as we all said before, saying how far we thought he was going to go.
It's just unfortunate. I mean, the gear that was in the hands of Eomiri just really shown that Magic sometimes can make or break it for you. And unfortunately for Psych, for Justice, it seems to have broke him. Not being able to catch those freezes was pretty important, but even if they were, all things considered, Eomiri, he had access to Mithril Seeds. He would have been able to get out of those step unders and completely just carried on dominating with that range. That range damage, especially with the Armadillo crossbow, was just so high. It was incredible.
I mean, Mank's still in the tournament right now, and if anyone is able to beat Eomiri, my money's on Mank. He could definitely go all the way.
We've seen it before, where a Tribid has managed to take down the range tank with melee meta. Will we see it again? We're probably going to find out very soon.
Very soon, yeah, definitely. And these places now are for big cash prizes. So first place, of course, we have $20,000 in the line. Second place, $10,000. Third and fourth, each getting $1,000. So at this point, you know, they've all got money secured. They've just got to...
Everyone's a winner.
Everyone's a winner right now, yeah, definitely. The 2 fights going on, we have Let's Go Bob versus Get a Fweeze.
So we are looking at Blazers versus Fools. Mank being Let's Go Bob, and Get a Fweeze being the Fools member.
That 54 I just saw from Get a Fweeze of ELS. Well, this means pretty much that, actually, if these guys win, either team, Blazers or Fools,
wow, another 43 as well. Man, come on, you're going to need to eat some up. You're going to have to get your melee defenses up faster than that.
That is not a good start for him, is it? I was about to say that whoever wins from both these fights, if both Fools or both Blazers win, they can get actually 30,000 plus and take all of the prize money home. But either way, you know, this is like the battle of 2 titans right here. Some of the best hybrids in the tournament that made it this far. And Get a Fweeze is just doing exceptionally well against Mank. Talking about gear right now, it's pretty even. The major benefit that Get a Fweeze has is, of course, that Armadillo chest plate. You know, grinding out Armadillo and Goldust Dungeon for Fools, you're locking that down as well. Not just Shiloh Village has proved very useful, whereas Blazers, I don't believe, did much Gondor's Dungeon, apart from that one Oblivion guy that was getting them Armadillo crossbows doing solo for the team, which was sick to see as well. But it's not over yet for Mank. He still has 35% special attack weapon as well. Of course, the VLS can hit 60 pluses, so he could come back after a couple of big hits. He's got the B-Ring Eye as well, which obviously will help too. But the 31 barrage now from Get a Fweeze, another barrage coming in, and got Bob, or Mank rather, luckily getting his prayers up just in time there.
Yeah, Get a Fweeze has done about like 130 damage so far just off of VLS specs, and a lot of that came off the very start of the fight. So right off the get-go, Mank was just at a disadvantage, just forced to eat up, which makes him lose control of the pace of the fight, right? So he's been on the back foot since the beginning, now trying to battle back. Definitely not over yet, as you were inclining to. The VLS could definitely spec some pretty big numbers, and there's still 2 specs left to go at least here for Mank.
Yeah, I think Mank had a few sharks on the floor as well, given how many items are in his inventory, because it's actually not that uneven right now. There's obviously a bit of Karambon advantage for Get a Fweeze, but we all know that it could just turn around. As long as Mank can catch a freeze in the next few moments, he keeps getting shredded apart, though, by that crossbow.
He keeps forgetting to put on his tank gear after catching a barrage, when he's getting a little bit sloppy. Obviously, he's down quite a bit of food, and he realizes that. A 21 through his prey melee as well. This is not looking good for Mank at all. Although saying that, he does have 40% special attack, the VLS requiring 25%. So he has 2 chances right now to turn this fight around. And, you know, if he can catch some lucky freezes here, he definitely could do.
Let's just take a moment here. Mank has decided to not yet use any of his combat potions. I think he's been waiting to use his brews, because obviously he only has 1 chance, they're 1 dose. So he might now find... There we go, there it is. The pots are coming out. This could be where it turns around for him. He's got the increased accuracy, the increased levels, going to be able to deal more damage, and hopefully be a bit more consistent and bring this back. However, it could have been what causes him to lose this fight.
Absolutely, and he's out of food. Here's going to go for the lucky spec.
Whoa,
Oh,
59! You were saying
There
it,
it
the
is.
60 is one off.
Going for another one.
Oh, unfortunately for him, he was just one step out of range. I believe his opponent was able to get his prayer up just in time of that. And I think now it's going to be very hard for him to come back. But I mean, it still could happen. A couple of big barrages going for the blood barrage too, utilizing that, but getting frozen straight away by his opponent. And now, you know, that DFS. And yeah, the cheeky Armadillo chest plate as well. Maybe a bit too much for Manx. Being spec'd back as well, down to 33 hit points, out of food entirely. Not too sure on the Fools members' food situation either. But a lucky 25 blood barrage there, back up to 96 hit points. He's still in it, but getting hit a 30 there. And just like that, you know, back down to almost out of food. He has no special attack. I imagine his opponent doesn't either. That's a huge freeze there. That, well, not huge, but still a 19, a 29. And just making that, you know, taking in the fight. And he's got a VLS still that can hit 60s too. Both out of food right now. But actually, Manx has come back from this fight, and he's able, potentially, to win. 1 HP left, or 4 HP left, forget a freeze. It's so close. Can Manx get caught in a freeze, or he's going to finish this one and close it out altogether? This is where Manx really...
Where'd he go?
Wait a second. What is Manx saying?
I think he's just been given full food, and that means that he's gone through to the next round. I think what might have happened is one of those hits meant to have registered, and it didn't. We'll wait for official confirmation to come through.
I mean, it was 60 HP
he
and a
got
4.
6 hour logged.
Manx got 6 hour logged.
Wait, everybody was supposed to log out, man.
Wow.
Why didn't you log out?
That was one of the most epic comebacks I think I've seen in the DM tournament. They're going to investigate it now and get back to us. I thought they relogged before the final happened.
Yeah, he was
That's what
supposed
we're waiting
to.
around for a minute ago. Manx must have forgotten, or maybe something else is going on right now. But we'll be told, and as soon as we do, we'll tell you guys at home as well. Oh my God, can you believe that Manx was like on the back burner?
He definitely made the comeback.
At
And he definitely had the HP advantage.
VLS is definitely what turned that fight around. You said that they're like, oh, you know, he got this barrage, a huge barrage. Okay, maybe not that huge. That barrage was massive.
Yeah, 20.
Barrage then hit into the ranged hit straight after that, a VLS as well. His opponent is chugging sharks one after the other. He must have been feeling so full. And then before you know it, he's on 4 HP and will...
I mean, that's where that classical music really, you know, helps out Manx Magician. Like, once you stay cool and calm and you're able to, you know, control yourself in situations like that, even knowing that you're down a bunch of food, if you get a couple of lucky hits off prayer like he did right there, creates the momentum for him. His opponent's currently panic eating and getting his prayer switches wrong.
That snowstorm just flies through, and before you know it, you're screwed.
And it all starts with that freeze. Just keeping your opponent in place, limits what he could do on the map, and it gives control of the pace over to Mank, and he took advantage of that.
And he was down so much food at the start as well. The other guy against him, the Fools guy, you know, credit him too. He's a great hybrid. But if Mank does end up going through this round to beat someone who's got an Armadillo chest plate and a DFS, that's huge for him. He gets a lot of bonuses there, which he's going to need, obviously, if he does make it through to fight Iameri or Alo, who are both range tanks with vengeance at the moment.
I think it's kind of fair for Mank to go through. I mean, it was 60 HP to 4.
If they're able to, get them back down to 60 HP and 4, go 3, 2, 1,
We'll have to wait and see. You just had word that in fact, it wasn't actually a 6-hour log. Not really sure what happened, but the team are investigating, and hopefully we'll hear back very soon. But nonetheless, that fight was awesome.
While they're investigating, I guess we have one more fight that could potentially be going on. I mean, we could get that started while the investigation
We watched that, didn't we?
No. There's still one more.
Was that the first fight?
That's the first
one.
Round of 4.
That fight was so good, I didn't even realize.
I know, right? It was amazing. It was epic. If we can start the next one in the meantime, that would be awesome to watch another one. But if not, we can chill and stall a bit longer as well.
Is that our best tactic?
Dude, that was... I still can't believe that he came back so much HP. And like we were saying earlier, the VLS, just the amazing amount of potential that it's got to be able to hit those 60 VLS specs. And even through the prayer, man, you can hit still with 20s and 30s. Yeah. And that's like a shark. That suddenly makes your opponent have to...
That's like a normal bolt hit off prayer.
Yeah, literally. And they can also hit, like I said before, the ACB with the Opal Bolts. Either they can hit 50s with the Armored Crossbow too. So you just got to make that space for yourself, that room, so you can catch your opponent off prayer a couple of times. And Manx, like I said before, just did an absolutely fantastic job of keeping cool. And I'm definitely repeating myself now, but it was a great.
It's fine. It's not as bad as like me in the middle of the fight trying to figure out a word to describe it as being bad. So
be patient with us. It's been a long show today. It's been a lot of fun.
I love it so much.
It's so enjoyable, isn't it? When it gets down to these stages as well, when it's like so hype and neck and neck, and you just don't know who's going to come back. That's the best part.
That's probably why you
don't even have a crowd here, and I hear the people going, "Ooh!"
Screaming about it.
That's just me. I'm like, "Oh!" But this tournament has been insane. Just thinking through from how the multi-phase went with all of the damage coming out, how fast people started to drop, then into the first few fights that we saw, the twists, the turns, the upsets as well. People that you thought were going to win, the last hits coming through. Some people down to like 10, 7, 4 HP. Absolutely incredible.
I've just got given word that I believe the referees from Jagex are going to be looking into the fight right now, looking at video evidence and trying to figure out what they're going to do at this situation. So hang tight, since we know. We'll let you guys know as well what's happening. But if you're just tuning in, this is the semi-finals?
Round of 4.
Round of 4, and these guys are fighting for a difference of $1 grand versus 10,000 at least for second place. So an awful lot of money is on the line, and it's really, really getting pretty heated for people, I'm sure, in their Discords. Like, come on, go on, you can beat this guy. We've played in an alliance against whether we're Fools or Blazers this whole week, but now, you know, it comes down to it. Let's take this money home. I asked them beforehand if they were splitting any of the winnings for the alliance throughout the week, but they've said, no, you know, we're just here, we're only teaming because it's a multi-phase, and every other team pretty much doesn't like us because we held down Shiloh Cave the whole time. So
it's one way to make a lot of enemies, is just blocking off half of the game mode.
But once from the 1v1s, it's all fair game, which is why they've all been fighting, even against their own teammates, to see who is the best PKer to get through the whole way. And yeah, my money right now is looking like if Mank does go through, that is, or if they have a rematch, it's still, you know, anyone's game. Alo could beat Iameri if he's more skilled in the Vengeance fights.
Maybe he gets a few nice hits and
despite being worse gear, like Mank right there had no armored or chest plate, no DFS, but still with the Carol's top and the Crystal Shield, had an epic comeback that was probably one of the best comebacks I think we've seen in the Demo Tournament Finals.
And if he manages to pull through, that would be a nice upgrade for him as well. However, his opponent manages to get through, then he's just scored himself, you know, nice 10k.
Yeah.
So definitely
measly 10k. I'm sure he's very happy about that one as well. As a reminder as well, guys, after the Demo Tournament ends tonight, they will be opening up the seasons live, so you guys can jump straight into those. The season is a 1-month-long server reset, so level 3 from scratch, you've got experience rates that increase like 10 times, 15 times XP rates, depending where you are in the game, if it's a safe zone or if it's a dangerous area. You can go out, join in the carnage, that is Deadman mode, as we've said like a million times now. Go get yourself some bank keys, kill some opponents, see what you can get from it. I implore everyone really to check out, you know, what Deadman mode
really
is.
awesome.
It's just so fun with a few friends at the start of the game mode, especially when everyone's a little noob. You can run around and slay them all with your fire.
It really cause some damage. I mean, we were talking about like killing the people as they exit the stronghold of security, you know, get their hard-earned cash stack. There's a lot of cool places you could camp early on in the game that, like, you know, set people back, really annoy them, and you could put yourself ahead if you get some big early PKs. I said it before, but for me, there's really no more fun than having that fresh reset of the economy. Everybody's starting from the same spot. You know, if you're able to get a key item first, then you could really snowball it in your favor. But there are also people that play more for the long game, you know, playing more for stats, getting those quests done, and making sure that, you know, maybe they won't be the strongest account build in week 1, but come week 2, that's when they start to put themselves over the top.
We're just waiting right now for this next fight of the top 4 to begin. Our next fight coming up as well is going to be Alo versus Iameri, I believe, depending what happens with the maxed up Magician fight, which is going to be really interesting to see as well.
For those of you that have been following the in-game names, we're going to be looking at, I believe it's Hobila Babila against Roji Savage. But before then, we're going to find out the outcome of Let's Go Bob against Get a Fweeze.
Yeah, we have 2 members of Blazers currently in the tournament and 2 members of Fools. This guy's been in Alliance the entire week, waiting for this moment to get into 1vs1 stage and the best chance of making it through to 1v1s. But now it's everyone stands on their own, and yeah, we'll see momentarily who takes the win out of these 2 titans of clans that people have been rooting for at home. Let us know in the Twitch chat right now, actually. #Fools or #Blazers. Who do you expect to take it home? When we get a straw poll or something, I'll be curious to see just how many people are voting and who's everyone's money's on right now. But as we said before, Manked on the stage right now, the last contestant left from everyone, made it all the way to the top 4, potentially the top 2, depending on the decision about to be made very soon from the Jagex referees. And he, a few months ago, did the All-Stars event. He was invited, and we said it before, we're going to mention it again, he went 15-0. He destroyed his opponent, and all his opponents, sorry, and was undefeated, which is why we usually hear a lot of Manked Up Mage chants in the Twitch chat and stuff to see him go far as well. And he's going to get stuck into the season as well, I'm sure, as he gets home too.
A lot of fan favourites, I think, across the entire Deadman mode semi-finals right now. A lot of well-known names in the community, and it's just, I really can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah, let's jump into it any second now. Just waiting for the Jagex referees that were before to find out the decision of the Manked fight versus the Fools member. And yeah, one of the most epic fights we've seen so far. It was
That's the second big
Awesome,
comeback we've
dude.
seen from Mank. Do you remember when the guy was trash talking him earlier?
Oh, yeah, I told him to.
Why are you
It's over, dude.
shaking? Stop shaking. And he comes back, wins that fight. And this one, too, I mean, his opponent started out with over 100 VLS spec damage on him. He was down big early on and somehow found a way. Like we saw, it started with that one freeze, followed up into a bolt hit, followed up into a big VLS spec, and all of a sudden, he was on top in the fight, and he had the advantage.
I'm really surprised actually they're not seeing any like G mauls and stuff. I guess to be fair, you know, if you've got the VLS, you wanna, it's an outlast fight. You wanna get the best KO, the best damage output you possibly could, the highest DPS weapon you've got. But you know, in previous turns we've seen like the G maul come out of nowhere and just full HP people. I mean, it still happened. The 60 damage you can do with the VLS. We've not yet seen a KO very recently from the VLS, but it can still happen in this finale. And if you imagine dying to a spec and you still got food left, laying down your team for like a $10,000 difference,
the worst, wouldn't it? But I mean, like talking about the Granite Maul, it is a very strong piece of equipment. However, you've also got to keep in mind that whilst it's strong, it's also very unpredictable. Being a low attack weapon, it doesn't have the highest amount of accuracy. And when we've got players that have got like DFS, full tank gear where possible, crystal shields, you might get a nice hit, but I think your chances are better with the VLS.
Yeah,
so.
I can't believe we've not seen any Daroks this turn. I'm always telling you, Ben, I'm like, oh, I can't wait to see someone Darok bombing, running around, taking out the low levels of like an 80 whack or a 90. Unfortunately, none of that this time round. Clans in general and players are taking it really seriously nowadays. Of course, these tournaments, the rivalries between the different clans is an all-time high, especially with the drama that revolved around Shiloh Village this week as well. And right now, if you're just tuning in, we're currently waiting for the semi-finals to continue. Mankt versus a Fools member, and then Iameri versus a Low from Blazers as well. So 2 Fools and 2 Blazers remaining in this $32,000 finale.
So we're just getting an update coming through, waiting on official confirmation, something that I'm able to say. So we should have something in the next few seconds.
Exciting.
Okay, it sounds like we are currently in the process of arranging a rematch.
A rematch
Yeah,
altogether?
so
Okay.
they're going to be fighting against one another. I think it's probably the fairest way.
Yeah.
Even though the odds seemed in Mac's favour, it could have been one redemption, which then led to a freeze, and then one spec, and who knows. So at least both players will have the same gear. They're going to have the same amount of supplies. They get to start this fight off afresh. Maybe we'll get to see another amazing VLS spec and hopefully get that KO that we've been waiting for.
What the fuck is happening with this tournament?
Because that recall would have made the difference, and that would have, you know, secured him the win to the next round. I'm personally hoping that he does manage to take this win as well, because that comeback was unrivaled this tournament, and it's a lot of kudos to him for doing that. But he's got his work cut out for him now, because the guy that he's fighting, like I said before, he's got an armor chest plate, he's got a DFS, he's definitely outmatching Mank. He's a very skilled player too. He did work Mank the whole entire first portion of the fight. So now that player knows how Mank works, but equally Mank understands how he PKs too. So they might be changing up their PK styles to try and throw their opponent off a bit more, because like I said before, it's very much a mind game. You're trying to fake out your opponent, to try and catch them off prayer, and for the things like the VLS spec, which you get 4 or 5 chances to do, if you catch your opponent off prayer more times they do off you, it's so much more damage done.
Yeah, you're bound to do more damage, but there's no way he gets that same start against Mank, right? There's no way he comes out and specs over 110, right, in his first 3 hits.
Do you think Mank is now maybe thinking, what can he do to kind of like mitigate the chances of that happening again? Because he was really set back at the start of that fight. But his opponent doing a very good job to control it, obviously lucky at the same time. Just like Mank was lucky with his spec back as well, though. Is there anything that he can do, anything he could have done differently that maybe he's got in the back of his head, like, I should have done this, maybe if I reckon he's going to do this to begin with, I'll wear this gear?
Honestly, the start of the fight for me was a blur. It was going so quickly. That guy, like you said before, 110 VLS damage. There's not much you can do in that situation. Once you start taking too much damage, you've just got to just focus on tanking and eating as much as you can.
What can you do better? Like catch a freeze, play melee earlier. Like there's a lot of fakies that comes out, and you know the moment you play melee, then here comes a big bolt spec coming on your forehead. So it's tough either way. I think Mank, you know, even though he could have had that fight win, I think he should also be okay with a fight restart.
Oh, definitely.
Once again, concerning how everything started.
Yeah, and again, like the whole tactic of him using the render self mechanic to walk under his opponents means
I could not
love
it. I get so confused.
It must take so much, effort to like just understand what you've got in your inventory rather than looking at your character.
Making sure you're looking at the HP orbs as well, not being able to see HP bar, and I think the worst part for me is just like I like to relate a lot to what I can see of my character in terms of what I'm wearing. I'm not focusing on the invent as much, especially when I'm looking at the opponent. Clearly, I'm not as skilled as what Mank is, because he's able to do all of that and still be very good.
Yeah.
So, yeah, very interesting.
The thing is, like before,
I asked them about it too. I was like, how do you do it so well? Like, because I'm the same way as you guys. Like, I want to see like the hit splat on my own character. Like, I want to see what they're hitting on me. He goes, oh, you know, I just look at my HP in the top right. I'm like, okay. Like, he's just so comfortable with it. And he's probably so used to it that like it's something you probably have to practice a lot with before you can comfortably fight with it.
The thing is, you can assume at this point, the guys that are in these finals, like we're talking about Alo, Manked, Iomery, and the Fools guy he's up against as well, I'm sure, have all been playing RuneScape for at least 10 years. They have the experience. Not only that, but having spoken to Manked and other members of Blazers and of Fools, they've spent the last couple weeks, like, you know, 5+ hours a day grinding out 1v1s in the duel arena versus each other to try, you know, hone in on their skills and give them that, just that little bit of an advantage over opponents, because when it comes down to the wire, like now, as we've seen before, it's so neck and neck, and it comes down to a couple food remaining. And these fights as well, quite fortunately for us, we have two hybrids going up against each other, very similar gear setups. Obviously, the Fools guys got a bit of an advantage, and the two range tanks too, both with Vengeance. So either way, we're going to have a hybrid, one of the best hybrids potentially in the game, versus one of the best tank range builds in the game, and we can finally see again, like we did last time, will the hybrid go ahead again? Last time we had Inya from Frontline, a very formidable foe. But not to say that Manked and the Fools guys as well aren't equally just as good. Who knows who's going to win yet? We just don't know what's going to happen yet.
So we'll have equal representation in terms of styles. I hope we have equal representation in terms of clans too. I think it'd only be fitting the way this finale has gone that we get a Blazers versus Fools final.
I mean, then they both go home happy, one with 20 grand, one with 10 grand in the pocket, and the Alliance clearly is going to be one for the future.
And the others as well, you know, picking up the extra 1K here or there, the ones that got through as, you know, 3rd and 4th place, so.
Yeah, it's mad.
Now.
But any second now, if you guys are just tuned in, we are going to be heading in to the final round. Are we getting a rematch, aren't we? Versus
Full rematch.
Manked versus Fools. So you guys are probably just, you know, sorting out the inventories, getting their stuff back they need to get back again. And the major difference here, that apart from skill, of course, is, like I said before, the armored chain body, chest plate, sorry, which gives you incredible mage defense. It's probably why Manked has such a difficult time catching those freezers.
It does give you good mage defense, but it also gives you negative melee attack. So if you know, the Fools member wants to go in for like a VLS spec while he has the Armadillo chestplate on.
That's true.
Obviously, it won't be as accurate, but still could be as impactful.
I mean, the best thing about the VLS at the same time is that it rolls off 25% of your opponent's defense, so you can be wearing negative bonuses, but you're still going to hit because they're just like sitting on basically.
Especially if your opponent's brewed down.
Yeah, and if they're brewed down as well, yeah, my money's going to be, I think right now, based on how I've seen Manked come back and how calm he remains throughout the entire fight, my money's on him. And I think Iomery too, who I've seen, and we've both seen also.
Got to pick one. You can't pick two. There's only one.
To go through these rounds, to make it to the final, I think I'm going to see a Manked versus Fools Iomery, the leader, going into the finals. But I mean, it could be a Blazers win, or a Fools win. 30 grand going home to one of the teams.
Imagine. That's going to be one big party they're going to be able to throw with that money.
And looks like
I want an invite.
Wolf is currently checking what's going on here. You guys ready?
Cleaning his glasses, being diplomatic, having a little chat.
You know what I think might have happened as well when those guys were in game? I saw Manked typing frantically. This is just an assumption to make, of course, no guarantee, but I reckon those guys talked to each other in game. They were like, you know what, do you want to do a rematch? Like, do you want to be respectful? Because that's the kind of honor that I expect from these clans making it this far. And like I said before, the Alliance they've held through the week. It only makes sense, you know, to win truly, you know, as a genuine win, and not just because of a DC or something.
I'm sure we're going to find out when, you know, Archie heads back down to the stage and interviews the players, asks them about their experience leading up to the points that they got to, and be really interesting to find out what was going through their mind when this happened.
Yeah, absolutely. Talking about seasonal again, like we mentioned before, the seasonal does release straight after the demo tournament. What's your plans, guys? How are you guys going to start out if you are starting out? Obviously, we're out tonight, so we're going to miss the start, unfortunately.
Yep.
We've got to go home tomorrow and then start a little bit late.
I mean, being Mother's Day in the UK on Sunday, my next opportunity to play is going to be on Monday, so I'll be set back a little bit. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do. I might even end up just waiting until the full 1 week. You know, after 1 week you get the 6-hour immunity. I might try and utilize that just to get a good start, because otherwise I think I'm just going to be set so far back that I won't be able to. It's okay if you were to do that as a normal player, someone that's just going in to have fun and they can just like play at their leisure. But unfortunately, in the position that I'll be in, I'd be live streaming it, which puts me at a bit of a disadvantage because there's a lot of people that like to go out, like I said before.
And especially because, you know, Revan's put a 10
mil bounty on my head as well, so I've got to be very careful. And, you know, I'm not the most experienced of going into the season, so I need to figure out a plan, a strategy. I don't want to fall back on, you know, in terms of like normal progress as well. So I think the best bet for me personally will be to go in and wait for next week when the immunity comes in.
Yep.
Smash out as many quests as I can do.
And you get a bunch of quest unlocks a week in as well,
that's
so that'll
true.
save you some time questing too.
And then I'm just going to find the best place to farm out as much money as possible, and then buy all the best gear I can and just have fun.
Just have fun. Yeah. No, I think I'm going to start a little bit late. Of course, I've got to go home, drive home tomorrow, and I think I'm going to probably, of course, this is the first tournament seasonal where swapping is legal. There's no like official way of
love to swap
doing it, and I used to be known as pure swaps. I'm probably going to swap some money across just for the content.
It's like day 2 somehow. Pure Spam's got like 99 range, 99 mage.
Well, the thing is, like usually I swap a bit across and I get my stats up. I go through all these different quests or training methods to get my HP as high as possible, and then before I know it, like I'm suddenly everyone else is like caught up and they've all got sick gear as well. So my goal is just tomorrow get home, get a bunch of chins, chuck them, get some stats, and no matter what my stat, you know, no matter what gear I can get my hands on, just go out there and have some fun and take part in demo mode and try and get some bank keys. You know, that's what it's all about, and see what I can get myself.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you. I just want to go out there and enjoy my time playing, right? So I think one of the best ways to start out is to get your agility levels out of the way first, because while you're training, like that's going to be your main escape method, right? Using the agility routes or whatever shortcuts you have where you want to train. And then after that, just jump right into Wildy Slayer. Try to get some of the Wildy weapons in the deposit box and just train up through that. I think with a lot of the monsters that you're going to be killing in the wilderness, it's easy to escape from. And it's just pretty AFK to train just because there's so many around.
Yeah, and everything in the wilderness actually, no matter what the combat level, is aggressive as well, apart from the rats, I think. But yeah, the little rats. So
the little like level 3 voice.
Even the little spiders at Spider Hill are aggressive.
Yeah, they hit you as well. So maybe the rats do actually.
I really like that shout though, get agility out of the way first, because as long as you're not schooled, you don't actually risk losing any experience if you die. So if you go and train the skills that aren't going to start generating you any money first, you've got nothing to lose, nothing risked. And then after you've got those levels up, you're going to keep them as long as you don't skull. If you do, you can protect a certain number of stats as well, so you don't lose them if you die. And then just go out and have fun. You don't have to worry about anything, really.
I always go to the really deep wilderness, the wilderness course, which is like 54 or something agility to use, because it's just incredible XP per hour. But like you said, if you, there you go. That one's for free. That's it. But obviously, if you get killed, if you've not done agility first, you only got to level 50 wilderness, like really far away from all the bank zones and such. Just putting yourself at such a big risk. So yeah, get that stuff out of the way nice and early. It only takes like an hour or two to cap every day. Maybe the first couple of days, maybe 2 hours, because obviously it's,
you got like 2 days.
You got lower stats
pretty much as well, right? I think because you get 2 days for the price of one, you get like Sunday, which was Saturday, which is like a half day, and then the full Sunday. So
you got plenty of time to catch up with people, definitely. Yeah, I can't wait to get stuck in when I get home.
The best part for me, I think, in terms of Deadman, is that obviously not really getting involved in the season as much because of own like commitments, not being able to. This is the first one I'm going to try. Is just being able to watch all the different streamers. There are so many different strategies and so many people. You'll be so surprised if suddenly some streamer that you've not seen for weeks will just come back and be smashing Deadman the whole time, and they've got some sick strategy that they've been working on all this time as well. It's just really fun to watch. There's a lot of great moments, a lot of like very like adrenaline pumping moments as well when people are going out PKing or getting PK'd. It's just great to see.
Content creation wise, man, there's so many amazing content creators that play DMM actively. We've got Ditta, who recently returned. Mika, this whole week long, he's been doing some awesome videos and live streams that I've been trying to keep up with. We also have Solar Mission, who was on stage, of course, who's been a really big content creator for this MMO tournament, as a lot of the other content creators have kind of sat this one out on the back burner. Although after seeing the strategies gone into this one and how the finals have gone out, maybe a couple people will come back for the next time round. Got my fingers crossed to see some old familiar faces back again. There's some great guys out there. Check the Twitch page. We've probably got some other people streaming right now. Spark Mac usually does some stuff as well. Maybe we can get Boaty back on the seasonals at some point. I think he might be taking a break from this one as well. Who's your guys' favorite DMM content creators? I've said quite a few.
Honestly, it used to be you, but you don't make much anymore, man. You gotta get back on the DMM grind. No, I used to watch all your starter guides. So one for like the full immunity when you get it, and one for like the partial immunity, one for the start. Yeah, I used to plug them at the start of every stream, just seeing like the best way to start out, or like what kind of routes you could go down. Like each start that you go for gives you different opportunities later down the line, and that's why I said I think agility is one of the best ones to start out with, just because it gives you access to the shortcuts early on, which nobody usually has, especially when you're going up against the majority of PKers. Like, agility, and it's probably one of the last skills that they're going to train.
It's underrated as well. People don't think that you need those agility escapes, but like, for example, it's just in Camelot, the Camelot course. That's like a great way to get away when there's not many other options to do, especially early on. Like you said, most of the PKs want to get the stats up, they want to get the gear, and they want to get out there and start, you know, gathering and, you know, reaping the rewards from all the keys that they can get themselves their hands on. So, yeah.
Those early keys are big money because there's like no economy.
Yeah.
So everything is just like, you're basically telling people what you want them to pay you, and if they don't, well, they're not going to get their stuff. In terms of like streamer-wise, I used to, similar to Revan, is really enjoy watching your streams back in the day.
I do plan to bring some DM streams back this time
I
around.
look forward to it.
I've not played this time round. Oh, sorry, I played, but I've not really streamed this time round.
You've been in secret.
Yeah, I've been playing a little bit in secret at the Shiloh, just trying to get like a taster of DMM tournament, because as we cast, we can't play in the finals, obviously. So I just, as a massive RuneScape nerd, I just like to take part and enjoy myself.
You can cast and play on mobile at the same time.
Oh, imagine that right now. Let's go get out of the Shiloh cave. 1v1s.
As of recent, I have to say that it's Manked Up Mage. Like, he always puts on a good show. Whenever he's streaming, you guaranteed he's pretty much PKing.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people that will train, and that's nice to know and learn strategies in different areas to just go and find the best resources, get the best loot. And sometimes even the best, like, safe areas to train. But I really love the PKing streams.
Yeah, definitely.
And he's always out there just trying to decimate everyone.
And he's not afraid of anybody out there.
Oh, no.
Like, he'll fight whatever comes his way.
Another name I've got as well, Torvesta. I love Alex's videos as well. He's one of my favorite, if not like favorite PvP kind of content creator. Framed doesn't really like playing Demo very much anymore, but if we can get him back on it, I'd love to see some videos from Framed. He made one video a couple seasons ago actually, where he was at the dog place where you do for Priest and Peril.
Okay.
You know, up on that little altar thing. Yep. And he was like just running around, just basically first day in full mithril armor with a dragon dagger and just going for the 2 specs, trying to kill people. And that's just, you know, just having fun and making content. So.
Yeah, there are a lot of different things you could do. I think Robert used to do something similar, right? He used to just rush the DDS, try to get Lost City out the way, and then
those Cathapy fishes
just run around causing terror everywhere, because the best spec that other players probably have is maybe a magic short bow, which pales in comparison to a DDS with good melee stats.
People don't get the Granite Maul until 75 Slayer from the Gargoyles, obviously, so you are quite limited at the beginning, and if you want something like a VLS we're seeing in these finals now, they require 78 attack, which you're not going to have for a couple of days at the very least, probably a weekend, due to the XP cap that keeps people nice and balanced, without letting people get too far ahead.
Yep, so once again, thanks for bearing with us, guys. We're trying to get this fight restarted between Manked Up Mage and his Fool's opponent. Before the restart, it was 60 HP to 4. Manked looked like he was about to win, but then something happened. And then now we're trying to get things going again. I know it's been a long stream, nearly 1 a.m. here in UK time. So thanks for everybody out there that's been tuning in, showing us a lot of support, and just watching all of the Deadman content.
A massive thank you as well for not being too harsh on us. Like, it's been a long show, so if we stumble over worlds, there it is. There was stumble over, that was not intended.
There you go.
If we stumble over our words, then yeah, greatest apologies there. But very soon, we will be jumping back into the action. We're currently waiting for the final 4, the semi-finals. The semi-finals to continue. We have 2 Blazers members left. We have 2 Fools members. If you just missed it, Manked Up Magician was in a fight versus a Fools member. It came down to right at the end. It was 60 hit points versus like 4 hit points in Manked's favor. But unfortunately, a bug occurred. So we're currently just waiting for the match to restart. You know, great sportsmanship from both players there, agreeing to a restart, despite it looking like Manked had it in the bag. And apart from that as well, we have Eomeri versus Alo, which again is a Fools leader versus one of the Blazers guys. So overall, 2 versus 2, 2 Fools, 2 Blazers. These guys have been in alliance the entire week. And now it's everything's on the line. You know, first place, $20,000. Second place, $10,000. Third and fourth, $1,000 each. These guys have secured themselves some money, but it's a big difference.
Yeah, major props to these guys for staying focused the entire time. And sometimes when you're just grinding out fight after fight after fight, like, it's tough to just keep your full attention on the task at hand. But when there's this amount of money, this amount of pride on the line for these guys, you know that they're giving it their full effort, especially when it comes down to Blazers versus Fools. Both a chance for equal opportunity in the finals, but you know that, Fools, they want it to be all Fools, and Blazers want it to be all Blazers. And I think it's fitting, like we were saying, the way this week played out, how both these teams allied and had the same strat, locking down Shiloh Village in the tomb, blocking content from the other clans. They couldn't get Piety, they couldn't get Vengeance, they couldn't get Dragon Slayer 2 done, and everybody hated them for it. Yep. But in the end, it's these teams going to the finals.
And I'll tell you what as well, both Fools and Blazers would not be here today if it were not for Gimme Gimme as well, potentially, who switched sides at the last minute.
Traders.
Yeah, and what would you say traders, but they were backstabbed, and there were people like, you know, trying to get rid of them and take care of them in this little alliance that was formed. Apparently they found leaks and found a Discord where a couple teams were, you know, conspiring against them. So they said, we've had enough. We're going to join the opposition. We're going to help out Fools and Blazers.
Among us. If only they allied with Fools and Blazers earlier, maybe they could have gotten more players with Pike.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they're a solo alliance. They must just be happy to, you know, to help Fools and Blazers go through. I was talking to Buck, one of the leaders earlier, and he was just like, well, you know what? I just want these guys, you know, to go through and to be a helping hand in that. It'll be interesting to see. I don't think it was promised any winning money, but since GG, Gimme Gimme is a very new clan, it'll be interesting if maybe Fools and Blazers gave them a couple hundred or something from their huge winnings that they're going to get.
Nice
to help,
tip
to help them start up, like, I don't know, maybe a website or something, the server hosting of that, or a TeamSpeak help with that, to give them a little helping hand. But either way, yeah, their strategy throughout the whole week, locking down Shiloh Village, and then in the final areas too, those 80 GG members that switched sides last minute and joined them to make their squad from like 150 to over 200, definitely made a huge difference, especially Anakal, what we saw earlier, which was just, you know, so severely dominated.
Yeah, Fools and Blazers didn't give up like an inch over towards the Anacarl area. I mean, we saw what happened over towards Valor, but I was just super impressed with their initial defense over towards Anacarl because it's so tough to do. And I think, you know, looking back on it, Lip probably should have rushed like a little bit earlier because the longer they wait, the longer the fog is around, right? So if you're going to be on the outskirts of the safe zone, you're just going to be taking free damage. And there you see it on your screen, about to re-enter the fight.
Looks like we're about to get back into it. Sorry about the wait. Unfortunate, few difficulties have occurred, but they seem to have been resolved. This is the rematch now. Manked against Getter Fweeze. Fools versus Blazers. Let's see if we get a repeat of the last fight. Looks like Getter Fweeze has managed to get the first hit, first bit of damage dealt against Manked. It's going to cause him to want to eat a little bit of food there, but not worrying about it too much just yet. He knows he's not going to get taken down from 75 HP with the gear that he's got on, and obviously the fact that his opponent is frozen. Managed to get a little bit of damage back, and there's a nice VLS spec with no protect from melee up against Getter Fweeze.
Yeah, doing a fantastic job there as well, Mank, actually understanding the freeze timers, knowing how long a barrage is in terms of game ticks, in terms of seconds in game, without having to look at any timers or anything like that. He's doing a great job here of exchanging hits. The guy putting a VLS here, but a prey melee up from Mank, the perfect time. A VLS return, 25 through his prayer as well, and now he's got to keep this ball rolling. If he's able to switch from another VLS spec in a second, he could do some serious damage, but going for the DD Breeding right now, and he's up pretty much, you know, 3 sharks and a whole brew. Mank's just using the first bit of his food right now, so looking really confident going into this, despite having a bit of a gear setback. You know, no
Definitely a better start for Mank this time around, not taking substantial damage from the VLS spec, at least not just yet, but just like how we saw Mank come back last time these two went around, there's a chance for Getter Fweeze to make a comeback of his own.
Like I said before, man, Mank's just needed that, you know, that extra shot to be able to get back into the game, and he understands his opponent's strategy now. He's had one fight against him. It doesn't seem like much, but once you start fighting someone, unless they're very dynamic and they change their PK style a lot, you kind of understand exactly what they're trying to do, whether it's the range faking into mage 1 ticks or the other way around, whatever they're predominantly using. And right now, let's go Bob Manked, 70% spec versus 85. Both these guys having a lot of KO potential and a lot of potential just to switch the fight over. But luckily for Manked, he catches that freeze, although getting hit at 30 back, that can't be good for him. And also Getter Fweeze getting that magic on as well, and now he's going to do some serious damage back again. Looking pretty even, but still I would say that Manked is slightly in the lead, but a great comeback from the Fools member right here.
Yeah, the big thing coming up is how are these guys going to use their special attacks? Well, there's one for Manked. Not too much damage. There's another. That's going to be a 0. Now 95% spec here for Getter Fweeze. That's a big bolt hit for Manked, but here comes the VLSs. That's going to be a 14. Can he get another one off? The freeze coming out for Manked. Looks like...
Splash?
No, that's going to be a splash. Can he hit one? Both players want to freeze each other in place. Looks like Manked gets frozen, and so does Getter Fweeze with that VLS out. So Manked still ahead for the time being.
Absolutely, and he's got 30% special attack right now, 40 right now, just regains a little bit more. But Getter Fweeze of 80, so he still has a lot of special attack left, and really low supplies. He's got to utilize those specs sooner than later. Maybe he's going to get lucky, get a big combo off, like a 60, then another like 50 afterwards to follow it up. But Mank's got to stay calm here, got to catch that next freeze is essential. And Getter Fweeze right now, coming with the VLS, but hitting a 0 on robes because Manked had the prey melee up as well, which was so crucial since he's down on spec. Walking
enough
in.
for him to get it there, but he walks in. Thankfully, he's still got Protect from melee up, doesn't get hit. Both players now back down to 40% spec. Mank's just taken the edge a little bit with 50%. Going to be able to get a couple of specials in. Maybe one just before Get a Wheeze does, but he does get hit by a pretty substantial bolt hit. Both players, actually, in fact, Mank is ahead in the situation in terms of food by, I believe, 3 sharks in total, and 1 Brudo still. Has chose to use his combat potions earlier on now. The really nice hit coming through. You just have to let the ooze happen. The best things.
They're just natural.
Oh my gosh, Mank actually... So interrupt, he actually got a chance right there. Even through the prey melee, I think he still hit like a 40 or something with the VLS. It's crazy. Actually, maybe not 40, but like a 30-something. But Mank's still 4 food ahead. 4 food versus 2 food right now. Get a Wheeze being DD'd underneath. And Mank's utilising those specs. He's got 35%. He's still got a spec ahead of Get a Wheeze. Fool's member now out of special attack and being DD'd underneath. A 37, but countered by a 27 freeze, which you really need to stay in this fight. Now, Get a Wheeze out of supplies. 53 hit points left. Mank's eating up to pretty much full. And he's now at 120 altogether with the supplies he's got. But getting a 35 barrage, which is massive for the Fool's member right now. Utilising as well those blood barrages too to heal himself, or whatever little advantage he can get himself. And now Mank's down to 104 HP versus 25. He's got a special attack still, almost 2 special attacks, just trying to use it. This guy's got a little bit of HP left. He can hit that through his prey. He knows it. And there's the 23, 2 HP left. Can he finish him off right now? Or can Get a Wheeze catch this barrage?
He's really going to have to get a redemption clutch here, and having only 7 HP is going to be really difficult to make sure he doesn't get overhit. And just like that, Mank has taken it back. So as if he wasn't already close enough at the first fight, the second match just shows that Mank was the better player there, and manages to pull through. Our first player going through into the finals.
That means he's
guaranteed $10,000.
Yep. $10,000 in the bank for Blazers right now. They must be happy with that. But it's not over yet. We still have one other 1 versus 1 final to watch momentarily. We have Fools Iomery, the Fools leader, the last chance for Fools to take home some money apart from the 1K they've guaranteed, or 2K now that they've guaranteed in the top 4. But this is the difference between, taking home 20 grand or 30 grand for Blazers as well.
Oh yeah, because he's going up against Rogi Savage, another Blazers member.
Yeah, so if these 2 Blazers members go through, it will be a Mank versus a Low, both in the same team, and they take home pretty much all of the prize money, which they must be over the moon with as well. Of course, no splits going on with the other team.
No
Let's jump into it any second.
Straight into this match. Looks like the players are just preparing here. Fight starting in just under 5 seconds. The semi-final second round. Whoever wins this is also guaranteed a minimum of 10 grand. Starting the fight off pretty strong. Obviously, remember, both players have a vengeance. So you're going to see a lot of damage being dealt back in retribution, depending on the specs that go through. Maybe even the bolt hits as well. Both players, obviously, here have got melee and ranged. Opting for that ranged tank as a priority.
Yeah, and right now, in terms of like gear loadouts, Fools Iomery, the guy Hobo, he's literally got so much better gear than his opponent. Although saying that, could have KO'd him there with an anti with the Vengeance right there if he got lucky enough. They both got pretty similar gear, but I would say that the DFS is a pretty large advantage over having that Crystal Shield, but it's very neck and neck. It's going to come down to who can really catch their opponent off prey at the right time, and having those VLS specs actually impact their opponent on prey range is crucial. Or even a whack there. It's like an Armadyl Godsword pretty much, but it's a little bit faster and hits a little bit lower.
It's a lot of small advantages in the gear here for Iomery. You have the DFS versus the Crystal Shield. You have the Armadyl Chestplate versus the Carol's Top. What else you got here? You also have the ACB versus the Dragon Crossbow. So these little things add up. You might see some bigger melee hits, some bigger range hits as well, and just more tankier from Iomery as well. But doesn't mean that Rogi Savage is out of it by any means.
You can definitely look at the potential. Yes, it might add up. It might add a bit of an advantage. But is that gap closed by the fact that the Vengeance hits are going to be dealing more damage back to Iomery? Maybe. Awesome. So maybe Hobie is actually going to have a harder time because he's got to really make sure he doesn't get those high hits coming through when his opponent has Vengeance.
I'm seeing like 28 VLS through prayer. That thing's absolutely insane. It really hits a lot of damage. And looking at the inventory right now, food supplies, Rogi is slightly ahead, I'd say, ever so slightly. Both players assigned to use Vengeance here. There could be a KO, but I very much doubt it at this point.
Well, Hobie's opting to not really use any special attack here. He's used 1 spec. There you go. There goes another one, as if like he was listening to us live on the stream. There is a delay, so that's obviously not going to be a possibility. But I guess at the same time, 80% spec, it's better than having 100% spec.
Yeah, I think the reason why he saves a spec is because as the fight gets more neck and neck and towards the end, if you've, got a little bit of a...
Oh, wow, a 54 just went through. That's insane to see.
Yeah, and that was on the right prayer right there, because if you catch your opponent off prayer and he's not expecting the VLS, thinks you've used all your VLS specs up like Raji has right now. All it takes is that one,
like
one
free
spec.
sharks just gone.
Yeah, free sharks, free food, that's so much. And now Raji is down to free food left. He's got the recoil, so does Hobo, and they both have Vengeance. So is free food going to be enough? I don't know if it is, to be honest. He's going to need some really big hits right now. But Hobo does have VLS spec, almost 2 VLS specs still to be able to, keep this fight in his corner.
You keep saying Hobo every single time, and I'm reading it as Hobie.
Oh, sorry.
You are cracking me up. I'm increasing in this corner, trying to contain myself. Muting the microphone every single time I'm about to pass out. Absolutely, yes, it's no problem at all. The fight between them, though, has kind of like evened out a little bit. Obviously, we've got a little bit of a disadvantage over towards Raji. Using all of his food now, this is it, his final fight. Is he going to be able to cause so much of a disruption towards Hobie that he'll be able to pull this back?
I don't know. He's got to get past 4 sharks. It's definitely going to be tough, but certainly possible if RNG goes in his favor. There's a 31, but hits prayer drops at the same time.
That could have been a really good hit. That was a Vengeance that only managed to hit 2. Actually, I think the recall hit him back, but if that was a good Vengeance hit back, he could have secured the victory there.
And he's going for the Redemption Flicks. Of course, he's got a 4-dose potion left, which could help quite a lot. He's got to be careful now not to kill himself. Oh, he does! With the recoil! The Vengeance and Recall stack actually ends up being a suicide for the guy. And #Fools means that Yameri is going through to the finals to face off Manked, which means it's going to be a Fools versus Blazers.
Wow.
20,000 versus $10,000.
I think this is exactly what we wanted. Not only is it Fools versus Blazers, it's a high school tribrid versus obviously a capable range tank.
And last time round, we saw it being very close as well. I believe it was Inyan, like I mentioned before, the guy from Frontline, who ended up winning the fight with a KO against a range tank, each player only having like 1 food left on 50 hit points. Now, we could see that again. If anyone's going to get a KO, like I said before, Mank could be the one to do it. I'm liking his chances, but obviously if he gets a few unlucky freezes and isn't able to step under his opponent, then Yameri can just run a train on him, and those Vengeances that just keep popping up every 30 seconds, if the fight goes on long enough, that's just going to win the fight for him.
I completely agree. He's got to catch that first freeze.
Yeah, he definitely has an uphill battle here, I believe. The range tank showing its real prominence in this tournament. I think that's mostly down to obviously the huge gear advantage that Hobie has access to with the Armadillo, that increased magic defense, as well as the increased ranged accuracy, could be making a big difference.
Well, here we go. In the chat right now, who you guys are rooting for? Let's go Bob. Manked is representing the Blazers versus Hobie, not Hobo, who is Fools Yameri, the leader of Fools, the range tank.
And there you go. I believe he caught a freeze there, so if he wants to, he can step under Yameri, but obviously he's been watching these fights. He knows that Yameri has Mithril Seeds, so I guess maybe if he's quick with it, he could step under Yameri and plant a seed of his own, but maybe that's not even crossing his mind right now.
Yeah, lots of fakies going in as well. Playing this really smart and really slow. Trying to get caught in his robes, obviously. Realizing that the VLS as well, catching that perfectly, but still unable to catch a freeze for so long now. Manked even utilizing, the 31 for his prayer as well. That's so unfortunate. Even utilizing the Mage Book switch.
Oh boy.
But it doesn't matter, absolutely crazy damage by Yameri right now. And Manked's RNG is just horrendous. He just can't catch that freeze, and he just keeps having to eat food constantly. And Hobie, Yameri right now, the Fools member, the leader of Fools rather, is full inventory. Is not looking good for Manked. Obviously having to come back an uphill struggle versus someone that is getting constant operable E-specs, and is going to be really hard for him, and he just still can't catch that freeze, man. He needs to catch that freeze.
Well, knowing that Yameri is, and obviously in the position he is, Hobie on that side just doesn't really need to take out of that magic defensive gear. Now, he has enough food to be able to tank a few ranged or melee hits that he doesn't really need to worry about swapping over to that defensive gear. He really has the advantage in this situation. If you were Manked now, would you just be sacking off magic completely and trying to do range tanks?
He's committed to it now. He's down so much food, he realizes that if he goes for a ranged versus melee fight or whatever, range and melee versus opponent, when his opponent's got Vengeance, he's just not going to win it when he's down food. It's not going to happen, really, no matter what RNG he gets. He needs to catch those freezes. He needs to step under his opponent. He needs to make the most of those VLS specs that he has left, of which he has 3. So if he gets lucky on the right prayer, he can hit 60s. It can change around. Let's just pray for Manked, for those rooting for him. There it is, a 50 into the VLS spec combo.
Ooh.
A 30 through prayer. Unfortunately, like I said before, I was about to say a minute ago when they got hit the 50, let's hope for him that he wasn't going to get hit a 50 on the Vengeance, which he did. But a 31 spec, sticking with it right now. Manked versus Fools Yameri in the final for $30,000.
The food situation has really become balanced now. They are very similar in terms of what's left in terms of supplies. We have noticed here that Hobie hasn't decided to use those combat potions as of yet, so he's going to have a much better chance towards the later end of this fight. Still has pretty decent food in terms of like a brew as well. but Mank doing his best to stay in this fight as much as possible.
I can't believe Mank's right there. He actually wielded the VLS in the wrong gear, and he somehow caught a freeze. He finally caught one. And that's RNG for you, I guess, sometimes. But Mank sticking with it, you know, staying calm. He's still got a fair bit of food, and some decent
nice
operable
range hit
specs. The 38 man. Although saying that, a 28 VLS retaliation from Io Meri, staying in this fight and saying, you know what, I've dominated so far. I'm not letting it go. We're so close to the winning now. I'm doing this for the finish. I'm doing this for Finland. I'm doing this for Falls. But as we say that, Mank catching that freeze, stepping underneath, giving him a second to breathe, to get his HP back up again. But like you said before, the flower mechanic, you know, utilizing that, keeping Mank on the back burner, trying his best, you know, put him under pressure. But the 22, just missing the Vengeance. He's got to be careful now, not to hit too high on this Vengeance. Looking at HP-wise right now, it's very, very close. 26, Vengeance being hit back. A VLS spec, almost getting KO'd. That was so close.
And that's all the food for Mank. All gone. There's one shark remaining here for Yomari. Still a very close fight, but the HP so close between both the players. The final shark gets eaten by Yomari, 59 HP versus 42 in the finals.
Now it's just going to come down. Is he going to catch this next hit? Is he going to be able to is he going to sack Magic off at this point? I think he's just going to try and go for one extra hit, maybe, and then try and just do something against his opponent. Hobil is just doing, he's just waiting it out now. Mank has planted a seed underneath him, so he can't.
Oh, no, he actually got killed there. I mean, the Vengeance anyway, so Fools, Io Meri taking down Mank in the finals to take home $20,000 for his clan, Finland. But at the same time, Blazers cannot be upset with that result. They've got themselves $10,000 at least with the top four, of course, another $1 grand for each team coming home. And Mank, for the first time, not undefeated anymore. He's been defeated in the finale, but yeah, he seems very, very happy with that. Taking home something for Fools, and yeah, that alliance clearly, you know, playing its role and being very, very happy with that result.
You know, well fought to Mank all day long. If he catches one of those freezes a little bit early, I think the fight definitely takes a early turn in his favor.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was literally a case of make or break. I was so many times just saying, is he going to just give up the Magic? Is he going to give it up?
Yeah.
Like you probably said, he committed so far to the point that you just can't. You need to make sure that you're getting him to change the prayers. It worked so many times, but just unfortunately, the times where he was probably getting other hits, there was just too much tankiness for him to pull through.
And at the end as well, actually, I think he got hit a VLS spec. I think it was a 48, maybe it was a Bolt spec. It was like a 48 or a 50 on Mank, and that's what kind of, you know, must have demoralized him a little bit. And it's very hard to come back from, you know, 3 shark down when it's like literally neck and neck at that point.
He almost did it.
But he did, yeah. It was like, what, 40 HP difference at the end or something, 50 HP difference.
Yeah, but as you're saying, that big hit from the VLS tipped the scales in Yomari's favor.
Definitely.
And Mike couldn't come back.
Yeah, and I guess, you know, last time it was the hybrid that won. This time it's the tank that won, but it goes to show that there is no one strategy that everyone has to adopt. There are benefits, pros and cons to each one, and ultimately on the day, who knows what's gonna happen.
So we mentioned it earlier. What have the players been up to? How have they felt about getting to the stages that they did, and what did they do? Let's hear from them now. Throw it over to Chris, who is with them right now, and hope to hear some interesting stories.
All right, guys, we are joined here with the players on stage. To my left here, we have Solo Mission. Solo Mission, talk to me about this tournament.
Obviously, I feel with a lot of drama. I did actually die to the glitch at Falador, but in the multi-stage, I was really impressed with our team's performance. The calling was really good. We played really aggressive. And yeah, I'm proud of all the boys, like from Blazers and Fools. Like, we've had such an incredible week. And yeah, always enjoy to be part of it, even if there is some negatives.
We really appreciate that. You share this win with Mank, obviously, that 10K. I'm actually curious what he's going to do with that money, but we'll get to him shortly. But yeah, thanks again, Solo Mission, and best of luck in the next tournament. Curtis, what happened?
Well, you know, with the 5 guys on stage, they're very, very strong people. I was part of a smaller clan, and, well, let's just say Falador was an absolute mess up, and the Yellow Capes got absolutely destroyed. I was within that mass. I was just watching my brews tick down, you know, just like a ticking clock, really, till I died. Did not stand a chance at all, but overall, really good run. And the drama has made it so much more better, so can we please get a 4-hit in the chat, please?
Right. So do you feel being a content creator has had you targeted a bit more in this tournament?
I wouldn't say so, no. I'd say that they're just calling out, yeah, that guy's got a yellow cape, let's just pile him. So I think that was my my death trap, really. But, you know, I had a fun time, had a fun week as always. And, you know, I really enjoyed the grind aspect overall. So really, to be on stage and just experience it all again, can't really complain.
We love having you here. Watching the standard that was those 1v1s, do you feel like you would have been able to compete with those guys?
I mean, I wanted to like go against a level 90 and absolutely destroy my VIS with Piety. You know, that was the part for me. But obviously against like one of these guys first, I would have got destroyed. Let's be honest. You know, I've been practicing my PKing, but I'm not at the level that I've seen these guys, and just watching them like compete and just under pressure as well is absolutely amazing. So you got to give them props for that throughout like everything that's happened today as well.
Definitely. All right, skill specs. Another unfortunate story for this Deadman tournament. What happened?
I got Jagexed. To be fair with you, Chris, so yeah, I'm pretty tilted. I mean, no, like fourth time now. Yeah, no, when I first spoke to you at the start. I said to you I'm confident, best stats I've had yet. And then I think I'd rather die to a D spear than the old service. But it is what it is, you know. It's always next time.
We really appreciate you here, skill specs, honestly. All right, Manked Up Mage, taking home that $10,000 with second place, so close to first place. Talk about your entire tournament experience, this whole final hour.
The tournament, so just the final hour or the whole tournament?
Just this finale.
The finale, it was intense, it's been a long one, pretty tired, but fought some very good people, upgraded some gear, so it's been awesome.
Yeah.
And I've had a lot of fun.
Yeah. Okay, that little 1v1 there with Eomeri, a little bit of clan rivalry. You guys are good friends. You were allied throughout this tournament. It's Fools versus Blazers. It's a classic. You know him well. Did you think on a different day you would have beaten him easily?
I think he knows exactly what he's doing, and he's very good at that tank build, so maybe, maybe not. We'll just have to see another day, I guess.
Okay. Are you going to rematch him after this?
Next tournament. We'll keep it for the prize pool.
All right. Only if there's money involved. Well, congrats on the 10K. Psych, part of the Blazers team to take home second place. Congrats, you did very well in the 1v1s. How was that?
Yeah, it went pretty good. Of course, I died to Eomeri. The tank build was, I don't know. He was good, and the gear was just too much. Like the armor door, I kept splashing.
Yeah. Has he made you reconsider your strategy? Did you go for a bridge setup?
Yeah, I did, but I didn't have a mage book this time, so I had way less mage bonus, and I just splashed so many times. It was pretty bad.
So do you think if you had some different items in your inventory, you actually could have won this?
I don't think so. He was up so much food. No, okay. It was too much.
All right, well, fair play, and congrats on doing so well. Fool's Justice, you did make it to the 1v1s. You did quite well, but unfortunately you did fall. Who did you fall to?
It was another Fool's guy, so it's all good.
Okay. All right. And are you obviously proud of your team here?
Of course. Eomeri on my chest.
He's a very, very proud son of his clan leader, Eomeri. What's Eomeri like? We obviously don't have him in person here, but I assume he'd be pretty happy.
Well, he's bold, but he won 20K, so he can buy hair implants now.
And do you guys have any, I was actually going to ask, do you guys have any plans for that 20K?
We're going to rent a big house, and I don't know, we have like extra 20K now, so maybe for like future events, like in real life meetup, so.
Yeah. You don't know what to do with it, you've won too much money, but these guys, honestly, they do spend their money on going out on yachts and renting houses and vacations for the whole team. It is great, it's a great community you guys have, so congrats again to Fools Eomeri. That being said, guys, I think we're actually gonna take a quick look at what happened in those 1v1s, so let's throw it to a highlight replay package.
And that's going to be it for us. Thanks for watching, everybody.